able to severely damage Day. Only by defeating Day can we buy more time. Originally, Yi Jun had already set out, but for some unknown reason, he turned back halfway. It's not that my plan went wrong. It's that the other side has an expert in charge. So, those people are wearing civilian clothes, so we just need to refuse to admit it. Isn't that enough? No chance. Kai Yongshu shook his head. Day will not miss this good opportunity. At the beginning, they were a little bit guilty and their actions were cover-up and far-fetched. But now, millions of people have fled. It is too easy for Day to make a fuss. They would never tolerate such a huge loss. You were so full of vigor before, but now you are timid. I look down on you. No responsibility. If you lose this battle, you will be a sinner of Diachia. Kai Yongshu threw his sleeves and said, you'll have to take care of yourself. Where are you going? Return to Beijing. Li Yuandao was completely panicked and hurriedly grabbed his wrist. Master Kai, we can talk at Overtse and help me. Okay? If Kai Yongshu returned to the capital and reported him, even if Emperor Rek'Sai trusted and valued him, he would never let him off easily. Did you ever think about the present when you were slaughtering the people? Kai Yongshu shook his hand away. You're scared now, but it's too late. Looking at Kai Yongshu's back, Li Yuandao gradually felt like killing him, but when he thought that they were inside the city he held back. He called his confidant over and whispered a few words in his ear, and the confidant quickly left. On that day, Kai Yongshu did not leave, but tried to deliver a letter to Day military camp, but it fell on deaf ears. He knew that there was no possibility of peace talks. Instead of wasting time, it is better to return to Beijing to persuade the emperor and go to Day to apologize. This is the only solution. Let's go back to Beijing. I hope it's not too late. Bai Yongchang sighed, thinking back over the past few years. If these people had listened to him, how could Diaxia have fallen to its current state? One wrong step leads to another. To think of it, I'm just a subject. How could the emperor listen to me? How could these military generals listen to a civil official like me? Even now, they still think this is a dispute between civil and military officials. Kai Yongshu couldn't help but laugh sarcastically and rode away on his horse. That night, he led everyone on a march of hundreds of miles, and everyone was exhausted. The same is true for Kai Yongshu. Sir, we cannot enter Jiangsu tonight. Let's set up camp and rest, and leave early tomorrow morning, said the confidant. Kai Yongshu nodded and said, rest here. Then he sat on a rock, took out the dry food in his arms, and started eating with cold water. Along the way, he was thinking about how to persuade the emperor. This is also the only way to save Diachia. Kingshan, do you think this method will work? Kai Yongshu asked his son. Kai Kingshan is very methodical and is far from being as wise and resourceful as his father. But at this moment he replied seriously, this method can work, but it is full of difficulties. Dad, do you really want to tell me? If you tell me, our Kai family will die. No one can save us. Kai Yongshu swallowed the rough dry food, and after a long silence he said, send Tanner away and leave some incense for our Kai family. Ingshan, our Kai family can be what it is today, only because of the late emperor's trust. I must repay this kindness. That's one point. Secondly, as people of Diaxia, how can we be afraid of death when our country is in danger? If everyone was afraid of death, Diaxia would have perished long ago. The enemy is terrible, but I would rather die than bow today. Dad, I don't have your high awareness. Kai Kingshan lowered his head. I know I can't persuade you to change your mind. But we have done enough. The current situation of Diaxia is not our fault. If they had listened to you earlier, they wouldn't be in this situation now. If it is beneficial to the country, I will not avoid it because of misfortune or fortune. Kai Yongshu snorted coldly. I would rather die to wake up the people of my country. Kai Kingshan pursed his lips and said nothing. He is afraid of death. He was even more afraid that his wife and children would die tragically at the hands of the imperial court. They did nothing wrong. But they always have to bear the faults that are not theirs. Why, Dad, Diaxia is finished. There is no hope. Shut up. Kai Yongshu couldn't help but scold in a low voice. If you keep saying such things, Your Majesty doesn't need to do anything. I will kill you with my own hands. Brothers, stop talking. The younger brother Kai Liuyin pulled his elder brother and signaled him to stop talking. Kai Kingshan sighed and sat aside sulking. Kai Liuyin said, Dad, even if you don't consider yourself, you should consider others. Among all the civil and military officials in the court, how many are willing to live and die with the court? Not to mention officials, even among the royal family, how many people are willing to die with the court? If we win, it is everyone's credit. If we lose, it is the fault of the entire family. If I return to Beijing now, I don't know how many impeachments there will be. We are having trouble getting through one level after another. Do you think His Majesty will listen to your advice and lower his status to go to Liangjing to apologize? You know very well that His Majesty will never agree. This is also a fatal situation. Your death cannot change the overall situation. It won't change this country. At this point, he lowered his voice and said, Eaxia has no hope, Day is the future. Chapter 467, Accidental. Kai Yangshu's eyes widened. And he became furious and slapped his son in the face. After being slapped, Kai Yuyan didn't say a word. Fortunately, everyone else had set up camp not far away, so they didn't notice anything wrong here. Are you looking for death? Do you want me to be a traitor? The entire court is full of civil and military officials, all of whom are a burden. Li Siyuandao has taken the initiative and disrupted the overall situation. This war is unavoidable. You can't even persuade Li Siyuandao. How can you persuade His Majesty to plead guilty? Kai Yuyan gritted his teeth and said, the momentum of the unification of the Yi dynasty is unstoppable. When the time comes, the whole world will be unified. My Kai family will be the heroes who have followed the emperor, not traitors. How many countries have emerged on this land? You swallowed me and I swallowed your show. Many people remember it. It's been thousands of years, it's time to unify. Yangshu was so angry that he was shaking all over. However, he suddenly felt dizzy. He pointed at his son's hand, but it also fell down weakly. You. Plop. Yangshu immediately fell to the ground. Brother, let's get to work, Kyle Yuyan said. Kai King Shan hurry forward. Brother, is it really okay for us to do this? Do you really want to die with our father? Kyle Yuyan asked. Think about my sister-in-law, niece, nephew, and our mother. Kai King Shan scratched his head. When Dad wakes up, he will scold us to death. You won't lose a piece of meat if you scold me, so what's there to be afraid of? At most you can push the responsibility onto me. Kyle Yuyan said angrily. You take good care of Dad, I'll go over there and take a look. King Shan was a little scared, but his desire to survive overcame his fear of his father. Dad, I'm sorry. On the other side, Kai Yuyan found Kai Yangshu's confidant. Uncle Tai, we can proceed as planned. Second young master, don't worry. How come? Everyone in the camp was sleeping soundly, but Kai Yuyan and others woke up quietly. He didn't kill these people, he just put some ingredients in their dinner. Let's go. The sooner the better. Kai Yuyan carried his father onto the carriage. Hai and Yu also nodded and took the initiative to act as the driver. Second young master. Let's go. The carriage disappeared into the camp, and shortly after they disappeared, a group of men in black approached. Kill everyone in the camp indiscriminately. Boss, Kai Yangshu is not found. The leader of the men in black was shocked and angry. How come Kai Yangshu is not here? Did you follow the wrong person? Impossible, these people are all officials appointed by the imperial court. They have been following Kai Yangshu. How could they be following the wrong person? What about the Kai family father and son? The leader of the men in black was terrified. But it be that the Kai father and son knew that the prince wanted to kill him? Thinking of this, he gritted his teeth and said, search quickly. We must find them and don't let them escape. Kai Yangshu had a nightmare. In his dream, he returned to Lijiang and in front of all the civil and military officials, he begged Emperor Rek'Sai to go to Liangjing to apologize. Everyone regarded him as a traitor, and the emperor, in a rage, even had him torn to pieces in the palace. After his death, Emperor Rek'Sai was still not satisfied and killed all 9 clans of the Kai family. Don't want? He yelled and snapped his eyes open. King Shan hurried over and asked, Dad? Are you okay? Kai Yangshu was sweating all over, and it took him a while to come back to his senses. It turned out to be a dream. Kai King Shan helped him up and quickly opened the water bag. Dad, drink some water. Kai Yangshu nodded and took a sip of water. Then he suddenly remembered what happened last night. Kyle Yuyan, you rebellious son, what did you say to me last night? Kyle Yuyan knelt on the ground calmly. Dad, you want to be a loyal minister exiled for eternity, but I don't want that. I just want my family to survive. I don't value fame, wealth or status. I don't care about fame. I just want our family to live well. Kai Yangshu looked at him with complicated eyes. He wanted to scold him, but when the words came to his lips, he sighed and changed the subject. Have we entered Jiangsu? No, we have already reached the territory of Bma state. Kyle Yuyan said. Yangshu was a little confused. Bma Shuyu. Suddenly, he looked out the window and realized that this was not the road to Jiangsu. You rebellious son, you are so brave. Dad, now that things have come to this, I won't hide it from you anymore. I have already joined Day a long time ago now. I am the comprador director of Day in Lijiang. Kyle Yuyan said. Don't worry about mother and the others, it won't be long before our family will be reunited in Day. You evil creature, you evil creature. Kai Yangshu was so angry that his hands and feet turned cold. The King Shan hurriedly hugged his father, who was unable to stand steadily, and kept comforting him. Dad, calm down, calm down. Your Majesty admires your courage and wisdom. I have said it again and again that if you are to survive and join Day, you will not be allowed to attack your own country. Kai Yuyan lowered his head. If my father thinks I did something wrong, he can kill me. Evil son, you have ruined my whole life. Yangshu almost choked out his breath, his hands and feet went limp with anger. King Shan pinched the Renzong point and helped Kai Yangshu to breathe smoothly, and finally he helped Kai Yangshu to breathe smoothly. Dad, look at it more positively, things have come to this point and there is no turning back, King Shan said. You are also a wicked son, Kai Yangshu scolded. King Shan shrank his neck and said, you are right. Yangshu held his forehead in pain now that things had come to this, could he still go back? His own son had become a traitor. And no one would believe him even if he went back to die. It would be a waste of time to die. Okay. Now that you've grown strong enough, you're plotting against me. Kai Yangshu angrily pushed his son away and sat in a corner sulking. Suddenly he thought of something. What happened to those people? Did you kill them all? No, we just gave them drugs and made them faint. They woke up after the effect of the drugs wore off, said Kai Liu Yin. Kai Yangshu's expression was uncertain, he felt frustrated, angry and helpless. The two brothers knelt in front of him and dared not say a word. The carriage sped along without stopping at the military camp. After a while, Kai Yangshu said in a hoarse voice, tell me the truth, have you already revealed my plan today? The two brothers also kept shaking their heads. No. On the other side, Li Siyuendao was furious. Useless, all of you are useless, you can't even do a good job if Kai Yangshu returns to Beijing. We will all be in trouble. Your Highness, calm down, why don't we pin the blame on Kai Yangshu for the deaths of those people? No matter how fast he is, can he be faster than a carrier pigeon? Li Siyuendao had a gloomy expression, and Kai Yangshu and his son disappeared without a trace, as if they had evaporated from the face of the earth. If we can't find them, we can only make preparations for the two scenarios. I had to enter the city eventually. And all those passing through were his people. As long as they show up, we will find a way to kill them and then put the blame on Day. And he put all the blame on the Kai father and son. Chapter 468, Sun Wuji's Evil Plan. On the other side, Shanglai led his army to the border of Jing dynasty. The challenge has been issued. The border general was so frightened that he almost rolled off the table. Here they come, they really come. A's deterrent power is not that of ordinary people. Even if these people do nothing and just stay on the border, it is enough to scare them. The news soon spread to Shengjing. Xia Cheng was terrified to the extreme. Summoned ministers overnight. Before this, he already knew that all the Huns were killed by Shaoji and Jia, and only a small number of them escaped. In other words, there are no Huns in Middle-earth at this moment. Needless to say, the relationship between Shaoji and Jia and Day is very close. Now, Day is clearly the largest country in Middle-earth. Whether in terms of territory or strength, it is undoubtedly the first. He also didn't expect that the Huns would be so useless before Day could even take action himself. They were already dealt with by Shaoji and Jia alone. He is regretting it so much now. He should have known what to try. If you behave yourself and be a good younger brother, maybe you will still have a chance. He forced himself to cheer up and said, Yijun is here to knock on the door, tell us what you think. Your Majesty, now is not the time to fight. I should know that it is not appropriate to fight, but they have already sent a declaration of war, accusing us of colluding with the Huns and cutting off the river. Now, they are putting the blame on us. Xia Cheng regretted it, he should not have agreed to the Huns' request earlier. Your Majesty, the most urgent thing is to explain it clearly. Sun Wuji said, why not have someone send the prince to Liangjing? This is what it means to send protons. Xia Cheng didn't care. It was just a son if he lost one. He could have another one if he lost a crown prince. He could appoint another one. I second the motion. I second this motion. That's a good idea. Everyone nodded. Xia Cheng sighed, left Sun Wuji alone, and said, Wuji, the Huns have been driven away. I don't think Liu Yuan will give in, he has been waiting for 2 years. I'm afraid he has already made preparations to unify the world. Sun Wuji was also a little melancholy. Diaxia had been shattered and its territory was less than half of what it was at its peak. He knew Xia Cheng's ambitions. But he also understood that it would be very difficult to catch up with Day. Originally, they drove the tiger to devour the wolf, lured the Huns into the field, and consumed Day's strength. A Day was not fooled at all. He used a tactic of killing with a borrowed knife and pinned the Huns to the ground. How miserable was the original Shaoji and Jia when she was being chased? After holding Day's thick legs, killing the Huns was like killing chickens. How badly were they killed by the Huns? In less than a month, the entire west was lost. Now, the western part has been occupied by the Qian and Yi armies. The second army of Day was defending the pass. In fact, the southwest of Dajing had been surrounded by 3 corps. In Xia Cheng's eyes, a force of more than 200. 0 is more terrifying than 2 million. Do you think Liu Yuan will believe me? Xia Cheng looked at the lights in the hall. It looked like the last rays of light of the empire. Your Majesty, although Day is powerful, he is not invincible. They are human and will grow old, get sick and die. I do have a few ideas, but they are very risky, and if they fail, there will be no room for maneuver, Sun Wuji said. Don't keep us in suspense at this time, Xia Qing sighed. A first move is to block the river flow and flood Yijun, but building a dam to block the water is too obvious, and Yijun is not a fool, so it will be easy to be seen through. The probability of success is less than 30. The second trick is to spread the disease. Only a large-scale disease can catch these people off guard. But the disadvantages are also obvious. The disease kills indiscriminately. But in my opinion, the success rate is about 60. The third trick is to poison the water. Make it highly poisonous no matter what. They still have to drink water and eat, but this trick has an obvious problem. It is easy to poison the fish to death once there are too many dead fish on the water surface. It will be easy to be discovered. The fourth move is to imitate Diaxia's tactics of changing homes. Sun Wuji listed 7 or 8 strategies in one breath, and then said, the last plan is to assassinate Liu Yuan. As long as Liu Yuan dies, the war will stop. It's a pity that the princess didn't give birth to a son, but a daughter. Otherwise, she would have had a chance to seize the throne. If I can kill Liu Yuan, why should I be so distressed? Xia Qing shook his head and skipped over Sun Wuji's plans one by one in his mind. Dai Yi has conquered smallpox and cold, so these 2 diseases cannot cause any harm to Yi's army. Corpse transmission, plague, cholera, and the plague during the Warring States period. As early as the record in history books, during the Warring States period, there was a king of Qi who piled up patients who died of plague, then chopped up the bodies and dumped them into the territory of the enemy country. In just 2 years, 9 out of 10 houses in the enemy country were empty. This pandemic has also affected dozens of countries. However, the end of the state of Qi was also tragic. The king died of an epidemic, and more than 90 of the royal family died. For a long time, these countries were closed to the outside world and became unconnected. Some countries even closed their borders on their own initiative in order to avoid being conquered, saying that there was a rampant plague in their country. It works very well. And those decades were the most stable period during the Warring States period. Xia Qing was furious. Let's do this. Go gather those patients with incurable diseases and kill them all. I want to see what kind of epidemic this time. If it doesn't work, Tadan, the ancestors of the Jing dynasty, will bless your majesty, and it will definitely succeed, Sun Wuji said. Liu Yuan frowned as he looked at the information sent from the front line. Has Xia Chao lost his mind? Kai Yangshu's plan is very clear. It is soft yet tough. If he really drives tens of millions of people today, it will really cause a big riot. Liu Yuan was also considering whether to continue the attack. Fortunately, Xiao Yanlong was smart and was able to disintegrate the enemy directly from within. But even so, it was still far-fetched for Day to attack Diaxia. The attitude of the Xia dynasty really made Liu Yuan feel a little tricky. Kai Yangshu is a talented person. If he can really persuade Emperor Xia to come to Beijing to apologize, Liu Yuan will really withdraw his troops. So this battle was not fought well. But he didn't expect that these people would actually trick Ji Irma. Hundreds of people were killed or wounded before the formal battle even started. Day had never fought such a frustrating war. Ji Irma was furious and wanted to fight back, but was persuaded by Xiao Yanlong. When Liu Yuan saw this, he couldn't help but applaud secretly. Those who are involved are often confused, while those who are not involved can see things more clearly. He saw that there was a trap here as well. This dragon really gave him a big surprise. They is the army of justice. The army of kings. If the reasons are not solid, then we will attack. And if the reason is legitimate, it is called a crusade. Attack and crusade have the same meaning, but the connotations they express are very different. They was originally the suzerain state, and Kai Yangshu calculated this point clearly, which is why he threatened him on the grounds of justice. And now, Kai Yangshu's plan has basically failed. Unless these Xia troops give up resistance and Emperor Xia comes to Liangjing in person to apologize, there is no possibility of retreating. But just when Liu Yuan was happy, a piece of bad news reached his ears. Chapter 416. Malaria. Your Majesty, a plague has broken out in the north. Plague is something that is unavoidable in every dynasty. More or less, light or heavy. But whenever there is troubled times, plagues occur more frequently. The main reason was that too many people died and the bodies were not dealt with in a timely manner. Liu Yuan held his forehead with his hand and asked, which place in the north? 20 miles away from Shuitan County. There is a new county called Xin County. Diseases break out every day and people die every day. The entire county has been blocked, but the county has too few resources and not enough manpower. Liu Su handed the information about Xin County to Liu Yuan. After reading it, Liu Yuan couldn't help but sigh. This new county has a population of more than 60. Which is considered a large county. It was formed by the merger of several surrounding counties. Do you know what the plague is? Liu Yuan asked. Dai has a department dedicated to studying plagues. Smallpox and colds have both been conquered. The most common viruses in history are plagues such as the plague. He remembered that plague had been studied and that there were antibiotics that could treat it if it was discovered early. There was a high probability of cure. Medical care is also very important in Li Yuan's heart. I'm afraid of a major plague where no one knows what the virus is. That is the most terrifying thing. Once a pandemic occurs, the death of millions of people is a common occurrence. And the saying that 9 out of 10 houses will be empty is not an empty talk. It is still unknown at the moment, but the local government has already taken action. Have you found the source? We found it. Someone went to Shuitan County and drank the water thereafter returning. He had a high fever and it wouldn't go away. He infected the whole family. Li Yuan remembered that there were hundreds of thousands of corpses buried under Shuitan County, and there was also a Jing one over there. No wonder there is a plague. Block that area and send a medical team over there. And put the entire country on alert from now on. Until the epidemic is over, no movement will be allowed in various parts of the north. And disinfection work must be done well, Li Yuan said. Orders were issued one after another, and everyone had experience in dealing with such matters. A has not been established for long, but epidemics have broken out in several places in the country, but they have all been well controlled. Li Yuan called Liu Boqian over immediately. But pay my respects to your majesty. Old Liu, this time there is an epidemic in Xian County. You have to take the lead. It is a big county, connecting the north and the south. If you are not careful, it may lead to paralysis of the north. Please rest assured, your majesty, we know a lot about the plague and have a lot of prescription medicines with good therapeutic effects. As long as we prescribe the right medicine, we should be able to reduce the casualties to a minimum. Liu Boqian said this optimistically, although he was not sure about it. You will come back the same way you went. Li Yuan did not say much. If this chaotic world is not ended, situations like this will happen more frequently. Yes. I will definitely live up to your majesty's expectations. After Li Boqian passed away, the plague in Xianxian did not have much impact on Liang Jing. However, Li Yuan also launched the epidemic prevention plan as soon as possible. From that day on, everyone wore masks, drank hot water, and disinfection work was carried out throughout the city. Outsiders are strictly monitored. Liu Su looked at the exhausted Li Yuan and said, distressed, Li, your majesty, take a rest. You haven't had a good rest these days. Li Yuan waved his hand. I'm fine. The recent frequent outbreaks of plague are not a good thing. The population density in Jingxiao is high and developed, but the most feared thing is the plague. Once a case occurs, it is very likely to sweep across Jingxiao prefecture in a short period of time, with disastrous consequences. There are numerous records of plagues in various countries in Middle-earth, but most of them did not form a major plague that swept across Middle-earth. But there have been at least 8 major plagues in history. Every time, at least tens of millions of people from Middle-earth were taken away. The worst was the Great Plague more than 200 years ago, which killed more than half of the people in Middle-earth. This led to the invasion of the barbarians and the establishment of the 3 kingdoms. The disaster of war is foreseeable, but the chaos of plague is unpredictable. Is Hongmei in the capital? We are going to support Xian County, Liu Su said. When did it happen? Yesterday. Li Yuan felt a little uneasy and went to the medical department in person. Every day a large amount of medical supplies are transported to the north. After being transported there, these people will not come back for a short time. They then realized that half of the officials in the medical department had gone to the north. This plague is probably far beyond his imagination. At this time, Xian County. It's cold, so cold. These people huddled in their beds, covered with thick mattresses. Xia Hongmei suspected that she had heard wrongly and looked up at the scorching sun. It was so hot in the north, and she was sweating profusely, so how could she feel cold? Hurry, give me some hot water, I'm cold all over, an old woman cried pitifully, her teeth chattering. Mom, here you are, have a drink. The old woman's son handed her the warm water despite the discomfort. However, the old woman just took a sip of the hot water and suddenly pushed it away. It's so hot. So hot, I can't stand the heat. Then he kicked off the mattress, began to sweat all over, was in great pain, and began to twitch. The middle-aged man was so frightened that he stood there. Mom, what's wrong with you, Mom? Xia Hongmei was horrified. What kind of plague was this? Quick, save the patient. Xia Hongmei rushed in. Don't be nervous. Let me do it. Doctor, please save my mother, she is all I have left. The middle-aged man knelt on the ground and begged his father. Wife and children all died in the war, leaving only his old mother. If his mother is gone too, what's the point of him living alone in this world? Hot pills, quick. CPR on. Xia Hongmei went to great lengths to save the old woman from the clutches of the king of hell, but the disease was too severe and it was difficult for the frail elderly and children to survive. I've been saved. Thank you, doctor, thank you. Doctor, the middle-aged man knelt on the ground and kowtowed continuously, but before he kowtowed twice, he fell to the ground and convulsed. Xie Hongmei was extremely helpless and could only try to rescue him again. Xian County has a population of 70,000, but cases have occurred not only in Xian County, but also in neighboring Long County. Director Liu, why is the new medicine not working well? Xie Hongmei asked. Liu Boqian frowned and said, I suspect this is not plague, but malaria. Malaria? Xie Hongmei's face changed. Isn't this disease more common in the south? This is the north? And I've never heard of malaria appearing in the north. It is clearly written in Day's medical book that malaria is mainly transmitted through mosquito bites, blood, and mother-to-child transmission. This rarely happens in such extremely cold regions as the north. It is usually the season between summer and autumn. But the two had never encountered such a widespread and large-scale infection. This is a misconception. Liu Boqian said, just think about how hot and dry the north has been in the past 2 years. There really weren't many mosquitoes before, but it's different now. I even went to Shuitan County on purpose, where there were innumerable mosquitoes. If you just dug in the ground you would find insect eggs. You can smell the stench of the corpse from a long distance away. We have to send people to control the source, otherwise, malaria cannot be eradicated. Chapter 470. Battle of Hatu Mountain. In fact, there was one more thing Liu Boqian didn't say, which was that if he was used by someone with ulterior motives, the consequences would be disastrous. It has been found that the local plagues in the past 2 years were most likely spread artificially. In other words, it is not as easy as imagined for Day to unify Middle-earth. Liu Boqian was still under great pressure, as the existing means were not enough to deal with the pandemic. Do we have any medicine to treat malaria? Xie Hongmei asked. Liu Boqian said, Artemisia annua can cure it. I have a prescription. Xie Hongmei was very curious. Dean Liu, is this also your research? To be honest, I learned it about smallpox vaccination, antibiotics, and Artemisia annua from my conversation with His Majesty a long time ago. Liu Boqian said, I thought this plague was something like the plague. And I used a lot of medicine but it didn't work. But now that we have ruled out other plagues, it will be easier to treat. Malaria is not transmitted through droplets, and it is not transmitted from person to person, so we just need to do a good job of disinfection, kill mosquitoes, and control the source. Xie Hongmei also breathed a sigh of relief. She was afraid that it was a plague that could be transmitted from person to person to person. Not only would it be difficult to treat, it would also be highly contagious. For example, although she had never encountered the plague, she knew about it. It can be transmitted through flea bites, droplets, and even contact. The disease develops quickly and is difficult to treat. These are the diseases they want to overcome. Soon, after using Liu Boqian's prescription, the malaria patients were able to control their condition. Later, the news was passed back to Liang Jing, and Liu Yuan also breathed a sigh of relief. It would have been fine if it was just malaria. But it also served as a reminder to Liu Yuan. Be careful of Xie Jing's counterattack, so starting from today, cut off all cargo ships coming from Xie Jing dynasty. On the other hand, after Yuan Ba destroyed 20 countries in succession, he once again gathered an army of 500,000 and supplies, ready to invade the country for revenge at any time. But he didn't expect that he would meet Wang Dabiao, who was fighting the enemy on the way. The two armies fought with Gauche and Jiuo. Wang Dabiao defeated Yuan Ba in just one battle. In less than 7 days, he killed an army of 200,000 and captured more than 300,000. To the soldiers of the army, these Han deserters were just trash and not worth mentioning. But these heads are of great benefit to the entire army. The kings of the 20 enslaved countries, under the friendly communication of Wang Dabiao, decided to offer their land and went to Liang Jing to ask Liu Yuan to accept it. And Wang Dabiao pushed Day's national border another 800 miles westward. Wang Dabiao was not satisfied with this, but at this time they had already left Middle-earth. If they went west again without your majesty's permission, it would be a crime. Although Wang Dabiao wanted to make a contribution, he still knew what to do. Leave 3 divisions to guard the place, and the rest will go back with me. Wang Dabiao was still furious. Compared with destroying the big country, these small countries in the Han deserters were not worth mentioning. In his opinion, only destroying the western barbarians could be considered a great achievement. If you can kill the vicious slave, it will be considered a great achievement. It's no wonder that Wang Dabiao is so arrogant. No matter how powerful the Huns are, they are just that to the Day people. The Huns can be destroyed in the same way as the barbarians were destroyed. If they can't even defeat Day's vassal states, how strong can they be? Old Bear, don't blame me. I really didn't get much credit on this trip. I'm too embarrassed to go back and explain. So don't blame me for stealing your credit. Wang Dabiao thought so and asked some people to escort the prisoners and prepare to return to Beijing to surrender them, while he took 6 armed divisions and attacked Shengjing directly. Looking at the map, Shengjing is located in the northwest of China. only 1,000 miles away from the grassland, but fortunately, there is Shan-He-Guan. 500 miles away from Jingshao Prefecture, the 5,000-mile Great Wall is said to have existed for more than 2,000 years. It has been built in every dynasty. Legend has it that the Great Wall was 30,000 miles long, but it was later destroyed, leaving only 5,000 miles. It is precisely because of this 5,000-mile Great Wall that Xinjiang is difficult to be attacked by surprise. It is extremely difficult to attack from behind. The penetration from the west was more than 3,000 miles deep. From the south it is more than 5,000 miles. To the east is Diaxia. And there is no place to start. But Wang Dabiao refused to believe it now, but everyone's attention was on the southwest. Captured Lijiang before Shanghai. From the small country of Xiy to the grassland, the next step will be a march lasting more than a month. The reason why he left 3 armed divisions in Xiy was to confuse the public. Escorting the prisoners back to Beijing is to attract attention. He wants to play a big one. Although airships are powerful, they have great limitations. And there are only 2 airships in the country. As long as you hide in fortifications, there is no way to launch an accurate attack. This is also the reason why Liu Yuan did not send an airship to attack Wang Long directly. On the other side, Shanghai and Zheng Liujin also entered the country smoothly, pushing the battle line forward by 500 miles. When every battle. At the front, they encountered fierce resistance. In the central part of Dajing, there are 100 mountains full of asthma. The most terrifying thing is the mountain leeches that can jump down from the trees and suck people's blood. It is hot and humid here, and it rains all year round. It is very easy to get malaria due to mosquito bites. Many people who come here cannot adapt to the local climate. Most people would take a boat across here and go straight to the hinterland. But the Second Army did not have a navy. I don't know what your majesty is thinking. But then he thought again. Ji Irma was the same as himself, and he felt much better. A commander, enemy troops spotted ahead at Hutta Mountain. We must take over Hutta Mountain today. I can't stay in this crappy place any longer. As he said this, he burned a leech crawling on the ground to death with a cigarette butt. Hutta Mountain, the bridgehead of the Shiwanda Mountains, is the only access to the core area of Dajing, and is easy to defend but difficult to attack. The general was a famous general of the mountain tribe, Fu Zhangking. This person is the leader of the mountain tribe. The situation in the Shiwanda Shan Mountains is somewhat similar to that of the Tu tribe. There is a lot of evidence to prove that the Tu tribe is a branch of the mountain tribe. Moreover, the imperial court has strict control over the Shiwanda Shan Mountains. But it also needs these mountain people. However, as the mountain tribes began to intermarry with other tribes, the Shiwanda Mountains became the back garden of the Jing dynasty. The ancestor of this Qinji king was a king of a different surname. Later, he took the initiative to come to the Shiwanda Shan Mountains to establish a government. Fu Wangfu is a god in the hearts of the people living in the mountains. This guy was also a tough nut to crack. He blocked the army here for 7 or 8 days, making it impossible for them to move forward. At this time, on Hutta Mountain, a burly woman was patrolling on the city wall. Seeing a woman, everyone was extremely respectful. "Hello, madam." The woman nodded. She was Fu Zhangking's first wife, Princess Zhu, and also a brave female general. When Fu Zhangking was not around, she could command the entire army alone and was deeply loved by the local people. "Everyone cheer up, tonight, let's let Yijun taste our power," said Princess Zhu. At this moment, the spy came to report urgently. "Report, Princess. Yi's army is attacking." Chapter 471, Shattering the Mountain. "Push them back, don't let them come over." Princess Su's face also changed. They didn't gain any advantage in the battle with Day during these days. If it weren't for the mountains blocking them, they would have been captured by now. Owen informed the prince to bring troops to support us as soon as possible. There are 80,000 elite troops in Hutta Mountain, most of whom come to find Shiwanda Shan. Relying on their familiarity with the terrain, they set a large number of traps along the way, and some people even caught a large number of leeches and fell in the middle of the road. This land leech is much more poisonous than the water leech. Not only is it more aggressive, but it will also drill into any hole that is available. It is extremely scary. Too many bites can be fatal. Of course, they are not invincible and are afraid of salt and lime. Yijun is not a fool. He has already thought of ways to deal with the situation these days. But it always causes certain killing to these people. The musketeers cleared the way ahead. A large number of leeches were burned to death by the raging fire. Because the mountains and forests are humid, it is difficult to prevent fires. He can only use the dumbest method. Today, the commander of the army issued a death order that we must capture Hutta, and everyone is working hard. The 1st, 2nd and 3rd divisions are the main attacking teams. Everyone was furious. They are an armed division, facing an army of 200,000, but now, they are stuck on a small hill. How can they not be angry? "Push the 75 and 105 caliber howitzers up to me and bomb them," Liu Dapeng, commander of the 1st division, said angrily. An armed division is equipped with 70 howitzers. Expeditionary teams like theirs are equipped with the best weapons. However, 50 of them are 75 caliber howitzers. The 105 caliber is too heavy, but it is also the most effective. In addition, there are 120 direct fire guns including recoils as guns and 160 mortars. This kind of firepower equipment is very terrifying. Shamlai was originally born in the firearms battalion, and he also brought more resources to the Third Army. The three armies were established shortly and have made few achievements, but they are equipped with the best equipment. The commanders of the three divisions did not hide their skills anymore. They took out their own 75 caliber and 105 caliber artillery and fired them. They had no intention of relying on the pile of leads to capture the hill. Correct the angle. Angle correction completed. Fire first to test your accuracy. Dozens of howitzers fired in sequence. The power of a 75 caliber howitzer is already considerable, and the power of a 105 caliber howitzer is so great that even if it doesn't hit a person, the shock wave of the explosion can shatter a person's internal organs. After just one round of salvos, Hutta Mountain was covered in thick smoke. The ammunition is a special explosive bomb that can be used specifically to destroy cities. Needless to say, the 105 caliber explosive bomb is extremely powerful. These explosive bombs are also mixed with fuel air explosives. Needless to say, their power when they explode is so powerful that the air within dozens of meters around them will be quickly sucked dry. Even if these people hide inside, they will suffocate. When the mountain wind blew away the smoke, they used telescopes to check and found that the indestructible wall of Hutta Mountain had become pitted and a small half had collapsed. Not enough. Keep adjusting the angle and prepare for the second round of bombardment. After a while, the second round of shelling began. At the foot of the mountain, Shamlai stood at the entrance of the tent, smoking his cigarette and said, "Damn it, I wasted so many bombs. If we run out of ammunition, we can still ask the court for it, but brothers, we only have one life." Zheng Liujin said, "If we take Hutta Mountain today, we can cross the Shiwen Mountains and enter the heart of Dajing within 3 days. This battle will mean that we have won most of the battle." Shamlai said, "I have a bad feeling Wang Mazi didn't get any credit in this battle. I'm afraid he will come to steal my credit." "That shouldn't be the case. He has already chased them out of the Great Wall, didn't he? The letters say that he killed more than 200,000 Xiongnu soldiers and captured more than 200 Zhao prisoners. Conquering the small countries outside the Great Wall can be considered as expanding the territory." Zheng Liujin said with some bloating, "It's our turn to make a great contribution. When we return to Beijing this time, we must make fun of him." Shamlai couldn't help but laugh and exhale of smoke. At this time, someone came to report, "Commander, Hutta Mountain has been captured." Shamlai glanced at his pocket watch and said, "Damn it, it took me 2 hours to get it." "Okay, stop swearing. If you weren't so concerned about the ammunition, we would have taken him down long ago," Zheng Liujin said. Shamlai shook his head. How can these new recruits succeed without more training? He was not really reluctant to part with the ammunition. The core philosophy of the Day Army was to put people first. Talent is the most important thing. Although each general has a different understanding of this concept, they are definitely not too different. After such a long time, the troops have only advanced 500 miles. This speed is not fast at all. If Shamlai had the same temper as before, Qianli would be his requirement. Base firearms are the best in the world. Relying on the advantage of firearms, it is not difficult to defeat Dajing. But why did he have to stay here for 8 or 9 days? I just want to tell these new recruits that even the guns in their hands have their weaknesses. The battlefield is far from being just talk. Only when they encounter difficulties will they take the initiative to grow. Fighting a war is not about how accurate your shooting skills are or how fast you can reload, but about your understanding of war. Putting out the cigarette, Shanglai said, "Let them clean up the battlefield and continue to advance, so as not to fall into the enemy's trap. The road ahead is not smooth, so be careful." "Commander, this is Princess Zhu, Lu Zhang King's wife." Liu Daping pointed at the female corpse beside him as if to seek credit. "What's a princess, if you're capable? Kill Fu Zhang King for me." Shanglai glanced at him without lingering for too long. 15 miles ahead, Fu Jiui and his reinforcements engaged in a fierce battle with the leading troops. The other side brought 30,000 people. But these 30,000 people were quickly defeated. Fu Jiui was shot dead on the spot. Shanglai actually admired the people in Fu Wangfu very much, but unfortunately, he had tried to recruit them earlier. But Fu Zhangqing not only killed the people he sent, but also wrote a letter to humiliate him. So there is nothing to talk about, just fight and kill. Your Majesty, Hutta Mountain has been breached, and the princess and the eldest prince have both died for their country. When Fu Zhangqing heard the news, he cried until he fainted, "My wife and children." The reason why he didn't go to the front line was that he was recruiting soldiers in the Shiwen Mountains. However, when these people heard that it was Yi Jun, they didn't dare to come out at all, and many of them fled deep into the mountains. Now the soldiers have been drafted, but his wife and children will never come back. A 110,000-strong army was lost there forever. This group of Yi's troops were extremely ruthless. They rarely took prisoners and usually killed them on the spot. He knew that this was the other party's revenge on him. Fu Zhangqing was extremely sad. But he still tried to cheer himself up. How long will it take them to get here? The Yi army is only 20 miles away from us. They will arrive in an hour and a half at most. Chapter 472, Fu Zhangqing's Choice. Call everyone and prepare to defend the city. Fu Zhangqing knew very well that Fuwang city had been managed by the Fu family for more than 200 years. Even though the city was tall and had a moat, it still could not be defended for too long. But he knew better that now was the time to serve the country, even if his entire family died. To repay the country's kindness, all the men of the Fu family stood on the city wall. The women of the Fu family also wore armor. The child was taken away by the family servants, and if the city was captured, he would blend into the crowd and leave. The old man from the Fu family was dressed respectably and waited quietly for death in the mansion. An army of 150,000 defended the city. But no matter how you looked at it, it was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Finally, Yi Jun appeared in everyone's sight. The opponent's speed was not fast, but it gave everyone an unparalleled sense of oppression. A likes black, and the uniform black armor and red and black flags make people feel extremely depressed. Ready the 1,000 ox bow. Get the trebuchets ready. Prepare the bronze cannon. Everyone is making preparations. Even though they were afraid, no one ran away. However, Yi Jun stopped at a very far distance. And that distance was far beyond the reach of their weapons. Fu Qingji King was so angry that his stomach hurt. Many people shouted, shameless, mean. Do you think you can do whatever you want just because you have weapons? Dad, Yi Jun is obviously planning to attack from a distance. What should we do? Asked the second son Fu Lai. Let everyone go down and don't make unnecessary sacrifices. Bury the gunpowder. If they dare to come in, blow them to death. However, the imagined bombardment did not happen. Several cavalrymen arrived at the foot of the city wall. Listen, everyone in the city. The Arday's righteous army, we have no intention of killing anyone as long as you open the gate and surrender. We promise not to harm a single inch of the city. A loudspeaker in the visitor's hand transmitted sound into the city, but no one responded. Prince Fu, our military commander, said that great unification is an inevitable trend. Middle-earth has been in chaos for thousands of years, and it is time to usher in true peace. You don't want Dajing to be a river of blood, right? Emperor Jing's defeat today was also an internal matter of China, and it was something that should not be taken away from outsiders. But to form an alliance with the Huns would be to forget one's roots and collude with foreign enemies, which would make people criticize us. We will camp outside the city and give you one night to think about it. But our commander also said that he admired the Fu family's loyalty and that as long as the door was opened, the Fu family could be kept safe. You not only think about yourselves, but also about the people in the city. This world has never belonged to one family or one surname. But it is the world of millions of Middle-earth people. You are grateful for the kindness of Jing dynasty. But you cannot drag innocent people to their deaths. That's all I have to say. Think about it carefully. Yi Jun deserves to die for talking about aggression so openly. As the suzerain state, they have no sense of responsibility. If they had sent troops to repel the Xiongnu earlier, why would we have married them? That's right, they are still trading with the Huns. How dare they blame us? The young man from the Fu family started cursing. But Fu Zhangqing knew very well that this was a meaningless resistance. The Fu family members died, but their names remain in history. But the deaths of these soldiers and civilians were of no value at all. Dad, say something. Fool, I looked at his father. Fu Zhangqing didn't say anything. Just asked his sons to guard the city wall and left. He looked at the people in the city, who were frightened and uneasy, their eyes full of pleading. And his heart ached. Fuwang City has a population of 400,000 or 500,000 and has been governed for more than 200 years. It is the pearl of the southwest and the pride of the Fu family. How could he bear to destroy such a place? However, the grace of the country, the army, and the family mission all oppressed him. The hatred of his wife and children made him furious. Should we resist to the end, or open the city gate? He returned to the mansion. The parents sat there, fearless. Seeing him, she was also surprised. Why are you back? The old husband and mother, wearing funeral clothes, were obviously ready to die. His heart sank, but he forced a smile. The Yi army has no plans to attack the city for now. And they want us to surrender. If we don't give them a reply tomorrow, we will attack. There is absolutely no possibility for our Fu family and Day to do this, said Fu's father. I know, but I don't want to send soldiers and civilians to die again. Our weapons are too inferior. They can't even touch the edge of Yi Jun. Struggling in vain will only anger them. Fu Zhangqing knelt on the ground and said, Dad, Mom, I am an unfilial son. I cannot let you to live out your years in peace. Fool, how can we blame you? Father Fu helped him up and said, "No matter what choice you make, I believe in you. There must be a reason why you have to do this. How about we to have one last drink tonight?" Fu Zhangqing smiled through his tears. "Okay. Let's not go home until we're drunk." No one knows his son better than his father. He vaguely knew what his son wanted to do, so he said to his wife, "Bring some snacks, and the three of us will have our last dinner." The old woman nodded and cooked a table of food herself. Fu Zhangqing enjoyed the dinner very much and got drunk with his father. The next day, at dawn, Fu Zhangqing left the mansion. He took off his armor and walked down the street in casual clothes. He also did not allow his soldiers to follow him, but the people in the city all knew him. Everyone, Fu Zhangqing is incompetent and can't defend Huda Mountain. He let Yi Jun shout in front of the gate, causing everyone to be frightened. Fu is guilty. Fu Zhangqing bowed and apologized to all parties. But Fu Zhangqing promises that I will never let Yi Jun hurt you in the slightest, nor will I let Yi Jun harm our homeland. Please don't be afraid. Your Highness, it was Yi Jun's cunningness that had nothing to do with you. We are willing to defend Fu Wang City with your Highness until our death. Thank you all. Fu Zhangqing smiled, but his eyes were full of sadness. He strode towards the city gate and everyone gathered around him. "Add your Highness." Pairs of expectant eyes looked at Fu Zhangqing. Fu Zhangqing pressed his hand and said, "Clear out all the buried explosives." "Dad, why?" "Fool, I didn't understand." "Do as I say." Fu Zhangqing looked at his son, daughter-in-law, and the soldiers who had fought with him through thick and thin. Fu Wang City can no longer be safe, so I don't want to put up a meaningless resistance. Open the city gate, get off the drawbridge, and I'm going to the Yi army camp. Dad, why? Your Highness, do you want to surrender? Are we just going to let the grudge between mother and big brother go? Some people thought Fu Zhangqing was going to surrender. But Fu Zhangqing didn't explain, he just said, "This is our home. I don't want it to be destroyed, all the faults, let me bear it alone." At this time, someone from the Yi army came and shouted at the foot of the city, "A night has passed, has your Highness Prince Fu thought it through?" Fu Kenji King climbed up the city wall, stood on the battlement, and shouted loudly, "Fu, I have made up my mind. I surrender, but if Yi Jun wants to come in, he needs to agree to a few conditions from Fu." Chapter 473. Die for the country. If your Highness is willing to surrender, please state the conditions as soon as possible. The one shouting at the gate was Xiao Yanlong. First, if I open the city gate, do not harm any of the people in the city. Yes, war should not affect civilians. I, Xiao Yanlong, can guarantee the safety of all the people in the city with my life. Xiao Yanlong replied loudly. Second, do not steal a single needle or piece of thread from the people in the city. Our army has sufficient equipment and food, and will never rob the people of even a penny. Third, after entering the city, treat the people as if they were ruled by Day himself. Is it possible to do that? Able. Listening to the two people's questions and answers, both the soldiers on the city wall and the people below had tears in their eyes. Everyone knew that Princess Zhu and the Crown Prince died at the hands of Yi Jun yesterday. The blood feud of killing one's wife and son was something that no one could endure, but Fu Zhangqing endured it for the sake of the people of the whole city. I am Fu Zhangqing, 53 years old. I have been deeply loved by the late emperor and favored by your majesty. I have no way to repay your grace and favor. However, the people in King Fu's city have supported my Fu family for more than 200 years. They are really my bread and butter. This is my hometown, Fu Zhangqing. It is the result of the hard work of generations of the Fu family to build this prosperity. Fu Zhangqing, the unworthy descendant, was unable to keep the family business and was ashamed to face his ancestors. Let me, Fu Zhangqing, bear all the sins alone. Fu Zhangqing's voice was very loud and everyone who listened to it was moved. General Xiao, I believe in your character. What I said today can be heard by your Yi army, and also by the hundreds of thousands of soldiers and civilians in my city. May you keep your promise. When Fu Lai saw Fu Zhangqing pull out his sword, he was so scared that he shouted, "Dad, don't do that. Your Highness, don't." Fu Kenji King turned around and looked at everyone, with the sword already on his neck. I am worthy of the people of the city, but I am not worthy of the king. Today you will die for my country? The long sword cut the back of his neck, and blood splattered. No, Dad. Your Highness. Everyone on the city wall cried. Fu Zhangqing's body fell directly down and landed heavily in the water. In an instant, the crying was deafening. Xiao Yanlong, who was standing under the city, was also extremely shocked. Prince Fu, you are a true hero. The cries in the city continued. In the palace, the old prince and the old princess were holding hands, leaning on their chairs, and had already stopped living. They already knew what Fu Zhangqing was going to do. How can I live in vain? Lop. Flop. I don't know how many people jumped into the moat from under the city wall. I, Wang Donahue, have followed His Highness through life and death for many years today. I am unwilling to live in humiliation. I only ask Yi Jun not to hurt my fellow villagers. As he said this, he drew his sword and committed suicide. Blood spilling on the spot. I am Chen Ergo Yu. I am Wu Min Ziachai. One general after another died on the city wall. This scene shocked everyone. Fu Jiyui was extremely sad. My brothers and sisters, our father died for his country. How can we live in this world with dignity? If there is an afterlife, we will be a family again. As he said this, he hit his head against a pillar and died. Second brother, Prince. Everyone knelt on the ground, crying inconsolably as they watched this heroic scene. Second brother, I am a son of the Fu family, how can I be afraid of death? I will die, and I will be a hero again in 18 years. The men in the Fu family are not cowards, and neither are the women. Their husbands died in battle, and they did not live in vain, but died with them. The loyalty and bravery of the Fu family aroused the anger of countless people. But Fu Zhangqing's words still echoed in his ears. If we fight back now, all the Fu family members will have died in vain. The city gates finally opened. Upon learning of Fu Zhangqing's heroic act, Ji Ermiel fired a cannon outside the city to see the hero off. He stood at the foot of the city and said, I, Ji Erma, O commander of Day's Second Army, now officially take over Fu Wang City. During this period, if our army causes any harm to the civilians, it will be condemned by both humans and gods, and will be punished by heaven and earth. I will treat the people in the city just as Day treats the people, without any second thoughts. He has fought in so many battles, and there are not many people worthy of his admiration, but Fu Zhangqing is definitely one of them. He collected the bodies of Fu's family members, gave them a grand funeral, and even personally kept a vigil for the king of a different surname for one night. This move also greatly calmed the anger of the people in Fu Wang City. Most of the generals in Fu Wangcheng were family retainers, extremely loyal and brave, and they all followed Fu Zhangqing. The entire Fu family was almost wiped out. The remaining generals did not surrender either. Ji Erma did not treat the hundreds of thousands of troops in the city as prisoners, but disbanded them on the spot and turned their swords into plows. This was also the battle with the least casualties since the war began. A news soon reached Chengjing upon learning that all members of the Fu family had committed suicide. Xia Cheng angrily cursed. Stupid idiot, there is no point in committing suicide to serve the country, why don't you resist? Of course, he didn't dare say this in public. Fu Zhangqing saved the people and died for his country, which can be said to be a man of both loyalty and righteousness. If he dared to blame the people, they would hate him to death. And Xia Cheng was already extremely anxious at this time after knowing that Qi Jun had entered the heartland of Dajing. He was completely panicked. In front of all the civil and military officials in the court, he cursed Fu Qing for being stupid. Everyone felt chilled to the bone when they heard this. If you can't stop it, how can you stop it? Do we have to destroy hundreds of thousands of mountains and kill all the people in order to serve our country? No one dared to speak, as they all knew that the emperor was angry and that to contradict him now would be seeking death. If you can't win, you can lead your troops to retreat and preserve your strength by doing this. He may seem loyal and filial, but in fact he is pushing Dajing into an irretrievable situation. Xia Cheng said angrily, I trusted him so much. But this is the result. Fu King. What a fool. Sun Wuji couldn't listen any longer. Your Majesty, now is not the time to blame. The most urgent task is how to deal with Day's attack. Yes. Your Majesty, Prince Fu surrendered without resistance, which might be wrong, but he also wanted to protect the people. His duty is to defend Fu Wang City and prevent the enemy from entering, but now, he lets the enemy in. He is a sinner of Dajing. A sinner. Xia Cheng overturned the documents on the table and said, Get out of here, all of you. Over the years, all of Dajing's achievements have been wiped out in previous wars, leaving only 2 or 3 big cats and small cats. In addition, Xia Cheng launched a palace coup and purged a large number of people at this time. There was a lack of young people in the court, all of them were flatterers, and there were few people with real abilities. When they heard that Yi Jun had entered the hinterland, their minds were already distracted, and many people were even thinking about whether they should find a way to contact Yi Jun. After smashing and looting for a while, Xia Cheng finally felt relieved. Sun Wuji sighed and felt disappointed. One wrong step leads to another. Since he knew he was no match for his opponent, why didn't he hold on to Day's thick legs? Otherwise, it would be better to learn from Da Qian. At least you can become a king of a different surname in the future and enjoy wealth and glory. Your Majesty, have you calmed down? He picked up the national seal on the ground and asked. Calm down, what do you think? Xia Cheng said dejectedly, the Yi army is coming in. What can we do to resist? Chapter 474, Listen to orders but not announcements. Suddenly he thought of something. Has that plague been cultivated? Sun Wuji shook his head, not yet. As for this plague, it doesn't come when you want it to. But it comes out every now and then. It doesn't matter how many people die to Sun Wuji, no matter how many people die. They will not be his fault. This time, he no longer saw any hope in Xia Cheng. Even if we defeat Yi Jun today, he will come again soon. If I continue to invest in Xia Cheng, I will see no hope of making a profit. There are only more than 600 Zai troops in the country now. If it really doesn't work, just surrender, Xia Cheng said. Hearing this, Sun Wuji just felt like laughing. When the emperor isn't stable and worried about his father's affairs day and night, how can his ministers be loyal to him? Xia Cheng has some ability to endure, but not much. I'm afraid they will not surrender, Sun Wuji said. How could that be? Xia Cheng snorted. If I surrender, Li Yuan will definitely be happy. I think we should wait a little longer. Perhaps once the plague is cultivated, we can repel the enemy. Xia Cheng nodded. Go down, I want to be alone for a while. Sun Wuji said goodbye and left the palace. When he returned home, he was extremely uneasy. He knew that Shengjing could no longer be saved. There is absolutely no way he would share life and death with Xia Cheng. Dajing's system of nobles is good, but it can only share happiness, not adversity. He even wondered whether he should gather Xia Cheng's resistance while waiting for Yi Jun to arrive and encounter resistance, and then find a way to kill Xia Cheng and make a great contribution. Once the thought arises, it can never be shaken off. However, this kind of notoriety of regicide is not good. Even if you go today, you will not be accepted by everyone. And just when everyone was anxious. However, they didn't know that their rear base had already been raided. Wang Dabiao leads 6 armed divisions, cut through the grassland, and rushed straight to the Shanhe-One Great Wall. The general guarding Shanhe-One was Xia Cheng's ninth uncle, King Xia Yandong of Meng. This man has divine powers and is proficient in both civil and military strategies. Otherwise Xia Cheng would not have let him guard such an important pass as Shanhe-One. It can be said that Shanhe-One is the real rear base of Dajing. If Shanhe-One is broken, the army can reach Shengjing within 2 or 3 days. Xia Yandong had 100 Zero cavalry and 150,000 infantry under his command. An army of 250,000 is stationed at Shanhe-One, and it cannot be breached without an army of 1 million. It is an important town within the Great Wall. After his daily patrol, he returned to his tent. Your Highness, urgent news from the capital. Xia Yandong took the urgent report and looked at it, then immediately frowned. Dad, what's wrong? Xia Chaishen asked. Fu Zheng King died for his country. Xia Yandong handed over the urgent news. After Xia Chaishen and his brothers finished reading, they were all dumbfounded. This why? Why did Fu Zheng King surrender and commit suicide? Surrender is to protect the people. And commit suicide is to be loyal to the king. More than 100 people in the Fu family committed suicide. They are really heroes with iron bones. Xia Yandong sighed. It's a pity that the national strength of our great Xia is declined. Otherwise, how could it be like this? If the lords are the main force to maintain the country, and the kings of different surnames and the royal family are the last line of defense, almost all important cities are guarded by royal families. It took only a dozen to 20 days for Yi's army to penetrate the hinterland and advance to the capital. Now, the emperor asked him to lead 150,000 elite troops to defend the capital. Dad, let me lead the troops back. Shanhe-One can't do without you. Xia Chishin said. Xia Yandong shook his head and sighed. What will happen if I go back? Can the Yi army win by relying on numbers? If the army leaves Shanhe-One, and a powerful enemy attacks and cuts off our retreat, we will all be trapped in Guanzhong and unable to escape. No, that's impossible. The forces of the 3 corps of the Yi army are clearly arranged. How could they travel thousands of miles to the rear? One army will deal with the Xiongnu, the second army will deal with the Axia, and the third army will deal with us. We have already figured out the details of the 3 armies. Yi Jun, you can't judge them by common sense, Xia Yandong said. They are good at fighting with fewer troops, relying on the advantages of their weapons, but the bigger reason is that they are bold. The generals penetrated deep into the enemy's territory, took them by surprise, and struck directly at Huanglong. In other words, they are good at expanding their war advantages infinitely with the least casualties and resources. When did you see them push forward all the way? This does not fit Day's battle plan. Li Yuan is a genius and a combat genius. It sounds like a simple battle plan, but it can bring about a surprise victory. I thought about it later and realized that it was because Yi Jun's formation, combat plan, and thinking were completely different from ours. It is this gap that makes it difficult for us to understand Yi Jun. Therefore, we must use Yi Jun's thinking to deal with them. Otherwise, you will definitely be led by them by the nose. But His Majesty's decree has come. Are we going to disobey it? Xia Chai frowned deeply. Xia Yandong also found the situation difficult. At this time, it would be inappropriate not to send troops, but sending fewer troops would not be acceptable either. He gritted his teeth and lowered his voice. We are the only ones here, father and son, and I am not afraid to tell you. I was not happy with Xia Cheng becoming the emperor. It was a loss of power and humiliation of the country, but for the sake of the country's destiny, I could accept it. If you can endure humiliation, it doesn't matter. Just be patient for a dozen years, and when we become strong, we can take back our position. But he shouldn't have married the Huns. What are the Huns? They are a barbaric tribe, a foreign race. The meat is still in the pot even if it is rotten, but if the wolf is attracted, the meat will no longer be in the pot. Do you know how much they look down on us? The Huns killed everyone in the West and failed to save the people. It was our Xia family's fault. Instead of actively starting a war, they formed an alliance through marriage to give others an advantage. I used this excuse to send troops, and no one can say they were wrong. So what you mean is, you obey orders and not declarations. Does Xia Cheng dare to turn against me at this time? Xia Chandong sneered. He has connections and money even if the capital is destroyed. He can go anywhere with these people. There is also the possibility of restoring the country if we go to foreign lands in the future. It is impossible to let him fight to the death. Father is wise. Even if Xia Cheng becomes the emperor, I won't recognize him. Let us take care of ourselves. Xia Cheng is the sinner for the country to be like this. Dad, I have an idea. Xia Shen gritted his teeth and said, since Day is sending troops on the pretext of marriage with Jing dynasty, why can't we clear out the emperor's entourage and then send Xia Cheng to Liang Jing to be punished? In this way, Liuan will have no reason to continue attacking, and we can also protect our country. What do you think? Xia Chandong narrowed his eyes and was really moved. But thinking about the complicated waters in the capital, if he went there rashly, the chances of success might not be high. He said, let's take it one step at a time. I'll test the waters of the capital first. No matter how powerful Yi Zhan is, those people can always stop him. It will take at least 2 months to reach the capital, which is enough time for us to make arrangements. Chapter 475, Quick Passage Through Shenhe Guan. At night, Xia Chandong wrote several letters, and had them sent away as quickly as possible. I couldn't help feeling a little melancholy. Although Dajing had some problems a few years ago, they were not serious. He also didn't expect that in just 3 to 5 years, the empire was in turmoil and on the verge of destruction. He knew very well that Dajing could not be saved. Throughout the dynasties, the royal families of destroyed nations have all suffered the same fates. Surrender and be kept in captivity. And become a rich man. He put up a great resistance and was killed along with his entire clan. Or escape to the mountains, hide your identity, and wait for the right opportunity to act. But even if the country is restored, it will be many years later. But things are different now. I am afraid that the future unification and future overlords will all move towards this goal. There is no hope for the Xia family anymore. It is better to be the head of a snake than the tail of a phoenix. If it really comes to the point where it is irreversible, then leave. The world is so big, there is always a place that can accommodate them. It's better to be the ruler of a small country and be free. He didn't believe that Liuan would look down on these small countries. There are dozens of small countries around Dajing, most of which were overlords who enjoyed a reputation during the Warring States period. He didn't feel too much guilt. He could only say that Xia Cheng was unpopular and came to power by riding on Day's power. He killed countless people and made countless people hate him. It is no wonder that the second brother will abandon this kid. Thinking of his imprisoned second brother, Xia Chandong couldn't help but sigh. He really had no intention of rescuing him. When a husband and wife face a disaster, they will flee separately, let alone half-brothers. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but sneer. But a loud noise broke the silence of Shenhe Guan, and also broke his thoughts. A sudden explosion almost made him fall off his chair. He looked around, his eyes full of fear. As if he realized something, he rushed out of the room and 3 or 2 steps and saw the bright sky reflected in the sky. What followed was the incessant sound of bombing. The drums were struck and everyone was awakened. Enemy attack. The patrolling soldiers were shouting hysterically. The Xia brothers also ran out in a hurry. Dad, where did the enemy attack come from? Xia Chandong looked at the fire and couldn't help but gasp. It's the exit. The enemy is coming from behind. Xia Shen and his companions were also dumbfounded. Shenhe Guan was cut off by the 5,000-mile Great Wall, which meant that the enemy had to travel thousands of miles to launch a surprise attack from the rear. Dad, what should we do? Xia Shen was extremely panicked, but found that his father's face became ferocious. Because the checkpoint of heaven's punishment, which was known as the Insurmountable, had been blasted with a huge gap. The Jing dynasty lasted for more than 200 years. But in fact, a few hundred years earlier, the ancestors of the Jing dynasty prospered for more than 500 years relying on Shenhe Guan. It is also because of Shenhe Guan that we have the magnificent scenery we have today. At this moment, Shan-Ha-Guan, which had resisted countless enemies, was trembling under the intensive bombardment. Finally, the city gates could no longer withstand the bombardment and completely became a thing of the past. I don't know how many people were killed. The Great Wall has collapsed. However, they had no place to stand because the enemy's shelling had not ended yet. In the darkness, the tail flame of the shell was extremely clear, like a meteor. It looks gorgeous, but it is extremely terrifying. Hurry up. Prepare to fight back. Without much time to think, Xiatian Dong mounted his horse and gathered as many troops as possible. It's just that the enemy came suddenly. He couldn't understand why there was no warning. At this time, the shelling gradually stopped and he heard the sound of galloping horses outside. With the help of the light from the flares, enemies are everywhere within sight. Xiatian was shocked, so many people. Xiatian Dong took a deep breath and drew out his saber. When to meet on a narrow road, the brave will win. Let us meet the enemy. However, he forgot that Da Jing had long been eliminated by the times. The fighting style that he once took pride in had long been eliminated. His brave soldiers had already been turned into weaklings under the bombardment. The cavalry archers that once terrified the enemy can now not even touch the edge of the enemy's clothes. Yi Jun's war horses pulled the chariot, on which was mounted the NIU heavy machine gun. More than 200 NIU heavy machine guns were firing at the front. With its extremely long range and unparalleled power, the cavalry has become a moving target. Countless people were beheaded by bullets, fell off their horses, and were trampled into the mud by horses' hooves. No one could break through the line of fire. When Xiatian Dong reacted, he anxiously called everyone back, but there were heavy casualties. He fought back by having his men hide behind sandbags. But Yi Jun didn't give them any chance to breathe. Getting closer and closer, countless flares illuminated the sky, leaving them nowhere to hide. Well done. Wang Dabiao was smoking a cigarette. Although he looked a little tired, he was extremely excited. After taking a detour of 3,000 or 4,000 miles, leading a large army, and marching quickly to break through the enemy's defense line and arrive at the last line of defense in the depths of Dajing, how could he not be excited? All he knew was that he hadn't slept for 2 days and 2 nights. This is the moment we have been waiting for, an information gap. After destroying Shan-Ha-Guan, he was confident that he could completely capture Shengjing within 5 days. Push forward, push forward, push forward, push forward quickly. Wang Dabiao put out his cigarette. The moment the horses' hooves entered Shan-Ha-Guan, gunshots were heard. He checked his pocket watch. An hour. It went by faster than I expected. He looked at the wall behind him again. An insurmountable punishment? Times have changed. Commander, this is Xiatian Dong. Be quiet. The soldiers pressed down Xiatian Dong and his son and made them kneel in front of Wang Dabiao. General, I surrender. I am willing to serve day. Are you worthy? Wang Dabiao glanced at Xiatian Dong, whose face was covered in blood, and waved his hand. Detain them all. They will all be excellent laborers in the future. He did not even bother to count the casualties and hurriedly asked the main first to eat and rest. There are still 3 hours until dawn. Perhaps this is the last rest before taking Shengjing. As for the people in Shan-Ha-Guan, they were also temporarily detained together. Of course, they were not harmed, but they just didn't want the news to leak. At dawn, Wang Dabiao dragged his tired body and led the main force straight to Shengjing. Only 5,000 people were left to guard Shan-Ha-Guan. Hurry! Hurry! The unprecedented achievement is right before our eyes. My men, grit your teeth. The people behind us will catch up, attack Shengjing, eat delicious food and drink spicy drinks, and hug the noble women in Shengjing. Step on the emperor, break into the palace, and hug all those women. Wang Dabiao was in the front, constantly encouraging the soldiers. The soldiers were also as excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Everyone knows that 500 miles away is the heart of Dajing, Shengjing. If Shengjing is captured, Dajing will be truly destroyed. Their majesties are not far from becoming the emperor of a unified country, unprecedented and unrivaled. Chapter 476, Let Go and Fight Sun Wuji. There was a wave of people fleeing the disaster in Shengjing. I can't stop it. The furious Xiatian ordered all roads to be blocked, not allowing outsiders to come in or go out. The entire capital city was in panic. After Yi's army entered the hinterland, they captured more than 20 cities in 3 to 5 days. Many places fled at the sight of the enemy and offered no resistance at all. Fuzang King originally wanted to use his own death to provoke resistance from the people, but he did not expect that when he opened the city and surrendered, he was taken advantage of by those who were cowardly and afraid of death. People all say that even King Fu has opened the gates to surrender, so why should they resist? It's all for the people as long as Yi Jun doesn't harm the people. What does it matter if he endures some insults? This kind of speech is spreading rapidly. Some people would rather die than surrender, while others would kill their chief officers and open the city gates to pray for their lives. The whole scene seemed to have its backbone pulled out. Xiao Lai estimated that they would be able to reach Xingjing in at most half a month. Zhang Liujin said, "These people surrendered at the sight of the enemy. So it's hard to kill them. We are only responsible for fighting, not politics. Let the civil servants handle the rest." Xiao Lai knew what he was talking about. Zhang Liujin nodded. As long as the civil officials did not try to seize the power of the military generals, everyone would keep to themselves. I don't know how Wang Mazi is doing now, there has been no news for so many days. Xiao Lai whirled his short beard, feeling somewhat smug. What else can he do? He must have returned to Beijing to report. Zhang Liujin also smiled and said, "This time, he was just unlucky and didn't get any credit. After all, who could have thought that Xiaoji and Jia would interfere? Based on my understanding of Wang Mazi, he is not the kind of person who would suffer a loss. We should be careful. This guy is the best at stealing the credit," Xiao Lai said vigilantly. "We need to speed up the march." Zhang Liujin nodded. "If he dares to take the credit, I will report him to His Majesty." Wu Ji, the plague hasn't been cultivated yet? Xi Cheng's eyes were red. He hadn't slept for several nights. She looked extremely haggard, but his spirit was extremely excited. Sun Wuji frowned. "Your Majesty, have you taken the tiger and wolf medicine again? I'm asking you a question." Xir, Cheng said angrily. "No, it's not easy to cultivate this plague artificially. In fact, Sun Wuji had already stopped this plan. The enemy army had already reached the hinterland. If they poisoned it this time, not only Yi Jun would die, but they would also die." Sun Wuji didn't think he was so lucky to get away with it. But now, he has completely lost his patience with Xia Cheng, and he has already made arrangements in secret. He just waited for Yi Jun to arrive, and then he imprisoned Xia Cheng and brought out the emperor under the pretext of clearing out the imperial court. In this way, no one could say that he was a traitor. And he naturally had a good reputation. Even if he goes to Yiting in the future, he will not have any stain. However, he was a little afraid of the musketeers under Xia Cheng's command, which numbered more than 10,000. Therefore, you must be fast, accurate, and ruthless. Why hasn't my Uncle Wang come yet? It's been several days, Xia Cheng said with a gloomy expression. Just at this time, a letter from Shen He Iguan arrived. Xia Cheng took the reply letter impatiently, but after reading it, he was furious. Xia Yundong. What do you want to do? Sun Wuji frowned. Your Majesty, he said that there are traces of enemies in Shen He Iguan and that he cannot spare troops to defend the capital for the time being. He is willing to follow orders and not obey orders. What a bastard. Sun Wuji sneered in his heart, thinking that everyone was willing to die for their country like Fu Kenji King. But even a family as loyal and brave as the Fu family are just fools in Xia Cheng's eyes. No wonder those people would flee at the sight of this. Fu Zhang King's death was so unjust. It is not worth dying for such a person. Your Majesty, since he can't spare any troops, we can't do anything to him. Otherwise we will have no way to retreat, Sun Wuji reminded. If Xia Yundong rebelled at this critical moment, and things would be troublesome. Others will surrender even faster. Do you think I still have a way out now? Xia Cheng sneered. Traitors, they are all traitors. After cursing, he said dejectedly. What else can I do now? Otherwise, I can just surrender. However, Li Yuan will definitely not pay attention to me again. Otherwise, he would have replied long ago. Sun Wuji shook his head secretly and didn't say much. Only after Xia Cheng's emotions stabilized did he leave the palace. He knew that he didn't have much time left. At night, after Sun Wuji finished talking with his father, he was about to return to his room, but the confidant came to the door. What are you doing here so late? Sun Wuji frowned. Master, something big has happened. Someone has found Yi Jun's trace 30 miles away, said the man. Sun Wuji was shocked. Are you sure? How could Yi Jun arrive so quickly? How could I lie to you? These Yi troops did not come from the south, but from the north. Sun Wuji's eyes were filled with shock. How many people are there? There will be no less than 50,000 people. They must be the main force of Yi Jun. Sun Wuji took a deep breath. 50,000 Yi troops, that was half an army's strength. Everyone knows that days one division of 10,000 people can amount to an army of 200. 1 soldier can amount to an army of 2 to 3 million. There is no reason to dominate the world. He just couldn't understand how these people came here without anyone noticing. Suddenly Sun Wuji thought of a possibility. Shen He Iguan, Xia Yundong rebelled. During the day, Xia Yundong received a letter saying that Yi Jun would arrive in Xingjing at night. Who the hell would dare to believe such a coincidence? Master, what should we do? Sun Wuji's face looked extremely ugly. The sudden appearance of Yi Jun completely disrupted his plan. He had to advance his plan to purge the court. However, Xia Cheng was afraid of death, and had already deployed more than 10,000 musketeers in the palace, making it extremely difficult to break in by force. Fuck it, I'm going to give it a try. Sun Wuji didn't want to be a prisoner. He wanted to continue to be the superior if Yi Jun broke into the city. With the relationship between the Sun family and the court, he would definitely become a prisoner. You go and notify those people to come as soon as possible. I'll go to the palace now. Remember, you must be quick, or I will die. Master, rest assured this life of mine was given by you. Even if I die, I will not let you get hurt. The visitor left. Sun Wuji also immediately informed his father and brought all the women in the family into the tunnel. He put on inner armor under his clothes and then rode into the palace. Fortunately, he was deeply trusted by Xia Cheng, so he was not interrogated when he entered the palace. He was only allowed to enter after informing Xia Cheng. Xia Cheng took some strong drugs and released their effects on several concubines. He was exhausted and finally fell asleep. He was furious when he was awakened. But when he heard that Sun Wuji had something important to report, he suppressed his anger, put on his clothes and walked out of the palace, looking at Sun Wuji with a cold face. You broke into the palace at night, and if you don't give me a suitable reason, I will not forgive you. Chapter 477 Xia Cheng. Sudden death. Sun Wuji smiled bitterly. Your Majesty, something big has happened. Xia Cheng's heart skipped a beat. Don't keep me in suspense. Hu Baiyong has surrendered to the enemy. I have received accurate information that they will take action tonight. Sun Wuji said bitterly. Xia Cheng was stunned for a moment. Who is Hu Baiyong? He was his most trusted general. And half of the capital's troops were in his hands. The important task of defending the city was also entrusted to him. It was no exaggeration to say that if Hu Baiyong turned against him, he would be in trouble. Evidence. Although Xia Cheng was panicked, he did not believe Sun Wuji's one-sided statement. These days, Hu Baiyong has repeatedly written to your Majesty to ask him to move. This is his trick. He has already discussed with Yi Jun that if they set up an ambush during the transfer, they can easily capture and kill His Majesty. Sun Wuji made up the story effortlessly with an anxious look on his face, and his words were so certain that Xia Cheng already believed half of it. Our Shenjing is reinforced with cement, and is no worse than Liangjing city. Even artillery cannot break it in a short time. Hu Baiyong is greedy for life and afraid of death, and he sells out his master for fame and fortune. If he captures your Majesty and surrenders to him, he will enjoy endless wealth and glory in this life. If I break into the palace late at night, I will also risk being killed by him. Here, I and your Majesty share the same fate. How dare I deceive your Majesty? Looking at Sun Wuji, he burst into tears. Xia Cheng couldn't help but shudder. At this moment, he firmly believed that Hu Baiyong was rebelling. After all, Sun Wuji had no reason to lie to him. He and Sun Wuji have been close since childhood, and his sister is the queen, so they are in the same boat. Moreover, Sun Wuji came alone. This alone shows his loyalty and courage. He took 2 or 3 steps forward and held Sun Wuji's hand. Wuji, thank you for your hard work. If it weren't for you, I would still be kept in the dark. Sun Wuji shook his head and said, Your Majesty, the most urgent matter is not this. We must kill Hu Baiyong as soon as possible, otherwise, it will be over. Don't be afraid, I'm inside the palace. He can't break in. My more than 10,000 musketeers are no pushover. Xia Cheng patted Sun Wuji's hand. Your Majesty, the palace is big, but can it withstand a fire attack? Sun Wuji gritted his teeth and said, If I were Hu Baiyong, I would definitely not risk attacking the palace. He would definitely open the city gates and bring Yi Jun in. But isn't Yi Jun still hundreds of miles away? Your Majesty, are you sure that there is no Yi army outside the city? Sun Wuji shook his head. Otherwise, why would Hu Baiyong attack tonight? Although he has no siege weapons, it will be different if Yi army comes. If your Majesty were to stay in the palace at this moment, he would lose the initiative. You mean, Hu Baiyong has already lured Yi Jun here? Xia Cheng was shocked. Sun Wuji nodded heavily. I received news that someone found Yi Jun's trace 30 miles away. How dare you? Xia Cheng was completely panicked. Wuji, what should we do? Kill Hu Baiyong and seize the city gate. If we wait for Hu Baiyong to open the gate, we will die without a burial place. Sun Wuji said word by word. Speed is the essence of war, otherwise, we will be powerless. Xia Cheng shuddered all over. He had already taken too many strong drugs and had too much fun with the concubines. His head was a little dizzy when he heard Sun Wuji's words. He was already at a loss. He looked tired and dazed, sweating profusely, and looked like he was terminally ill. Come here, send out 8,000 men from the Musketeers division to kill Hu Baiyong immediately. If anyone resists on the way, kill them all. Your Majesty, are 8,000 men enough? 10,000 people. There are not enough of them. We must use our strength to suppress them. Give them a chance to react. We must catch them off guard. Sun Wuji said, send out 90 of the people. There are guards and musketeers in the palace. There will be no danger for a while. But if the city gates were opened, even if all these 15,000 musketeers were in the palace, they would not be able to hold out for long. Your Majesty, please do not be stingy with your military strength at this time. Xia Cheng's throne was originally seized by force, and he was most afraid that others would follow his example. At this moment, he gritted his teeth and said, "Leave 500 people to guard the palace, and the rest of the musketeers, all get out." Soon, the musketeers guarding the imperial city also rushed out quickly. As a result, not long after leaving the palace, they encountered a group of enemy troops. The battle started immediately. Hearing the fierce gunfire coming from a distance, Xia Cheng Xian sank. "Report, Your Majesty, the musketeers have discovered a large number of bandit troops on Qingxing Street and have engaged in a firefight. The enemy also has firearms." "Wu Baiyong, you traitor, I trusted you so much," Xia Cheng cursed, becoming more and more frightened. Sun Wuji said at this time, "Your Majesty, I will go outside to take a look." "Wuji, come back," Xia Cheng said nervously. Sun Wuji stopped and looked at him deeply. "Your Majesty, please believe me, we have passed so many tests before, and we will definitely pass this time as well. Please grant me the tiger talisman, Your Majesty, and I will go get reinforcements right away." Xia Cheng didn't think much about it, and was also afraid that the musketeers would fail. Since Hu Baiyong also had a musket in his hand, he could easily guess that it must be Yi Jun's support. This bastard had secretly formed a group of musketeers right under his nose. Thinking of this, he took out the tiger talisman and threw it to Xia Cheng. "Quickly integrate the other forces. Don't let the rebels succeed." "Yes, Your Majesty." With the tiger talisman in hand, Xia Cheng was overjoyed. With this tiger talisman, he can mobilize troops from the capital at will and replace his own people. He quickly left the palace and found his contact inside the palace. "Hurry up and wait beside the emperor, and find a way to kill him." "Yes, sir." A traitor disappeared into the darkness. Sun Wuji also changed his mind. Killing Xia Cheng was no big deal. He wanted to kill the old emperor as well. At that time, he, as the emperor's uncle, would support his sister as regent and push his nephew onto the throne. And he would be the regent's uncle. "And I can wait for an opportunity to surrender, which will save both myself and my sister. My little nephew still has a chance to survive. And I will feel justified if I tell everyone about it." Thinking of this, Sun Wuji grinned grimly, holding the tiger talisman and marching unhindered. His men killed their way into the palace. Xia Cheng was still waiting anxiously in the palace when he heard hurried footsteps outside. He thought it was his own people coming. Before he could be happy, he heard someone shouting outside, "Kill the dog emperor and offer him as a sacrifice to His Majesty Day." Xia Cheng was so frightened that his soul left his body and he peed and shit himself. Trembling, he took out the pistol that Liu Yuan had given him and shot him in the head several times. The guards in the palace also rushed forward quickly. However, there were not many people, and most of them had been transferred away by Xia Cheng. The guards were quickly killed, and the enemy troops, like wolves and tigers, entered the palace, looked at Xia Cheng, and shot his head through with an arrow. "The dog emperor is dead, brothers, chop off his dog head." Chapter 478. Hatch them all. Xia Cheng died with his eyes open. His head was chopped off, but his mouth was still opening and closing. He might also be wondering why the enemy army rushed into the palace so quickly. Perhaps Hu Baiyong had already colluded with people in the palace. But he just died like that. These thieves burned, killed, looted and bullied the palace maids in the palace, turning the palace into a living hell. Even the concubines in the harem were not spared. At the same time, the thieves broke into the bedroom of Emperor Xia but did not find him. There was chaos in the palace for a while. When Sun Wuji heard the news, he was also shocked. "Have you looked for it?" "I've searched everywhere, but I can't find it. This old emperor is cunning. He must be hiding. Don't worry about him. Let the troops in and drive those people out. Hu Baiyong is dead, and I have already integrated the troops." Sun Wuji gave instructions and led his troops into the palace, staging a great drama of saving the Lord. However, Xia Cheng's leader was separated and his death was particularly tragic. Most of the palace maids were humiliated. Even the concubines were no exception. Fortunately, the queen and several little princes were safe and sound. Sun Wuji acted promptly and let the empress govern the country and nominated his eldest nephew as the crown prince. The whole thing went smoothly and no one could say anything wrong. Those ministers also came to the palace, and those who did not come were all beheaded. At this moment, Hu Baiyong was dead, and Sun Wuji, as the king's brother-in-law, held the tiger talisman and held great power. Who dares to oppose him? However, before the situation in the palace was settled, Yi Jun had already arrived. But Sun Wuji had already made preparations. He sent people to contact Yi Jun early on, but Yi Jun was very cautious and did not trust him so easily. Sun Wuji's method was very simple. He let Yi Jun bombard for a while, and then he lead everyone to surrender, so that no one would notice. The sudden and fierce bombardment outside frightened everyone in the palace. Sun Wuji had already pushed all the blame onto Hu Baiyong, and everyone thought that Hu Baiyang was colluding with Yi Jun. Everyone looked at Sun Wuji in panic. Sun Wuji was secretly proud in his heart. This time he gave it a try and the effect was very good. He first ordered people to guard the city. Half an hour later, the city wall collapsed. The situation was hopeless, so Sun Wuji decided to surrender after being persuaded by everyone. But the excuse was also very legitimate, to protect the people, the queen and the prince. Anyway, the fault lies with the traitor Hu Baiyang, and they had no choice. Everyone understood it tacitly. Even some smart people have guessed the truth, but no one dared to say a word. Because they don't want to die either. Captain Sun Wuji has come out with the queen and the crown prince to surrender. Commander, the drawbridge has been lowered. Wang Dabiao scratched his head. Damn it, Sun Wuji actually did it. After all, it's because he's afraid of death. However, this guy is also a ruthless person. Commissioner He Liqiao heard several important pieces of information from his subordinates' reports. Sun Wuji brought the queen and the crown prince out to surrender. But not the emperor. In other words, the emperor is gone. That's good, it saves us a lot of effort, reduces the killing, and allows us to capture more young laborers for the court. Wang Dabiao likes military exploits and does not like indiscriminate killing. Living laborers are valuable. However, the army did not set out immediately, but instead tentatively sent a vanguard team to control the situation. Only after confirming that there were no traps did the main force enter the city. Looking at Sun Wuji, the queen, the crown prince and other royal family members kneeling on the ground, Wang Dabiao was also satisfied. From today on, there will be no more dodging. The battle was not very fierce, and the number of casualties among the soldiers defending the city did not exceed 3,000. However, when Yi's army entered the city, they were forced to take off their armor. The people in the city were also extremely frightened, but fortunately Wang Dabiao issued a military order that the people of Xinjiang would not be harmed at all, which made the people less frightened. In view of the fact that Sun Wuji surrendered in time, Wang Dabiao did not make things difficult for the Sun family. Instead, he promoted him and let him lead the way. Of course, after marching for so long, the soldiers were already hungry and thirsty. Everything in the palace was also emptied. Even Emperor Xia, who had been hiding, was caught. Oh, they even dug a tunnel. Wang Dabiao sneered and lifted up Emperor Xia. That's good. If His Majesty asks, I can explain it. Emperor Xia was terrified. He never expected that the tunnel he dug would be discovered. He had no idea what was going on outside, but he sensed something was wrong 2 days ago and hid here immediately. You, who are you? Who am I? Have you never seen my portrait? Wang Dabiao laughed grimly and slapped Xia on the face. Someone send him to Liang Jingit. That's better than letting him die. Emperor Xia was slapped and half of his face was swollen. Only then did he recognize who the rough man in front of him was. Wang Dabiao, Yi Jun has broken in. Emperor Xia looked dazed. When he left the palace, looking at the ruins and blood on the ground, he could not help cursing. You rebellious son, you rebellious son, you have ruined the prosperity of our country for hundreds of years. You rebellious son. Although he hated Xia Cheng, he did not blame him. The fact that he was able to fight back just showed that he was capable. Being an emperor requires one to be ruthless and cruel. Although he was the emperor, this guy, apart from coming to anger and humiliate him every now and then, never stopped providing him with women and wine. Rebellious son, your rebellious son should have been beheaded long ago, said Yi Jun, who escorted him. Ed? Yes, he died a miserable death. His head was chopped off. Yi Jun ridiculed him, not caring about his feelings at all. Emperor Xia was completely silent. He knew that dodging was finished. Completely finished. He just didn't expect it to happen so soon. It has been 3 months since they sent out troops. It's a pity that I didn't do my best to destroy Biaoyang back then, which led to the disaster. Today things have changed. Lu Yuan, you will not die well. Damn it, he insulted His Majesty. The guarding soldier was not in a good mood. He knocked out his teeth with one punch, causing Emperor Xia to cry in pain. Also escorted away were Emperor Xia's wives, concubines, and sons. The entire royal family, except those who led troops outside, were captured in one fell swoop. When Sun Wuji saw this scene, he just sneered, because his son family was intact. Moreover, Wang Dabiao promised him that he would find him an official position if he went today. In return, he would help Wang Dabiao take control of the Jingxiao area and force those areas that were resisting stubbornly to surrender. As for his nephew, he will most likely be kept in captivity to appease the people. I heard that Li Yuan likes married women. When you go today, you must seize the opportunity. Also leaving with them was Sun Wuji's sister, Queen Sun. Empress Sun remained silent. Sun Wuji added, if you don't consider yourself, you should also consider the child. Besides, serving a tyrant like Li Yuan is not an injustice to you. Chapter 479. The 3 armies were in an uproar. The news soon reached Shanglai. Fuck him. Shanglai slammed the table. His nose crooked with anger. I knew it, I knew this bastard had bad intentions. Zhang Liujin asked. What's the matter? Why are you so angry? We're finished, all finished. Shanglai kept slamming the table, shaking the things on it all over the place. What's over? Zhang Liujin looked at the out-of-control Shanglai. He had never seen him so angry since the beginning of the expedition, so he said, did the front line suffer a defeat? Even if it is a local defeat. It is normal. Losing a battle is more terrible than losing a battle, Shanglai cursed angrily. The people around were all confused. Commander, there is nothing more terrible than losing a battle on Tiscaras. Our home has been robbed. Our home has been robbed. Shanglai spread the intelligence he had just obtained on the table. Zhang Liujin took it and looked at it, then kicked the table in front of him over. Fuck him, Wang Mazi, you are not a human being. Still feeling unsatisfied. He pulled out a knife and smashed the table into pieces. You bastard, you have no shame. The people around were stunned again. Seeing the army commander and the commissioner like this, all the division-level cadres in the tent were dumbfounded. It's more than shameless, it's the most shameless thing in the world. This bastard, I must kill him. I saw that the two of them were cursing more fiercely than each other. Someone picked up the intelligence on the ground and started reading it. After reading it, he couldn't help but curse. Shameless, so shameless. The emotional outburst was even more serious than digging up their ancestral graves. For a moment, the entire tent was filled with greetings. The soldiers guarding outside the tent couldn't help but take a few steps back, fearing that they would be affected. After a while, the cursing in the tent subsided a little, and Shanglai gritted his teeth and said, this is against the rules. He fights his Shangnu, and I fight my Dajing, damn it. We worked so hard on the front line to fight for our lives, and when we were just one step away, he took Shengjing directly. At the end, he even wrote a hypocritical letter to apologize to me. I'm going to fuck him. No one can bear this. They want full success. Most of the soldiers in the three armies are new recruits, all hoping to get promoted and make money through such great achievements. What Wang Dabiao did was not just stealing credit, it was even more excessive. There are many veterans in the army, and they have the best of everything, so let them chew the toughest bones. Now they turn around and bully the three armies. If he doesn't have any attitude, how will his subordinates see him? They would think that Shanglai is a coward who cannot even protect the interests of his subordinates. We can't just let this matter go like this. Shanglai gritted his teeth. Yes, we can't just let it go like this. Zhang Liujin was furious. Normally, he likes to grab the credit, so I don't bother to argue with him, but now he's going too far. I'm not afraid even if I have to go to court before His Majesty. Damn Wang Mazi, he always does shitty things. Do our three armed forces need his help? In half a month at most, we will be able to surround Shengjing. If we hadn't fought to the death in front, how would he have had the chance to attack from behind? We agreed to fight on our own. It's too embarrassing to be popular. Everyone agreed with this. Although, we are all family. But it is precisely because they are our own people that this matter is difficult to deal with. It is understandable that people want to take credit for something. But they have already reached the heartland, and they are only one step away from encircling Shengjing and achieving great success. You, Wang Mazi, are the only ones who want to make progress, and others are not worthy of making progress? This credit is not so easy to get. Not only will I make sure that he doesn't get the credit, I will also make him be punished. Shanglai took a deep breath. Even though they had been brothers for many years, he could not give in. Old bear, let's not talk about other things for now. All the credit can be put aside for now. Let us fight the battle first, so as not to make a fool of ourselves. When the matter is settled, he will go to the court before His Majesty and bring disaster to Wang Mazi. Shanglai was in a state of turmoil, and Zhang Liujin, as the official committee member, naturally could not follow him. Always put the overall situation first and don't let others laugh at you. This matter was definitely Wang Dabiao's fault. If he had informed everyone in advance, no one would be so angry. Shanglai was smoking a cigarette, looking extremely annoyed. What we need to do now is how to tell this matter to our brothers, Zhang Liujin said. Wang Mazi has already taken the greatest benefit. It's no use saying more, Shanglai said in a muffled voice. It has already happened. Do you still want to turn against Wang Mazi and fight against your own people? Or do you want to learn from him and steal the credit of the second army? Zhang Liujin took a deep breath. Fight the battle we should fight and appease our brothers. If it doesn't work, let the brothers grab more. What's the point of robbing? The most fertile places have been taken. If we go there, we won't even be able to get a sip of soup. Shanglai felt more and more miserable the more he thought about it. He immediately wrote a letter and asked someone to send it to Liangjing urgently. Zhang Liujin gestured to the others, indicating that they should go first, while he stayed in the camp to appease Shanglai. Lao Zhang, it's not that I'm ignorant, it's just that I've gone too far. Normally, it's okay for us to suffer a little loss, we are all brothers, but now I can't stand it anymore. You talk about the overall situation. How can I not have a sense of the overall situation? The sooner I unify the world, the pressure on the court will be reduced. But damn, isn't it just for this last shudder that the brothers fought through life and death? Now it's all gone. How do you want me to explain this to my brothers? I asked them to be patient. Okay? Can I fucking say that? What do you guys think of me? They would say Sean Lai is a coward who dared not say a word when his credit was taken away by others. I understand, Zheng Liujin said, but you can't make a big deal out of this matter. If you're not careful, it's very easy to cause trouble. Once something goes wrong, a good thing turns into a bad thing. Sean Lai finally calmed down and said, you can say it yourself, I can't say it. Zheng Liujin nodded and could only speak for himself. He was thinking about what he could do to reduce the impact of this incident. Wang Dabiao was indeed a bastard. He took over Xingjing quietly and won the first place all by himself. Leave their 3 armies here. If he told the truth, the soldiers of the 3 armies would be furious. The soldiers' complaints are small, but the impact on military morale is big. Isn't it just for the last moment that everyone is fighting desperately on the front line? But if he didn't tell the truth and covered up for Wang Mazi, he would not be able to get over it and he couldn't swallow this humiliation. So, he came to the center of the camp, holding a loudspeaker, gathered everyone together, and told them the truth of the matter. However, his words were not harsh and he did not say that Wang Mazi was stealing the credit, but even so, the whole camp was in an uproar. The entire camp was filled with voices greeting Wang Dabiao's ancestors. Then why are we risking our lives to come here? If it's just an army providing cover, why would we risk our lives so much? Chapter 480, Big Disaster. That's right, we agreed on it at the beginning. If he was not satisfied, why didn't he let us go to fight the Huns? Everyone knows that the Xiongnu are a tough nut to crack and a great merit your majesty trusts him. So he gave them this hardest bone to crack. We can only pick on the weak. Now that their credit has been taken away, they come to steal our credit. How unworthy of a human being. Inside the camp, everyone started cursing. When Xiao Ji and Jia launched a surprise attack on Lanzhong City, no one said anything because she was not in the Yi army's ranks and did not know the court's arrangements. She led her troops to launch a surprise attack before the imperial court. Moreover, she was a woman who drove out the Huns and made great military achievements. Many people admired her. Wang Dabiao suffered a loss, but he could only say that he was unlucky. But didn't he kill so many Huns later? If you say that your contribution is not enough, can you come and have a share of the pie? That's easy to say. We are all brothers, and we all want to end the war quickly, but you can't take the biggest piece of me quietly. I know everyone is angry, but now that things have come to this, we still have to fight all the battles we have to fight. We must not only fight beautifully, but also show the might of our 3 armies. Zheng Liujin said loudly. Don't worry about this matter, the commander and I will never let it go. If Wang Mazi doesn't give our army an explanation, we will go to His Majesty to file a complaint. Even if I have to resign from this position, I will still give an explanation to my brothers. The crowd's emotions were not calmed by these words. Zheng Liujin didn't say much. If he didn't vent his anger, it would be detrimental to the subsequent war. Fortunately, the soldiers under the day system had iron wills. In the next few days, everyone vented their anger on the enemy. The original rhythm accelerated. Sean Lai turned a blind eye to some bad things. He knew that everyone was holding a fire in their hearts, and if they didn't vent it, there would most likely be big problems. If the time comes and they target an army, it will be a huge trouble. When the matter was brought to His Majesty, their reasons became unreasonable. He gained 6 pounds without saying a word. According to today's rules, this was absolutely not allowed. 3 days later, Zheng Liujin issued another order to stop the meaningless killing, looting and humiliation. 10 days later, the 3 armies completely captured all the cities in the heart of Dajing. Wang Dabiao controlled the Jingshao area and was the first to go to welcome the brother army. However, Sean Lai stepped forward and punched him twice. These 2 punches were so hard that they knocked out all of Wang Dabiao's teeth. What you do? Why would you hit someone for no reason? The soldiers were also furious when they saw this. What are you doing? I'm going to beat this bastard. Sean Lai cursed. You're trying to steal the credit of the 3 armies. Have you asked for their opinions? You bastard. You like to take credit for things on weekdays. That's because His Majesty values you, and we can't beat you, so there's nothing to say. My brothers in the 3 armies were fighting desperately in the front, but you were so awesome that you launched a surprise attack, captured Xingjing, and even returned the prisoners to Beijing. How do you want me to explain this to my brothers? How do you want me to explain this to His Majesty? Are you, Wang Dabiao, the only one who knows how to fight? Wang Dabiao was punched twice and spat, but he knew he was in the wrong. When he received Sean Lai's letter, he knew that he might have really gone too far in this matter, and that his good brother and good friend might be really angry. Old bear. Did you call me old bear? Sean Lai sneered. Wang Mazi, let me tell you, our brotherhood is over. From now on, you go your way, and I go my way. This matter is not over yet, wait. Having said that, he left with his men without even entering Shengjing. The people from the three armies looked at the first army with contempt and anger on their faces. Lao Zhang, I know you want to improve. And I know you're good at fighting, but you really went too far this time. You don't have us brothers in your heart at all. You alone have blocked the future of my brothers in the three armies. And you still want us to speak nicely to you? What Shanglai said is exactly what I want to say. If we didn't want to make things look bad, we wouldn't have come here at all. Zhang Liujin shook his head and turned away. Wang Dabiao also regretted it very much. He knew that it would be difficult to take the credit. The destruction of Dajing would have been a great joyous event. But after this incident, no one felt happy at all, and instead the brothers turned against each other. Wang Dabiao was beaten but didn't dare to say a word. He just thought about how to calm down his anger. He said to He Li Chao, if it really doesn't work, let's give half the credit. He Li Chao smiled bitterly. Do you think it's feasible? If it's a loss of face for the three armies, will they accept the food handed down out of pity? I didn't think that much at first. It's too late to say that now. He Li Chao sighed. After all, it's all concubine Xiao's fault if it weren't for her. Although Wang Dabiao likes merit, he is not stupid. It's not her fault, she just wants to make merit. Besides, she doesn't know the court's arrangements. If I had known this would happen, I would have stayed at the border and waited for the main force of the Huns to arrive. It's a mistake to be greedy for credit. This time we are in trouble. It was not too difficult to attack Xingjing. It would not matter if we gave up half the credit, or even most of it. But Shanglai had already fallen out with him. And this matter was difficult to resolve. At this time, Lianjing has entered early winter. This year's winter came late. If it were in previous years, it would have snowed long ago and the cold would have been unbearable. This year, however, there is no sign of it getting colder. Still 2 pieces of clothing. But Li Yuan was still in a good mood. Last month, 3 prisoner presentation ceremonies were held. The 6 or 700,000 prisoners effectively resolved Li Yuan's urgent needs. It is only a matter of time before Da Qian returns to the leaves. But he is not ready to accept it yet. The work at Dajing was also progressing smoothly. He estimated that it would be completed in 10 days or half a month at most. The battle went more smoothly than he had imagined. The Axian is quite tenacious, but we can still defeat them in 2 months at most. Come to think of it, in the past few years, he has exhausted the resources of the 2 countries, forced them to sign a humiliating agreement, and once again plundered the wealth of the 2 countries. Coupled with natural disasters and man-made calamities, their combat effectiveness has been reduced again and again. This is also expected. It's a pity that it may not be possible to achieve unification within this year. But even so, the speed was much faster than he expected. Report, Your Majesty, a letter from Shengjing. Liu Su delivered the urgent news to Liu Yuan. When Liu Yuan opened it, he was stunned. He then slammed the document on the table and cursed. Wang Dabiao, what the hell are you doing? When he saw the letter, he knew that Wang Dabiao was in trouble. And this time it was a big disaster. Chapter 481 Xiaoyan goes down the mountain. Master, the people from the religious administration office are here again. The old eunuch walked into the Sand King Hall and sighed. They said that we should go down the mountain to register our information, otherwise, they will overthrow our Taoist temple as a Lu temple, disturbing my peace. Xiaoyan opened his eyes. We live in seclusion in the mountains, what do we have to do with them? They want to include all temples in the world. I also heard that they have cancelled all preferential treatment for monks, and even monks have to pay taxes. If we want to stay at Yanlang Mountain, we have to pay taxes to the court. A hint of anger appeared on Xiaoyan's face. Didn't they say that day doesn't have harsh taxes? Then what is this? Well, the arm cannot bend the thigh. You go and get them some yellow and white things, so that they will not disturb the quiet place. Master, I have tried, but they don't agree. If we don't go down the mountain and accept supervision, they will drive us down the mountain. The old eunuch said helplessly. I also heard some news related to the eldest princess. Xiaoyan's heart moved. What news? A few days ago, Liu Yuan asked the princess to take the Shao clan back to Bianjing. The princess cleaned up the court again. Yang Ji is dead. Including the new party, all of them were killed by the princess. Xiaoyan sighed. It's just justice. It's a pity that it's too late to kill him. They don't care about not killing, although they advocate governing by inaction. They also care about doing what they want. A new party is a scar in his heart, and even after so many years, he still feels resentful about it. If it weren't for the new party, how could Da Qian have fallen into its current state? How could it lead to chaos in the world and cause countless people to leave their homes? Yes, they all say that the princess is amazing. The old eunuch smiled and then said, however, the eldest princess is angry inside and seems to have done something bad to the Shao family. Xiaoyan raised an eyebrow. What did you do? She allowed Yang Tao to kill many people, and also, don't hesitate. Just speak. They also castrated all the males in the clan, not sparing a single one, the old eunuch said anxiously. Xiao Yan was stunned, and asked in disbelief, Jia, how could it be? That's what I heard. Where's her mother? Why didn't she stop her? The old eunuch smiled bitterly and said, I can't stop it because… Seeing him hesitating, Xiao Yan became anxious. Just tell me. Master, the queen, she seems to have done something she shouldn't have done. He lowered his voice and said something, and Xiao Yan's face suddenly changed. I knew it. I knew it. Xiao Yan stood up from the mat abruptly, raging with anger. This slut has the intention to harm me. She wants to harm me. The old eunuch shrank his neck, looked at Master San King, and then looked at Xiao Yan, who was furious. Master San King is watching. Xiao Yan reacted, suppressed his anger, strode into the courtyard, and roared 3 times. Only then did he feel better. How is that slut now? It is said that the evil creature was thrown to death in court and then went crazy, said the old eunuch. Good fall. Good death. Xiao Yan had never thought that he had let a slut go because of a moment of thought. This slut even wanted to harm Xiao Jia. She was really a piece of shit. Didn't Xiao Jia come out of her belly? Speak, tell me everything you know. The old eunuch nodded and could only tell everything he knew. After listening, Xiao Yan said, Go down the mountain. Master, my worldly affairs are not yet over, and I have concerns in my heart. Even Master San King cannot save me. A fierce light flashed in Xiao Yan's eyes. Those people bullied my daughter. How can I let them go? But the princess is not in Bianjing now, so it will be useless for you to go there, said the old eunuch. Let's not go to Bianjing, let's go to Liangjing. Xiao Yan said, Go and wait for her to come back. Master, our Daqian is gone. The old eunuch cried. If it's gone, we couldn't defend it anyway. Xiao Yan didn't care who owned Daqian now. The situation was clear. He had finally embarked on the road to unification. If Lu Yuan hadn't died halfway, this would have been accomplished. But what can you do if you become the emperor? Xiao Yan sneered and looked up at the sky above his head. You are still sitting in a well and looking at the sky. He couldn't help but think of some long-forgotten things. The Taoist priest's advice was one thing, but what really made him give up the throne was not just the advice. The truth has been obscured. The world is in a fog, and no one can see the way back clearly. Xiao Yan hasn't been down the mountain for many years. When he went up the mountain, he did not hesitate, and when he went down the mountain, his steps were just as firm. Master, but the Taoist priest, he is also a human, not a god. If there is a true god in the world, why do people suffer so much? Xiao Yan said calmly. The old eunuch gritted his teeth and followed, looking back at the gym behind him with some reluctance. He knew that after this trip, he would probably never have the chance to come back. The scenery at the foot of the mountain is not as good as at the top. It just has a strong smell of fireworks. Not far from Qianlang Mountain, a new county town was built with a population of about 70,000 to 80. This small county town actually has a towering city wall. Looking from a distance, if you didn't know better, you would think you had entered the best place in a state. With the coming of winter, there is no phenomenon of less clothing and less food. On the contrary, the local people have ruddy complexions and sufficient blood, and it seems that they are living a good life. Xiao Yan was amazed. No wonder Day was able to dominate the Middle Earth so quickly. If the people in this remote county can live so well, how much better would the lives of the people be the closer they are to Day's hinterland? The old eunuch said, They are living quite well. The local people do not have to pay harsh taxes, the grain tax has been abolished, and they do not have to do corvée. How can the country function without grain taxes? How can major projects be run without corvée labor? Xiao Yan asked. This I don't know much about it. I heard from local people that Day has its own grain plots, which employ local people to cultivate it. It also has several high-yield staple foods, and its annual output is 3 to 5 times that of rice. 1 year can produce what is needed for 3 to 5 years. As for corvée labor, they were all prisoners of war. 1 prisoner replaced 1 family, and they could be exempted from corvée labor for at least 20 years. Xiao Yan nodded. The country is in chaos, with countless casualties, and the land is vast and sparsely populated, so this method is indeed feasible. It turns out that Lu Yuan is indeed the one who is destined to have the calamity. How amazing! However, if you go against the will of heaven, I am afraid that even greater disasters will befall you. Master, what do you mean? Xiao Yan shook his head. You don't need to know what it means. Chapter 482. Fleet arrives in Beijing. The old eunuch didn't know why his master was always worried. It must be a good thing that the eldest princess is with the overlord of Middle-earth. The world was truly unified, and the princess's status also rose. It's a pity that the princess did not give birth to a prince. If he had been a prince, he might have been able to inherit Day. But there is still hope. The disaster that the Taoist priest talked about must have passed. So, what does a greater disaster mean? Let's go to Liangjing. Zhao Yan didn't care about the prosperity of the city, he even felt a little compassionate for the world, and his inner sorrow was lingering. How long can this prosperity last? He didn't know, and even felt a little desperate. At this time, at Liangjing Wharf. In December, Lu Yuan received news that Lu Jian and Chen Hai had arrived in Donghai, so he decided to return to Liangjing. The intelligence described in detail the customs and habits of the Yu dynasty, which were not much different from those in Middle-earth. However, because it has been closed for too long, development is very slow. It also comes with a relatively complete map of the Yu dynasty and a map of the surrounding areas of the Yu dynasty. Li Yuan was so shocked at that time, it turned out to be true. Who the hell could have imagined that there was such a huge land in the ocean thousands of miles away? Although it is not as big as Middle-earth, how big is Middle-earth? If compared with the largest bear country in my previous life, its territory is still larger than theirs. Even in the Yu dynasty, the land area was at least more than 6 million square kilometers. Including small countries and 3 medium-sized countries, it should be more than 9 million square kilometers. It is said that he also had a letter from the Emperor of Yu dynasty and a gift prepared by the Emperor of Yu dynasty himself. The two countries signed a maritime trade agreement, jointly developed an island chain, and so on. If Yu Chao is real, then that Yu Yan should be the same as me. In the days since he received the letter, Li Yuan couldn't sleep and summoned Li to the palace for discussions several times. Li also knew that it was only a matter of time before Dai unified China, so he did not bother to establish diplomatic relations with other countries. Instead, he stayed in Liangjing peacefully and enjoyed life. There are so many delicious foods and fun things to do here, the girls are pretty, and the locals say good things about it. He likes it here very much. Moreover, Emperor Dai was also very kind to him, he would invite him to dinner every now and then and reward him with treasures and beauties. He is also very handsome. If the two countries can form an alliance through marriage in the future, it will be a powerful combination and they will dominate the world in the near future. Look, the fleet is returning, and he has come too. This time, there was also a second caravan from the Yu dynasty coming, and he also received the letter. His Majesty said that he should be temporarily stationed in Dai and replaced every 5 years. Here they come, here they come, here they come. Wu Sun pointed ahead and shouted. At that moment, people on both sides cheered. Li Yuan was in a good mood. In his imagination, the Yu dynasty was a country that would not be conquered, at least for the next 10 years. Wanli is beyond Dai's reach. This is the land of Middle-earth. If you want to manage it well, you need to put in countless efforts. There will inevitably be a war with the Huns. If we win, Dai's territory will more than double again. Such a vast area would take a day or two to fly even by plane. There is absolutely no need to divert our energy to deal with the Yu dynasty. As long as Yu Chao doesn't mess around, Li Yuan is still very happy to have fun with Yu Chao. The fleet was getting closer. Chen Hai and Lu Jian looked at each other and laughed at the same time. Finally, I'm back. Yes, I'm finally back. Chen Hai felt a little emotional. In just about a year, Dai had almost unified Middle-earth. Hearing the cheers from the shore, Chen Hai couldn't help but straighten his back. Lu Jian also saw the banners held by the Lu people, and he was extremely excited. He thought that he would be rewarded handsomely when he returned this time. But he did not expect such a scene. The fleet docked safely. Li Yuan raised his hand, and the orchestra behind him hurriedly played music. Compared to when Chen Hai returned from a long voyage, this time the ceremony felt more grand, and it was also Li Yuan's way of making up for Chen Hai's regret. Hey Zai! I've been waiting for you for a long time. Seeing Chen Hai, Li Yuan shouted from afar. Moreover, Li Yuan did not hold himself up to his status and wait for Chen Hai to come over and greet him, but walked towards them. Your Majesty! Chen Hai was deeply moved and stepped forward quickly. Brother, I have been waiting for you for a long time. The same words sounded different to Lu Jian. He suppressed his excitement and knelt down. Your humble servant Lu Jian has lived up to your Majesty's expectations. I have returned safely from my mission to the Yu dynasty. Get up, everyone. Li Yuan helped the two of them up. He looked at his entourage and said, thank you for your hard work. I will always remember your contributions today. And he waved to everyone on the boat and said, comrades, thank you for your hard work. The country will not forget you. And the people will not forget your outstanding contributions. Serve His Majesty, serve the people. Everyone on the boat stood up straight and responded in unison. The people around couldn't help but cheer. Afterwards, he met with the envoys from the Yu dynasty. This time, Li Yuan did not step forward, but stood there waiting. Lu Jian introduced, Your Majesty. This is His Majesty Yu Chao's younger brother, King Han Yukong. This one is Princess Ba Yuyi. Yukong pays homage to His Majesty the Emperor Dai. Yukong said respectfully. Yu Yi's beautiful eyes kept wandering over Li Yuan. Greetings to His Majesty the Emperor of Dai. These two siblings. The boy is handsome and the girl is beautiful. which shows that the genes of the royal family of the Yu dynasty are still very good. No need to be polite, Li Yuan said with a smile. You have been exhausted from the journey. I will hold a banquet in the palace. Please follow me back to the palace. He held Yu Kong's hand to show his appreciation. Yu Yi blinked her big eyes. Your Majesty, why don't you hold my hand? Li Yuan was stunned. This is inappropriate. Your Majesty values my brother but not me? Yu Yi said again. Li Yuan was a little surprised and glanced at Yu Kong. Yu Kong said, Your Majesty, my sister was ordered to come here for marriage. He is yours. And men and women should not be intimate with each other. It is not suitable for the two of you. Li Yuan knew about this matter, and Chen Hai also mentioned it in his letter. But he did not expect Yu Yi to be so bold. Are all girls from the Yu dynasty so unrestrained? Yes, for the girls of our Yu dynasty. If we like someone, we like him, and if we don't like someone, we don't like someone, we don't like him. We don't need a dowry from the man. If he wants to give a dowry, we will also return a dowry of equal value. If you meet someone you like, you can express your love boldly, Yu Kong explained. Li Yuan thought about it and said, whether to marry or not. I still need to consider it. If I marry her, it will be difficult for her to marry in the future. After saying that, Yu Yi didn't care and took Li Yuan's hand. Just marry, Your Majesty, don't worry, I don't eat people. Li Yuan was a little confused, but then he couldn't help laughing. This little girl is really a wonderful person. Chapter 483 Yu Yan's letter. A's ministers were also confused. A had never seen such an unreserved princess. But seeing how happy Li Yuan was, no one said anything. But it is certain that there is contempt in the heart. When they arrived at the palace, Li Yuan entertained the group warmly. The people of the Yu dynasty could not help but sigh with admiration at the prosperity of Middle-earth. Yu Kong stood up and raised his wine glass. More than 2,000 years ago, our ancestors left Middle-earth and headed for the New World. After settling down, they lost their way. Today, more than 2,000 years later, I stand in the most prosperous place in Middle-earth, having finally fulfilled the wish of my ancestors. Along the way, I also felt the customs and people of Middle-earth. Thank you, His Majesty Emperor Day, for the hospitality. Yu Kong, on behalf of the people of the Yu dynasty, offers a toast to His Majesty, wishing Day eternal prosperity. Good. Li Yuan was also in a good mood and raised his glass. I also toast to you and Yu Chao, and wish that the friendship between Day and Day Yu will last forever. Everyone raised their glasses. After a few drinks, people on both sides were chatting away. But today is not the day to discuss business, so after entertaining them, they were sent to the reception hall. Yu Yi also said that she wanted to stay in the palace, but Li Yuan refused. Although the little girl was very proactive, Li Yuan did not let his guard down. He left Chen Hai and Lu Jian behind. Here, this is the hangover soup, drink it first. Thank you, Your Majesty. After drinking the sobering soup, they both felt much better. Tell me about your trip to Yu dynasty. I am very interested in that sea area. In fact, Li Yuan did not believe at first that there was a sea area that could block the fleet. It was not until Chen Hai came back this time that he believed it. Chen Hai recalled, that sea area is very strange, with frequent mirages. If we were not well equipped, it would not be able to get out. Moreover, when we arrived at a certain area, objects such as the compass would fail and we could not determine our coordinates. We did an experiment and found that the magnetic field there is very chaotic. Li Yuan nodded. There are actually quite a few such places. The sea is extremely strange. Even in later generations, the exploration of the ocean is only 1 in 100. For example, the famous Devil's Triangle. There are countless shipwrecks. That explains it, Li Yuan said, but how did they determine the direction? Fish, they found a kind of sea fish that can point even in that area with disordered magnetic field. It can accurately point out the direction. It is thanks to this kind of sea fish that we can break out of that area. Chen Hai, I explained. Interesting. Li Yuan touched his chin. He just felt it was magical. This kind of fish that can point in direction has always existed. However, there were indeed strong winds and heavy rains in that area. Fortunately, our ship was large. If a normal small fleet had gone there, it would have definitely sunk. Chen Hai still had lingering fears when he recalled these 2 voyages. Yes, it was terrible, just like the sky was falling. Lu Jian was also terrified, but fortunately, there are several islands along the way where we can stay once they are developed. It will save a lot of effort. Li Yuan then asked for some more details. Chen Hai put down the various books he had collected in Yujingji and took out a letter. Your Majesty, this is what the Empress of Yu dynasty asked me to pass on to you. Li Yuan took the letter and nodded. Go back and reunite with your family. Have a good rest for a month. The reward will be sent to your home tomorrow. The two looked at each other. Both were overjoyed. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will take my leave. After they left, Li Yuan looked at the books piled up in front of him. He picked up a few at random and flipped through them. They were all stories about the Yu dynasty. There is no rush for these, you can take your time to read them. He now wanted to know how Yu Yan would respond to him. I checked the envelope and confirmed that it was correct before opening it. The first sentence made Lu Yuan laugh. The content is as follows. Hello, Emperor Day. I am the Emperor of the Yu Dynasty. When you broke into the Heavenly Palace that year, why didn't I see you in the Ling Xiao Palace? Li Yuan couldn't help but burst out laughing back then. Monkey King really didn't break into the Ling Xiao Palace. This guy really understood the joke. When I was sleeping, you disturbed my sweet dreams, so I sent people to the west to let the Buddha Tatha got a deal with you. If I knew you were from the same hometown, I would definitely not punish you. This empress is quite interesting. I heard she is also very beautiful. Li Yuan touched his chin and took out the portrait of the empress sketched by Chen Ha. This way I can feel more involved. If we meet up sometime, let's have a chat. I'll tell you, I can rap. The book you wrote is quite good, better than the original version. But I like more violent articles. All female-oriented articles are like this and yours is not rough enough. Next time we meet, I will teach you how to write a book. These country bumpkins have never eaten anything good. I promise you will be satisfied. Fuck. He's still a fujoshi. Li Yuan touched his chin, looking quite repressed. I heard that you have a lot of delicious food there. Ask someone to bring me some next time. I really can't get used to Yu Dynasty's food. It has been many years, but I still can't get used to it. If I want spicy hot pot, I'll eat hate I lao. But we agreed that making friends is making friends, and since we are from the same place, let's not kill each other. Neither I nor Yu Chao poses much of a threat to you. We are both wanderers in the world and pen pals, so it is better for us to understand and care about each other. In addition, this world is not simple and there are many strange places. I hope you can do some in-depth research. I don't believe that two time travelers can appear in the same place. This doesn't fit the setting of the novel. I always feel that there is something weird about this world. It is very strange that the technology of the Yu Dynasty almost stagnated after more than 2,000 years of development. The most important thing is that there were not many natural disasters in the Yu Dynasty for more than 2,000 years, just like Tao Yuan Ming's Peach Blossom Spring. I discovered something important in those books. As I wrote further on, my handwriting became a bit sloppy. Li Yuan couldn't help but frown. In fact, the history of Middle-earth is quite strange. After developing independently for more than 3,000 years, no unified dynasty has emerged. A lot of history cannot be connected, as if there is a gap. If this land is a parallel world, then there shouldn't be so many familiar myths. Yu created the world and Nuwa created human beings. But these myths are deeply disconnected. Just like Yu Yan said, he didn't believe there would be two time travelers. If there really are so many time travelers, accidental time is not accidental but inevitable. But judging from the map, this is not the blue planet at all. This is so weird. The natives living in this world don't think there is anything wrong, but outsiders like them can easily find the problem. If you want to integrate into this world, you must understand this world. Li Yuan fell into deep thought. Chapter 484, The Advent of Radio. That night, Li Yuan searched for the answer in those books. Following Yu Yan's suggestion, he turned to the Yu Benji, and found the chapter on the Big Bang. Li Yuan thought it was nonsense if the current world was created by the Big Bang. Then before that, there was an extremely prosperous civilization? Isn't that pure nonsense? Li Yuan didn't believe it. Isn't this fucking plagiarism? He doesn't believe that the world he lives in was plagiarized. Although every ancient civilization seems to have a myth about the Big Bang, he doesn't believe it. Get out of the book. Li Yuan thought, even if it is true, so what? The ancients are gone, and modern people have lived for more than 3,000 years. Why bother to explore the past? Even if there was an explosion, those civilizations would have been buried under the ruins. Li Yuan has no interest in exploring history even if it is true. He is unwilling to tell the world. It's not because I'm selfish but because it's unnecessary. The truth has always been in the hands of a few people. Always has been. He didn't know what Yu Yan meant by this, but it didn't matter. What is important is Yu Yan's attitude. She didn't want to fight, so she showed weakness and sent her sister over for marriage. He thought about it, wrote a reply letter, asked someone to pass it to Li, and prepared a return gift for the fleet to take back. The existing communication methods are still too backward. Let us be faster and use carrier pigeons. But it isn't realistic to fly across the vast ocean. Although birds have the ability to do so, their tolerance rate is too low. How's the telegraph research going? Li Yuan thought of this and asked Liu Su. Liu Su said helplessly, Your Majesty, it's already 3 o'clock in the morning. It's time to rest. She didn't know what was wrong with Li Yuan. He was holding the letter from the Emperor of the Yu Dynasty, flipping through it over and over and over again. No one knew what he was looking for. He would occasionally talk to himself. She was really afraid that Yu Yan had put a curse on the letter. It's okay. I'm not sleepy. Li Yuan waved his hand. Liu Su said, We need to ask about this matter. The earliest we can know is tomorrow when the palace gates open. Lu Yuan nodded. Then I'll go to rest. You give me an answer tomorrow morning. Lu Yuan didn't even wash up. He took off his shoes, picked up the mattress and went to sleep. Fortunately, the study has a fire channel for heating, so I won't catch a cold. After a while, Liu Su heard snoring. The corner of her mouth twitched, and she shook her head helplessly. You said you're not sleepy. The next morning, Liu Yuan slept late. Liu Su saw that he was staying up late, so she didn't wake him up. Liu Yuan did not blame him, but he continued to exercise as usual. Your Majesty, the Research Institute has replied that the research on radio has reached the experimental stage. There will be an experiment this afternoon, Liu Su replied. Okay, Liu Yuan nodded with satisfaction. He had become fed up with the existing way of transmitting information. It's like when the three armies are dispatched and they want to communicate, it will take at least 20 days to go back and forth. If there really is an emergency military situation, there will be too many variables, but it would be convenient if there was radio contact. Although the transmission distance is related to the site, even if it cannot be used on the battlefield in a short period of time, it can be used in national management. With radio, telegraph and telephone, it would be much easier to control local areas. Trains were also being researched, and steam locomotives and diesel locomotives had already been introduced, so the transfer of imperial power to the countryside was no longer just empty talk. It's a pity that the research on this technology has not been smooth. Liu Yuan also came to the Military Industry Research Institute as soon as possible. In addition to the military factory, Day Heavy Industry also has a research institute. However, the person in charge of the research institute was not Li Dialong or Niu Taishu, but a man named Shangji Yuoyang. This Shangji Yuoyang is also a strange man. If Chen Yu is obsessed with flying, then Shangji Yuoyang is obsessed with mythology. Obsessed with myths, super hearing, and clairvoyance. I'm 30 years old now, but I'm not doing my job properly. What am I researching? Study the microphone. Yes, it's the kind of microphone you think of. When I was a kid, I used disposable paper cups, connected the two ends with wires, and transmitted sound over long distances. So is Shangji Yuoyang. But his strength is not just a small thing. His ancestors were officials in charge of the construction of the imperial palace, and the Daqian Palace was built under the supervision of his ancestors. What's even more amazing is the ecosystem of the Daqian Palace. If someone attacks, the guards can blow the stone whistle from a distance of 1,000 meters. The sound of the whistle will be transmitted throughout the palace through a special sound channel. The speed is very fast. He was also the designer of Day Palace. In fact, every palace has a similar system design. It is waterproof, fireproof and theft-proof. To those people, Shangji Yuoyang is just a craftsman. But in Liu Yuan's eyes, this is a rare talent. An acoustic expert. As it turned out, Shangji Yuoyang did live up to his expectations. Upon learning that Liu Yuan was coming, Shangji Yuoyang was the first to wait for him at the door and even held a small ceremony. Perhaps because his ancestors were wealthy, Shangji Yuoyang has strict rules and pays more attention to this aspect. Liu Yuan also let him do what he wanted. As long as he didn't make it too formalistic, there would be no problem. Your humble servant pays respect to His Majesty. No need to be polite. Liu Yuan held up his right hand. Ji Yuoyang, I heard that you are going to conduct a radio experiment here. Shangji Yuoyang nodded. A hint of joy appeared on his face. We have already achieved some experimental results. Our laboratory has conducted short-wave tests at 500 meters, 50 meters and 10,000 meters respectively. It can be received almost instantly according to the special code you taught. We regularly send radio waves in less than half an hour. We cracked the 200-word message. This is absolutely groundbreaking. 10,000 meters, or 20 miles, would take half an hour even at full speed. Its power is not evident over short distances. But what about long distances? Is it 200 miles, or 2,000 miles? So how far is the experiment you are going to conduct next? 100 miles and 300 miles. Shangji Yuoyang said, we will also implement low-power radio stations. The smallest one at present is a 15-source radio station. Source is equal to watt, but in order to commemorate Liu Yuan's contribution, source is used instead of the name of power. If it is a single soldier's battle, if a high-power one is used, it will be too heavy, difficult to carry, and easy to be damaged. Therefore, low-power radios are convenient for individual soldiers to carry. We have already thoroughly studied this research. If all goes well, a specific low-power radio station can also send messages thousands of miles away, but there are many interference factors. Liu Yuan nodded. Once the experiment was successful, the speed of information dissemination would increase thousands of times. The impact on the world is huge. What a pity, if it had succeeded during the war. Its name would have been even more famous. But you are also lucky. Liu Yuan looked at Shangji Yuoyang. because its appearance can not only change the way of fighting, but also change the way of human communication and shorten the distance. Whether in combat or in life, its role is enormous. After the War of Unification ends, it won't be long before we run into the Huns, and it will surely shine on the battlefield. By the way, this book will not follow a certain year. It will definitely be a new story. Chapter 485. Li Anli is missing. Zhang Jiyu Ouyang nodded heavily, his eyes full of expectation. Your Majesty, please move. Li Yuan arrived at the experimental site. There were several models placed in front of him. One of them was a radio device that required direct current to use. This device was relatively large and not suitable for a single soldier to carry. The other is alternating current. The advantages of this type of equipment are easy operation and low price, but the disadvantages are poor signal quality and limited transmission distance. The third type is the radio station. This device is powered by batteries and is more stable and reliable than an AC transmitter, but it is larger in size and heavier in weight, making it less convenient to use. Zhang Jiyu Ouyang introduced the models and functions of these equipment to Li Yuan. Li Yuan also nodded continuously, looking at some familiar equipment that he had only seen in old movies. Let's start the experiment, Li Yuan said. Yes, Your Majesty. Zhang Jiyu Ouyang cupped his hands and immediately began the experiment. This experiment lasted for a whole morning and the results were gratifying. Li Yuan was also in a good mood. He directly promoted Zhang Jiyu Ouyang to the position of reserve national scholar, and his rank of lord was 15th. Zhang Jiyu Ouyang, who was a bit obsessed with power, was so excited that he was shaking all over. He knelt on the ground and kowtowed continuously. He is a national hero. He not only restored the glory of his ancestors, but also surpassed them. Your Majesty's grace, I have no way to repay you, but I will definitely live up to your expectations. Get up. Li Yuan helped him up with a smile and said, although these devices are good, they are not advanced enough. However, it is sufficient for the time being. Now that its practicality has been proven, let's mass produce it. In addition, research on equipment such as high-frequency transfer, short-wave transfer, and ultra-short-wave transfer must also keep up. If you have sufficient manpower, separate these projects and let your subordinates work on them. And you can just put a name on them. He said about studying the crank telephone. With the foundation of radio technology and wired telephone technology, it is not difficult. I promise that as soon as the telephone is invented, you will become a great man for the country. Zhang Jiyu Ouyang is not Su Jing, so he can put forward his conditions. Zhang Jiyu Ouyang is also very clear that splitting the project is also for the purpose of cultivating more talents. He was also reminded not to eat alone and to consider the people in the research institute. Yes, Your Majesty. I have already started researching wired telephone technology. It will take at most half a year, no, 2 months. To produce results. Zhang Jiyu Ouyang was determined to do this for the sake of his country. When he thought about Su Jing becoming a national hero at such a young age, he felt envious. A has several national heroes and Yu Han is an agricultural hero. Su Jing is the father of the internal combustion engine, and he is now about to become the father of radio and the father of wired telephone. These many titles will surely make him go down in history. Li Yuan nodded with satisfaction. He was never stingy in rewarding talents as long as they had real ability. He would provide a big enough stage for them. After leaving the institute, Liu Su whispered something in his ear. Li Yuan was surprised and asked, "Who are you talking about, Lianla?" "Yes, she came to Liangjing and got a Liangjing ID card," Liu Su said. Li Yuan touched his chin and asked, "Is she the only one?" "She also brought a eunuch with her. She eats and drinks lavishly in the capital every day. She spends a lot of time in bookstores. 2 days ago, she enrolled in a technical school and plans to learn locksmithing." Liu Su also looked strange. Diaxia is about to disappear. What's the point of her coming here to learn from others? Stealing scale? Not necessarily, Li Yuan thought. Catch her and ask her, won't we know? Yes, I'll have someone do it right away. On the other side, a WU was holding a bunch of things in his hands, including clothes that girls like to wear and furry toys. "Miss, there are too many. I really can't lift them anymore," Wu said with a bitter face. At this time, Lianla was holding a cup of Mixue Bing Cheng milk tea in her hand and wearing the skirt that Day's favorite girl nowadays. She seemed to have returned to her former liveliness. "The last one, just the last one," Lianla raised a finger and said in distress. "It's so annoying. I've been to the street many times, but every time I come here, there are new stores opening. And every time I can't help but go in and buy a few things." Wu felt very sad. He had been in Day for a while, and the things Lianla bought were almost filling up his room. Fortunately, Lianla has business outside, otherwise, he would not be able to afford her spending. Just as he was about to speak, his mouth was blocked by the chicken chop. "This is the Zhang Xin chicken steak. I just bought it. It's delicious, right?" Wu was defeated by him. "I can only hang to pieces around my neck. At most, 2 pieces. Hey, I W you, you're the best. Hearing this, Wu also smiled dotingly. Oops, I drank too much milk tea. But W, please get me some milk to remember to pay for the chicken chop, I'm going to the bathroom. Lianla stuffed the milk tea into Aw's hand and ran away quickly. This is a commercial street and there is a public toilet not far away, so he is not worried. The identity certificate was obtained a long time ago. It was originally a backup plan that Lianla kept when she planned to secretly come today to play, but now it has become her escape route. It can only be said that it is a matter of time and fate. Wu paid the money and squatted on the street waiting. But no matter how long he waited, Lianla never showed up. He was extremely anxious and ran to the public toilet, but looked at the old woman guarding the door, but did not dare to go in. Go to the toilet, 1 cent per piece of paper, said the old woman. No, auntie, did you see a girl in a skirt go in, and did she come out? Wu asked nervously. The old woman said nothing. Wu hurriedly took out $1. The old woman pouted and said, there are at least 800 girls wearing skirts here, if not 1,000. How do I know which one you are talking about? It's the small one with a tuft of white hair in front. Oh, that little girl you're talking about is in there. Wu breathed a sigh of relief. Could you please help me go in and take a look? She's not in good health, and I'm afraid something might happen to her in there. As he spoke, he took out another 10-leaf coin and handed it over. The old woman nodded. But soon, the old woman came out and said, this is strange. The little white-haired girl is not here. She must have left. Wu's heart skipped a beat, and he stood at the door and shouted, Miss, are you there? Seeing no one responded, he became completely panicked. Calm down, the lady might have gone to the bookstore. Wu suppressed his anxiety. He knew Lianla and she would definitely not leave for no reason. She either went to the bookstore in front or to the boutique toy store. I quickly walked to Lianla's favorite bookstore and searched several times, but didn't find her. She was not seen in her favorite toy store either. Wu was extremely anxious. Miss, where have you been? Don't scare me. Chapter 400 Itix's Negotiation. When Lianla woke up, he found that it was pitch black around him and he couldn't see his hand in front of him. He was tied up with ropes and something was stuffed in his mouth. Cry to the sky but no one will respond. Cry to the earth but no one will respond. The first thing she thought of was that her father's men were chasing after her. For a moment, tears kept flowing down. Suddenly, the lights in the room came on and she subconsciously closed her eyes. I heard footsteps. Before she could adjust to the bright light, the person ripped the thing out of her mouth. Let me go, I can give you a lot of money. 1 million leaf coins is enough, is it? It's useless to arrest me now. The Axia is about to be destroyed. If you take me back, everything he promised you will be in vain. Before she could finish her words, she heard a chuckle in her ear. When she looked closely, she found that the person coming was a very handsome man. It's you. And who do you think it is? Li Yuan sat opposite her, crossing his legs and smiling playfully. You are shameless. Why did you arrest me? Did I do something bad? Lianla said angrily. Just because you are a princess of an enemy country. Isn't it natural for me to arrest you? Li Yuan said with a smile, forget arresting you, even if I kill you. What can I do? Lianla was originally stubborn, but now he became weak and pretended to be pitiful. Brother-in-law. You are my brother-in-law, how could you kill your lovely sister-in-law? That cute, so ugly. Her skin used to be fine, but now she has wrinkles and there are more white hairs on her head. Li Yuan, how can you let me go? Lianla gritted his teeth. I have transferred all my assets here, doesn't this count as a contribution today? Who knows if you came to Liangjing to be a spy? No, if you say it's not, then it's not, Li Yuan said with a smile. I escaped, Lianla said. Why are you running away? My father wants to kill me. A trace of sadness flashed in Lianla's eyes. She thought she was perfect and just wanted to stay quietly in Liangjing. She didn't want to recognize her sister, nor did she want to trouble others. She just wanted to be an ordinary person. She didn't want to get involved in national hatred and family feuds anymore. What did you do that you shouldn't have done? I also want to know what I did that I shouldn't have done. Lianla sighed. Forget it, I'm afraid you won't believe it if I tell you. Tell me about it. Li Yuan said. Lianla looked at Li Yuan, and somehow, he told him what had happened. Logically speaking, she disliked Li Yuan in her heart, but after seeing Li Yuan, she was unable to suppress the grievance in her heart. Li Yuan shook his head. It was not difficult to tell from Lianla's expression that what the girl said must be true. After all, after she came today, she just ate, drank, and shopped every day. She didn't do anything she shouldn't do, nor did she avoid people. Who is smart enough to dare to immigrate openly and apply for school openly when the countries are at war? Your father is a piece of shit. Don't you dare say that about him. He has treated you like this, and you still don't allow me to say anything about him? He's my father. If he's nothing, then what am I? Lianla glared at him. In 2 months, Diaxia will be mine. and I will have the final say on your father's life or death. He is your father-in-law. If you kill him, you will bear the shame. For the sake of my sister and my nephew, you will not kill him, Li Yanla said solemnly. Wow. I didn't realize you have some political acumen. Of course, I'm not stupid, Li Yanla said. Li Yuan wanted to laugh. How could he be caught if he wasn't stupid? But Emperor Rek'Sai really couldn't be killed, at least not by him. Although Li Wuyu had long since stopped recognizing him as his father, he had to consider not only Li Wuyu but also the future governance of the local area. It's easy to kill Emperor Rek'Sai, just a matter of words. But if we don't kill him, let the Emperor of Rek'Sai issue an edict of repentance, and then abdicate and incorporate Great Rek'Sai in today, it can save a lot of trouble. And guess whether I will let you go or not? Li Yanla said with a bitter face. You are a person whose mind is hard to figure out. It's up to you to decide whether to let it go or not. What's the point of me saying it? I heard that you are so smart that you cracked the formulae of gunpowder and designed a lot of weapons. Of course, this princess is the most intelligent in the world. As if realizing that he was being too ostentatious, Li Yanla shrank his head and said, No, I'm number 2 in the world. You are number 1 in the world. As he said this, he smiled foolishly. You went to a technical school. Are you trying to steal some of the masters? In theory, I have obtained Day's residence permit, so I am considered a legal citizen of Day. I went to study because I like this subject, and this is the power given to me by Lawyer Yi. Let me tell you this, others can learn it but you can't. Just because I'm the princess of Daxia? Yes, you are the princess of Daxia, Lu Yuan said. I can let you stay in Liangjing and even live the life you want. But my people will definitely monitor you. Of course, I don't trust you enough, but you can't provide me with any value. If I keep you. Li Yanla swallowed his saliva. You want to kill me? Please don't kill me. I still have a lot of delicious food to eat, fun things to do, and a lot of books to read. Otherwise, I will donate all my money to you to buy my life, okay? You think this is a negotiation? Do you have the capital to negotiate? Li Yanla lowered his head, straightened his chest, and immediately became deflated. I am also quite pretty. Stop, I don't like small ones. Li Yuan couldn't help but knock her on the head. This woman was petite and had a baby face, but her body was also that of a child. He was not a pervert. Although the age is up to standard, the figure is completely not up to standard. What's wrong with being small? I have everything my sister should have. My sister is older than me, but being smaller has its own advantages and wonders. I can also design weapons. Can my sister do it? I still have many designs in my mind. I can give them to you. Seeing her indignant look, Li Yuan didn't really want to kill her. He just admired her talent. Daxia was already powerless to recover, and it was only a matter of time before Daxia was destroyed. I can spare your life, but you have to work for me. Li Yuan wrote a contract of sale, listing dozens of clauses. Take a look. If you have no objection, we owe it. Let's make the copies. If you dare to breach the contract, I will not only kill you, but also implicate your sister. Believe it or not, you are not a human being. What does what I do have to do with my sister? You are such a piece of shit. Li Yanla's nose was crooked with anger. The person she cared about most now was her sister. This guy used this matter to threaten her. He is not a man. Either sign it, or I'll kill you right now. Chapter 487, The Afterglow of the Empire. You are not bullying a child? Look at your indenture contract. Is this really an indenture contract? It's useless even if I break my bones and sell them. How many emperors are not cruel? You can tolerate the way your father treated you. I also gave you freedom. Stop talking nonsense. Either sign it, or I will kill you. Li Yuan deliberately made a stern face and threatened. Then you'd better at least untie me. Li Yanla felt very aggrieved. He thought that his life would be better after escaping today, but he was caught after just 2 days of good life. Each of these indentures is more excessive and harsh than the last. But what can we do to survive? As long as you behave yourself, I'll give you plenty of milk tea, and I'll give you 4 days of rest a month. And you can work no more than 5 hours a day. I will also take care of your wages. If you have a major invention, I will reduce den restrictions. If there is a completely new invention, this contract will be void. Are you serious? You're not lying to me? The Emperor's word is as good as gold. What's the point of lying to you? Li Yuan said. Not only that, I will also give you a reward to ensure that you will have no worries for the rest of your life. Okay, I'll sign it, but I need to go to school and study systematically, Li Yanla said. I will arrange it. You don't have to worry about it, but starting today, you must live under my supervision. If you have evil intentions, you know the consequences. Li Yuan pinched her face hard. Li Yanla's eyes were filled with tears due to the pain, but she didn't dare to resist and curse Li Yuan in her heart. Alright, the interrogation ends here. Find some time to go to the palace to see your sisters. He misses you so much. Also, don't tell her about the contract. Otherwise, Li Yuan snorted coldly, a meaningful smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. I'm not as mean as you. You don't deserve my nastiness. Lu Yuan, am I that bad? Would you not even want me to give it to you for free? Li Yanla was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. It's a free gift, I'll think about it. Remember, don't make trouble, otherwise, you know. Just wait for me, you bastard. Li Yanla clenched his fists. One day will make you regret this. However, after talking so happily, she felt completely depressed. Walking out of the interrogation room, I felt that the future was bleak. I had just escaped from the tiger's mouth and fell into the wolf's den. I returned home in a daze. And just as I entered the door, Wu rushed over crying, Miss, you are finally back. I thought something happened to you. I'm fine, I just ran into someone I know. Who? Wu was extremely nervous. Lu Yuan? Wu was dumbfounded. Rich Lu Yuan? Emperor Day, my chief brother-in-law. Wu was terrified. How did you run into him? Did he do anything bad to you? He walked around Li Yanla. I didn't do anything, I was just a little tired. Li Yanla shook his head and smiled bitterly, but we won't have a peaceful life in the future. Miss, no. Princess, let's run away. Escape? The world is so big. Where can I call home? They will unify the world in no time. Where do you want me to go? Going to XIY? I don't want to go to such a desolate place. Yu Chao. It's thousands of miles away, so I don't want to take a boat. Besides, how do you know you'll be happy there? Li Yuan has set his sights on me, do you think I can escape? Li Yanla waved his hand, then went back to his room without caring about Wu. At the same time, Li Jing, Emperor Xia had become numb as he looked at the mountain of memorials in front of him. Li Siyuandao lost, and his army of 400. Zero was defeated in just 3 days. Yi's army marched straight in. The entire Guanzhong area was in chaos. Yangshu also disappeared. And with him, the entire Kai family disappeared. It was hard for him not to suspect that Li Siyuandao's death in battle had nothing to do with Kai Yangshu. The military minister Shang Ying even planned to put on armor and lead the army himself, but was stopped by him. Your Majesty, the last line of defense in Guanzhong has been broken. Shang Ying came over with the latest intelligence. His eyes full of helplessness. Even if they cracked the gunpowder and had muskets, they only caused some minor troubles to the enemy. Of the 800 miles of Guanzhong, Yiguan is the last line of defense. Now Yiguan has been forced to surrender, and the Yi cavalry has entered the pass in 7 days at most. The Yi army will capture the city. According to known information, the Jing dynasty has been destroyed, completely destroyed, and even Sheng Jing fell. The royal family of Jing dynasty has been captured and taken to Liangjing. During the Three Kingdoms period, Diaxia was still struggling. It seemed that it took little effort to unify the big leaves. In just a few months, a journey that had taken thousands of years to complete was completed. It's so fast that it's unbelievable. Emperor Xia did not take the letter that Shang Ying handed over after so many years. A look of regret finally appeared on his face. I shouldn't have contacted the Shangnu. Otherwise, I could have held out for a few more years. Your Majesty, we haven't lost yet. Emperor Xia waved his hands. Didn't he know whether he lost or not? Now that Yiguan has been breached, does he still have a way out? That's all. If I lose, I lose. Emperor Xia stood up and said, Shang King, will you abandon me? No, Your Majesty. Diaxia and I will share life and death together. Shang Ying knelt on the ground and said with a firm look in his eyes. Emperor Xia nodded with satisfaction. Then this time, you will fight the last battle with me. Take out all the gunpowder reserves, and if the Yi army dares to come, blow them up. I would rather commit suicide than be a prisoner. Shang Ying said nothing, but just stayed by the emperor's side. This empire is old and has reached its final moments. The last rays of the empire are about to burn out. He was not surprised by today's situation, as the previous wars had already depleted Daxi's foundation. Therefore, I can be so unstoppable. The world, after thousands of years of division, is finally going to be unified. On the other side, Ji Ermail said happily, E-Pass has been breached. Let's make a concerted effort to reach Liangjing. The battle next door has ended, but we have not yet captured the capital. We can't let our neighbors look down on us. Everyone responded by raising their right arms, their faces filled with joy. As the team pushed forward here, everyone understood that it was only a matter of time before they captured Liangjing. However, the closer they got to Liangjing, the stronger the resistance they encountered. Large amounts of gunpowder were used in the war. Even Yi Jun could easily fall into the trap if he wasn't careful. The casualty rate has continued to increase recently, and Ji Ermao is a little angry. According to the spies ahead, they have dug many tunnels to ambush us, and laid a large number of mines, so we must not take it lightly. Zhou Yermao said seriously. If necessary, we still have to send a special force to attack Lijiang. If we take Lijiang, these local armed forces will naturally collapse without a fight. Zhao Yunlong said, Commander, I have a suggestion that may speed up the unification process. Chapter 488. Never Surrender. Ji Irma now finally realized how powerful Zhao Yunlong was. Not only was he extremely resourceful, he was also very brave. If it were 10 years ago, he would definitely be a fierce general who could fight against 100 people alone and would definitely go down in history. It's a pity that time passes too fast, otherwise his reputation would be even greater. Tell me, what's the plan? The 100 miles of Yichuan is not big, but it is not small either. However, if the area is too crowded, it is easy to get caught. I still remember that the three kingdoms had previously colluded with each other and used numbers to extend the battle line. Now it's our turn. The 6th Division attacked from 6 directions. Although Diaxia is a powerful country, it is not easy to make gunpowder. The most gunpowder must be in Lijiang. Spread the battle line. With our strength, someone will definitely advance first. Zhao Yunlong paused here and said, the second method is not to attack head-on, but to persuade them to surrender. If Diaxia is willing to surrender, it can save a lot of trouble. Although Emperor Xi may not necessarily surrender, we should still give it a try. This is also a common strategy. Although it is common, it also depends on when to use it. If you use it now, it may have miraculous effects. Ji Irma thought for a moment and said, divide the 6th division into 3 divisions and combine them into one division will advance, and the other will cover the rear to prevent surprise attacks. As for persuading them to surrender, the effect will definitely not be good. It would be better to attack the city of Lijiang and then persuade them to surrender. The commander is wise, Zhao Yunlong said with conviction. Don't be fooled by their commander's rough appearance, he is actually a thoughtful person. Very smart and willing to listen to suggestions. No wonder His Majesty thinks so highly of him. Soon, 6 armed divisions advanced from 3 directions. This indeed accelerated the progress of the war. Lengthening the battle line disrupted the enemy's deployment. They must take over Lijiang quickly, otherwise chaos will easily occur. Thei's fighting power is indeed unparalleled in the world, but it is also a fact that they have few people. After taking over such a large piece of land, more than half of it is left unattended. The imperial court worked around the clock, continuously sending personnel to take over. As soon as the 4th Army formed its combat capability, it was sent out to garrison local areas. The 5th and 6th Armies are still in the process of recruiting. A large number of grassroots officials were promoted. Those newly graduated students also caught a good opportunity and became specially recruited officials. That's not enough. After unifying Middle-earth, regardless of whether there is war or not, the conventional military force must be maintained at around 1.5 million. Otherwise, it would be impossible to manage such a vast territory. So, Ji Irma was very anxious because everyone else had ended the war. But he was the only one who was slow. He must capture Lijiang before the end of the year. It is too late to offer prisoners before the new year, so let's offer them after the new year as a gift to the people of Liangjing. In 5 days, the 3 armies met outside Lijiang. Chang Ying was appointed as the general, and Emperor Xi personally put on armor and led the army. Lords and generals from all walks of life were on the city walls. There are nearly 1 million troops in Lijiang, but they are all facing a powerful enemy. No one is not nervous or afraid. But when the emperor stood in front of the city, the officials did not flee. Whether civil officials or military generals, they were all wearing armor and did not retreat. At this moment, Diaxia was united to the extreme. Even the common people were not frightened. Emperor Xi turned around and looked at the people below. It was eerily quiet. For the first time, he felt the cohesion of Diaxia, but unfortunately, it was too late. It doesn't matter whether Cai Yongshu defected or not. Perhaps Cai Yongshu was very disappointed in his heart. If he had listened to him earlier, he would not have ended up like this. The war was not imminent. On the contrary, his army sent people to persuade the city to surrender. The one who made the announcement was still Zhao Yunlong. I am Zhao Yunlong, the commander of the Day Brigade. I am honored to meet the Emperor of Diaxia. I have come here to make a statement on the orders of the army commander. A commander said that Diaxia and Day were friendly brothers, and considering their past friendship, as long as the Emperor of Diaxia was willing to surrender, he would forgive past mistakes and keep the people of the city safe. Our army is also unwilling to increase the killing. Please ask His Majesty the Emperor of Diaxia to consider the people of the country. Emperor Xi sneered. It was you, Yi Jun, who went back on your word first. How come you are blaming me instead? Your Majesty, Emperor Day, you celebrate the first day of the month, but we in Day are not allowed to celebrate the 15th? Zhao Yunlong said loudly. Who provided the gunpowder and weapons for Da Jing and the Xiongnu? It can't be that they appeared out of thin air, right? Let's not talk about new and old grudges for now. Today I come to speak to your majesty, hoping that you will give up resistance. Surrendering does not make you less of a hero. Concubine Li is still waiting for you to reunite in Liangjing. Your ancestors are still waiting for you in the underworld. Why don't you go and reunite with them? Xiang Ying cursed loudly. If you want to fight, then fight sooner or later. The world will see Day's true face. That's right, let's fight. A roar of millions of soldiers made Xiao Yanlong's face change drastically. My emperor once said that the general trend of the world is that after a long period of division, there will be unification, and after a long period of unification, this is the general trend. Those who defy the general trend will be punished by heaven. Before he could finish his words, an arrow grazed his head. Xiao Yanlong reacted very quickly and had excellent eyesight. He grabbed the arrow and turned his horse around. His expression turned cold. Okay. If this is Dayaxia's attitude, then Xiao knows. Having said that, he rode away. Xiao Yanlong didn't care about the mocking voices coming from behind him, he just felt sorry for these people. Even if Liangjing is built higher, what does it matter? At this time, Liangjing was taller and more solid than Liangjing City. But what does it matter how tall the city walls are? Moreover, the cement formula used for Dayaxia is the worst, and its strength is not as good as mortar. There are many different formulations of day cement, the strongest of which is specifically designed to resist artillery shells. Commander, the negotiations have failed. The people of the Xia dynasty are tougher than I thought. Xiao Yanlong presented the arrows. Ji Irma took the arrow. It was made of fine iron and had a dragon pattern on it. Was it shot by Emperor Xia? Yes. If you don't accept my toast, you'll have to drink the penalty wine. I've accumulated so many artillery pieces, isn't it just for this moment? Ji Irma sneered. At this moment, the three armies have long shed their immaturity and have become a strong army. First, fire a few rounds with normal ammunition, and then add explosive rounds. Explosive bombs are specifically designed to destroy fortifications, and the 105 caliber ones are particularly powerful. The three armies are not powerful in any other aspects except their weapons. Fire out the mine-clearing bombs. I want to see how many mines they had buried along the way. Ji Irma sneered. Not even the first army has this kind of mine-clearing bomb, only the third army has it. Because Jingchao did not crack the gunpowder, almost all the gunpowder outside came from EXI and other countries. In order to destroy land mines, detonating bombs have been specially developed. Yes, Commander. Hundreds of howitzers are lined up in a row as the toughest bone in the three kingdoms. Ji Irma must be given the highest treatment. Mine clearance. Bang! Specially designed mine-clearing guns fire a series of bombs that are tied together with ropes to make it easier to control the direction of mine clearance. There was a violent explosion ahead. On the city wall, Emperor Xia's face turned green. What kind of mine-clearing method is this? Chapter 489, The End of the Old Era. With this method, all the mines they buried in the ground became useless. Xiang Ying's face was as dark as water, and his mouth was full of bitterness. A's brain circuit is abnormal. Who would have thought that bombs can also be used to clear mines? Fire! Emperor Xia said angrily. Beat him hard for me. The Axia had artillery. Although the quality was poor, but after improvements, the range and quality were significantly improved. In the past 2 years, the Axia has produced more than 500 cannons. This was created with the combined efforts of the entire country. The momentum was huge, but unfortunately, Yizhun was not within the range of the cannons. Although they have increased the range of their artillery to 3 miles, Yizhun seems to know their details. These army did not move. But just let them bombard them. Ji Irma crossed his arms and thought it was funny. Are they firing cannons to welcome us? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone burst into laughter. Xiao Yanlong also found it funny, but he felt more emotional. He is a Qian person. If it were 10 years ago, with such firepower, Dayaxia would have unified the world long ago. It's a pity that Dayaxia's equipment is too outdated. Even the artillery eliminated by Day is much more powerful than this. Although this kind of solid bullet has decent power, it is far inferior to the blooming bullet. Not to mention, Day has a wide variety of shells that can cope with different scenarios. In war, it is never about who has more people who has the final say. Your Majesty, please stop the bombardment. Xiang Ying put down the telescope and said bitterly, the range of our artillery is simply not enough to cause effective damage to Yizhun. Emperor Xia had a gloomy look on his face and he slammed the wall hard with his fist. After such a long bombardment, Yizhun did not move, as if he was watching a show. This kind of fearlessness was gradually wearing down the morale of the army and the fighting spirit of the people. Anxiety and tension spread, and many people began to retreat. Cease fire. Emperor Xia was worried about the ammunition and had to order the shelling to stop. Everyone around looked at each other, and one of them said, Your Majesty, if it doesn't work, let's use poisonous smoke. The shells can't hit them, but can they still not breathe? Emperor Xia was considering it. Chang Ying sighed. It's the north wind now, blowing towards us. Are we going to poison ourselves with poisonous smoke? The person who offered the suggestion looked embarrassed, laughed dryly, and retreated into the crowd. Emperor Xie was also stunned. He almost agreed, but he forgot the direction of the wind. But just as Emperor Xie was stunned, Yi Jun opened fire. They stood 3 miles away, 75 caliber and 105 caliber rifles lined up in a row. The 75 caliber bomb is a fuel air explosive bomb. The 105 caliber is a demolition bomb. The combination of the two types of ammunition is extremely terrifying. There was a violent earthquake. Emperor Xie was almost shocked to the point of vomiting blood. The terrifying fuel air bomb exploded, and the scorching heat wave was blocked by the city wall, but the explosion instantly sucked away the surrounding air. Many people immediately fell to the ground in pain even though the heat wave had been mostly blocked. The sudden temperature burned their skin and caused it to ulcerate. Several shots hit the city wall. In an instant, the air within dozens of meters around was sucked out. A hot breath swept over. The scorching flames even burned the iron armor red. It's like people are placed in a steel furnace. The skin was roasted. The respiratory tract was burned, and the eyesight was instantly blinded. Your Majesty, run away. Chang Ying knocked Emperor Xie to the ground and used his body to block most of the damage for Emperor Xie. And he endured the severe pain and dragged Emperor Xie to the city. Quick, send His Majesty away. Emperor Xie's confidence dragged him away facing the threat of death. Chang Ying appeared unusually calm. He had read Day's medical book, which said that this was caused by the body's adrenaline rush. He had lost all feeling on his back, the exposed skin was festering, and even breathing was painful. It was a pain that even adrenaline could hardly suppress. Moreover, he lost his hearing and even his eyesight was slowly disappearing. The air around him was scorching hot. It took a lot of effort for him to take a breath, but he still could not get the oxygen he needed from the air. He lay on the ground, squirming with difficulty. He was surrounded by people like him, like fish that had come ashore. Those who were unlucky were directly killed in the explosion. If you are lucky, you will faint and don't have to endure the pain before death. At this moment, he finally understood why Day was so unstoppable. This kind of horror cannot be expressed in words. He felt that the solid city wall was shaking, as if it would collapse at any moment. He no longer had the strength to crawl, his whole body twisted in pain. He thought of a lot. Thinking of the young general who was full of vigor and determination to revive the great Xie. I thought of my elderly husband, mother, wife and children at home. He probably feels very regretful. During the years that he served as prime minister, the national strength of Diaxia had actually been growing. Kai Yangshu was a good civil minister, but the emperor did not listen to him. If I had listened to Kai Yangshu back then, I wouldn't have ended up like this. The emperor was not wrong. Kai Yangshu was not wrong either. It was Day who was wrong. Finally, he lost consciousness and fell into darkness forever. His clothes were smoking and his body was emitting flames. This is an incendiary bomb. There was no one left standing on the entire city wall. Almost everyone was dead. The sturdy city walls were also crumbling under the bombardment. The holes caused by the shelling became larger and larger, and dense cracks spread across the walls. Finally, it could not bear the weight and collapsed completely, rolling into the moat, accompanied by rising smoke and dust. Emperor Xie also woke up, but he only saved his life. 70% of his skin was burned, he was blind, had difficulty breathing, and his hair and beard were all singed. At this moment, he was lying there wailing. My son, my son. Everyone felt sad. The second Prince Li Yan held Emperor Xie's hand and said with all his heart, Father, my elder brother has passed away. But Emperor Xie couldn't hear clearly and just kept calling for Crown Prince Li Ji. As the city wall collapsed, everyone's heart trembled. There was no time to think before the bomb with its tail flame flew into the city. Quick, escort father away. Before Li Yan could finish his words, Emperor Xie died. He stared blankly at his lifeless father, feeling extremely sad. Father, His Majesty. Everyone around was crying. However, Yi Jun's attack did not stop because of them. The cavalry carried the sacks and threw them into the moat. Having the city wall as a base saved them a lot of trouble. With hundreds of thousands of sandbags, a path wide enough for cavalry to pass was quickly filled out. Ji Irma ordered to stop the shelling. Charge! Get! The soldiers of the Second Army have been waiting for this moment for too long. They roared with excitement and urged their horses to charge towards the city. The last rays of the empire came to an end completely under the trampling of war horses. Chapter 490. Day Unified Middle-earth. Remember, don't hurt the people. Before Ji Irma gave the order, it was expressly forbidden to harm the people of Lijiang. They are also not allowed to abuse women. And millions of soldiers in the city were killed and their weapons and armor were gone. Emperor Xia died, Shang Ying died, and most of the civil and military officials standing under the city wall died. They knew the power of the large leaf artillery, but they underestimated their true destructive power. In order to demonstrate cohesion and determination, they stood together even if it meant death. Emperor Xia had most of the damage blocked by Shang Ying and died in pain. If no one stopped them, they would die even faster. Li Jing is in chaos. The sky of Diaxia also completely collapsed. Yi Jun rushed into the city, and the babosha in his hands became a weapon to replace. But their target was clear. And that was the palace. As the old saying goes, one travels thousands of miles to become an official just to make money. The same goes for being a soldier. According to unwritten rules, they could take away 30 of the gold, silver and treasures. But in fact, as long as they are not discovered, how much they can earn depends on their own ability, and no one will care about them at this time. The commander only said that it was not allowed to bully the people or civilians. But he did not say that it was not allowed to bully people in the palace, let alone bully the nobles. Under Liu Yuan's influence, these soldiers hated evil the most. How many people have never been oppressed? What they need to do is to completely trample these people under their feet. I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. Don't kill me, don't kill me. The door of a nobleman's house was knocked down. The nobleman knelt at the door and begged for mercy, but was killed by a bullet. Ji Erma passed by but ignored it. Civilians are not harmed because of Day's military law, but His Majesty has never said that nobles are not allowed to be harmed. Having followed Liu Yuan for so long, Ji Erma knew very well who the enemy was. He walked slowly on the streets of Shengjing, holding a loudspeaker in his hand. All civilians, please stay at home and don't come out. The soldiers of the Yi army will not harm you in the slightest. Don't resist meaningless lie, so as not to cause unnecessary misunderstandings. As he said this, he saw black smoke rising from the palace in front of him. That's Xiao Yanlong attacking. Along the way, Xiao Yanlong has proved his ability. After returning, he will definitely need a full-fledged division. Ji Ermo had never thought that he, an ordinary farmer's son, would one day be able to conquer Li Jing and command a war to annihilate a country. At this moment, his gratitude towards Liu Yuan reached an unprecedented level. This war lasted for 2 days. In the past 2 days, we have been capturing deserters and clearing out the nobles in Li Jing. The soldiers also made a lot of money. The bodies of Emperor Xia, the crown prince, and all the civil and military officials were neatly laid out. Considering Li Wuyu, Ji Erma did not chop off the heads of Emperor Xia, the crown prince. Instead, he had their bodies pickled in lime and sent to Liangjing. In this battle, more than 300,000 enemies were killed, more than 700 were captured, and together with the nobles and people in the palace, the total number exceeded 1 million. These people are all top-quality laborers. All the nobles in Li Jing were cleared out. And at this time, it was exactly mid-December. Ji Erma put the statistical booklet and the letter together and handed them to the messenger. The letter must be delivered to His Majesty before the new year. Don't worry, Commander, I will definitely fulfill my mission. Looking at the messenger's back, Ji Ermo also breathed a sigh of relief and said quietly, in the deep winter of the second year of the reign of Yi, Diaxia was destroyed. They unified the Central Plains, and a new era of prosperity began. Victory news! Victory news! Victory news from Great Xia! The two armies have defeated Li Jing and beheaded the Emperor of Xia. On the bustling and prosperous streets of Liangjing, a team of galloping cavalrymen were shouting as they ran. Soon, the news of victory spread throughout Liangjing. At this moment, Liu Yuan had Honggu on his left and Li Wuyu on his right. Xia Ning was sitting there, looking angry and mad. Huan is sitting there teasing his younger brothers and sisters. Liu Yuan still had not confirmed the position of the queen. After much thought, he decided not to appoint a queen. Firstly, Honggu was not willing to accept this identity, and she would not be happy if she was forced to take the position. Secondly, even if a queen is appointed, the fight for the throne is still inevitable. He decided that the law of succession should be revised to elect a better heir for the country. Middle-earth is too big, the world is too big. Even if it was to unify Middle-earth, Liu Yuan even wanted to continue the feudal system. But considering the disadvantages of the feudal system, he still held back. She's still sulking there, don't you do anything about her? She can be angry, but don't hurt the baby in her belly. Honggu pursed her lips. Xia Ning gave birth to a daughter and was in a depressed mood. She was a strong-willed person. Seeing that Honggu and Li Wuyu both gave birth to sons, she immediately got another child just to prove that she could give birth to a son. Even though Liu Yuan said that men are the dominant force in having children, she didn't believe it at all. She even thought that Liu Yuan was comforting her, which made her feel more ashamed. Liu Yuan had no choice but to follow her wishes. And now he makes trouble every now and then. Liu Yuan also roughly understood that the problem was most likely caused by rapid changes in hormones. I can only accommodate him. He sighed and walked up to Xia Ning. Can you please stop making trouble and think about our son? They laughed at me. They didn't. Yes. Xi Oning said aggrieved lie. I always feel that they look down on me. Li Yuan was speechless. Aunt, it doesn't matter whether I have a son or a daughter. Huan is not my daughter. So am I not nice to her? Don't take it so seriously. Xi Ning remained silent. Li Yuan also knew what was bothering her. So he lowered his voice and said, I will never appoint a queen in my lifetime as long as he is my offspring. He has a chance to compete for this position. Xi Ning said in disbelief, you lied to me. How could you not establish a queen? If there is no distinction between legitimate and illegitimate children, wouldn't the court be in chaos? What's the point of me lying to you? If I wanted to establish a queen, I would have done it when Honggu gave birth to a son. Why wait until today? Li Yuan said calmly, I know what's on your mind, and you don't have to dwell on it. As for whether what I said is true or not, you will know in a few days. Xi Ning was skeptical. Really? This matter involves too many things. I must be careful. I can't just give an order now that would cause a big uproar. Do you still want me to have a good new year? Xi Ning wiped her tears and sniffed. Then I'll trust you this time. As he said this, he stood up, puffed out his belly, and stopped acting like a monster. Dr. Lu's words were still effective. Li Wu joked. Xi Ning was about to retort when Yu Su ran over and said with a look of joy, Your Majesty, the Second Army has sent back news that they have already conquered Lijiang in mid-December, with only a few areas left to conquer. The Xia Emperor, the Crown Prince, and all civil and military officials died in the battle. In one battle, more than 300,000 enemies were killed and nearly 1 million were captured. Day, unify the Middle-earth. Chapter 491 Li Yanzhen's Revenge. Li Yuan was overjoyed. He took the letter and booklet handed to him by Yu Su and couldn't wait to read it. Honggu also laughed. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Li Wu was also stunned when she heard that Emperor Xia had died in battle. But she was not too upset. She had met Li Yanla and knew that Emperor Xia was still a stubborn person in his heart. His children were just tools to be used. She saw the changes in Li Yanla and felt pain in her heart. However, no matter what her status is, she, as a child, should not be happy. When Dajing was destroyed, Xi Ning did not congratulate. After reading the letter, Li Yuan was also very happy, but considering that Li Wu was there, he said, You guys stay in the sun first, I'll go get busy first. Having said that, he quickly left with Liu Su. Li Yuan has waited for this moment for too long. But the fall of Lijiang, they truly unified China. Good job, Ji Irma. Oh, Li Yuan's feet were full of energy. Rewards, huge rewards. Everyone in the palace will have their salary doubled by the end of the year. Anyway, all the money comes from his own treasury. Li Yuan did not make much money from expelling the Huns, as all the money was taken away by Shaoji and Jia, and he only made a few million taels of silver. After destroying Dajing, he actually made a profit of nearly 300 million taels, which is about 3 billion Yi coins. Almost. It's 3 or 4 years of days tax revenue. How much can we earn by destroying Diaxia? At least 3 or 500 million, right? This money is enough for Day to develop rapidly. Murder and arson. Gold belt. This wave of Day is about to take off. Just as Lu Yuan was flipping through the booklet, civil and military officials also received the news and came to the palace to congratulate Lu Yuan. Li Yuan accepted everyone who came and even held a banquet in the palace to entertain them. Since the Chinese New Year is only 2 days away, we might as well have the New Year's Eve dinner in advance. Of course, Lu Yang has proved himself this time, relying on the strength of an armed division. He has also chewed on some tough bones. Although he did not kill Emperor Xia personally, he was the one who cleaned the palace and captured those nobles. It can be considered as a way to vent my anger. However, Li Yuan also realized that his brother was indeed not as outstanding as Xiao Yanlong. But it's enough. Lu Qiuishan came upon hearing the news. And before he got close, his laughter spread into the palace. Li Yuan hurried forward to greet him. Dad? Have you received the news? The whole capital has received the news. How could I not know? Lu Qiuishan looked at his son, tears welling up in his eyes. It's really not easy. It's already the 8th year, and it's almost the 9th year. My son really has the potential to be an emperor. It took only 8 years to quell the chaos. That's amazing. The sweep across Middle-earth was quick. Lu Qiuishan understood that Li Yuan had been laying the foundation in the past few years. He knew Lu Yuan's diligence, that kind of high-intensity, highly self-disciplined diligence that few people could achieve. It's all thanks to my father's training. Li Yuan bowed and said from the bottom of his heart. He doesn't care what others think of the father and son to Lu Yuan. Lu Qiuishan is a perfect father. Lu Qiuishan supported him and said, From now on, you will be the one and only emperor in this land. You don't need to bow down to anyone. Lu Yuan said, I am the emperor, and I am also a son. Lu Qiuishan stroked his beard, his smile grew wider. and he looked at Lu Yuan as if he was looking at his most satisfying work. Young, handsome, self-disciplined, restrained, intelligent, broad-minded, and loving his people like his own children. He wanted to keep the best words for himself. Go, entertain your subjects. Dad, you're not going? No, I just came here to congratulate you. Lu Qiushan waved his hand, turned and left, his back looking very brisk. Lu Yuan seemed to be thinking about something, then he started laughing. He knew that his father just wanted him to enjoy this honor alone. On this day, Lu Yuan issued several orders in succession. Even the workers had 2 more pieces of meat in their bowls. The fireworks in Liangjing were extremely brilliant that night. Li Yanle sat at the door, holding a cup of hot milk tea in his hand, wearing the latest cotton-padded jacket, wrapping himself up in it, looking at the fireworks exploding above his head, and said, we are the people of a lost country. Wu squatted aside and said, No, princess, we are from Day. Does it count? Li Yanle asked, Why do I feel so empty inside? I can't explain how uncomfortable it is. Princess, when I left my parents before, I felt empty inside, but it will be fine in today's. Wu looked at the fireworks. For me, wherever the princess is, that's home. I am not sad that Diaxia was destroyed. If I had received Diaxia's favor, I would definitely miss it. But I didn't. I have also been studying recently. Although I don't understand many things, I have learned one thing. People are changing, and the world is changing too. That makes sense. Li Yanle wiped her tears and suddenly didn't feel so sad anymore. Sometimes, she felt that she had no conscience. But then she thought again, her conscience had been strangled long ago. You are my family from now on. Li Yanle leaned towards AWU and rested her head on his shoulder. From now on, you will be my sister. Wu was stunned for a moment. Then smiled brightly, tears welling up in his eyes. Okay, princess. This night, countless people were partying and countless people were missing their hometown. But no one will be loyal to a perishing country. Inside Prince Heng's palace, Li Qianzhen cried hysterically. Father, elder brother, mother. She never thought that this day would come so soon. She thought that Daxia might lose, but Lu Yang would definitely protect his father's safety. Even if there are no people in the country, it's enough as long as the family is still there. I want revenge, I want revenge. Li Qianzhen's eyes were full of resentment. She thought, even if her father did something he shouldn't have done, he didn't treat you, Lu Yang, unfairly as his son-in-law. Why can't you give him a chance to live? Even for your own sake. You shouldn't let him die. So what if Li Yuan noticed something? At worst, he would die and take the child with him. He wanted Li Yang to suffer and regret for the rest of his life. December 30th, the second year of Yi Er's High. The eve of New Year's Eve. Although Lu Lingzhi had taken a rest, she still went to the greenhouse to observe the growth of crops. This is the result of the hard work of all 8 groups of members. If there is any mistake, all the hard work will be in vain. Meng Fei also came and sat behind Lu Lingzhi silently taking notes. After a busy morning and finishing all the work last night, Meng Fei said, Team leader, tomorrow is New Year's Eve, don't come out. I will take notes. You can reunite with your family. Lu Lingzhi shook her head. No? I have to come here. We will have to inspect the results in a while. We can't make any mistakes during these days. Our team members must take turns here. No one can leave. Meng Fei said, and lowered his head, not knowing what he was thinking. Suddenly, there was a noise outside. His hair stood up and he suddenly rushed towards Lu Lingzhi, team leader. Be careful. Chapter 492, Reward. Just as Meng Fei knocked Lu Lingzhi down, gunshots were heard outside. Lu Lingzhi's mind went blank, and she looked at Meng Fei, who was grinning. You? What's wrong with you? There's danger. Meng Fei took a deep breath and felt a burning pain on his back. He endured the severe pain and saw that the glass greenhouse had been blown open. He pulled Lu Lingzhi and ran out. Run? You are injured. Lu Lingzhi's heart tightened when she saw the glass stuck behind Meng Fei. Don't worry about me. Meng Fei pulled Lu Lingzhi through the greenhouses until the gunfire stopped. Team leader, I'm a little tired. Meng Fei squatted on the ground and his vision began to blur. Meng Fei, are you okay? Meng Fei. Team leader, run first. Don't worry about me. Thump. Meng Fei lay on the ground. Lu Lingzhi was extremely nervous at this moment. The guard came over and knelt on the ground. Princess, I am late in coming to your rescue. Please forgive me. What on earth is going on? Why is there an explosion here? It is now, but the assassin has been killed. Lu Lingzhi's eyes turned cold. But considering Meng Fei, she said, quick, send him to the hospital for emergency treatment. It must be quick. She didn't have time to care about so many things. Several guards carried Meng Fei away. Lu Lingzhi also followed him nervously. At this time, the soldiers guarding the research base also dared to come after hearing the noise. Lu Lingzichai glanced at the assassin lying in a pool of blood, and her heart sank immediately. Xiang Tianyang, Yilan. She felt a sense of luck. If it weren't for Meng Fe, she would have been the one who got hurt this time. The news spread quickly. Ni Yuhan was in the office when he learned that Lu Lingzichai had been assassinated. He was frightened out of his wits. It's over, it's over, it's over now. Ni Yuhan's heart was in his throat. Is the princess okay? Your Excellency, the princess is fine, but the fat guy Meng Fei from the princess's group is injured and unconscious. Oh, I'm glad the princess is okay. Ni Yuhan breathed a sigh of relief, but he also knew that this matter was troublesome. Go to the hospital quickly and send someone to inform His Majesty. A news of Lu Lingzichai's assassination reached Liu Yuan's ears, and he left the harem without saying a word. What's going on? Isn't there someone guarding Lingzichai? Isn't there a heavy guard over the research base? Liu Su said. It was Xiang Tianyang and Yilan. Xiang Tianyang has been under our surveillance, but we don't know where they got the pistol and bomb from. I've already told you not to take it lightly. Liu Yuan took a deep breath. Fortunately, Li Lingzichai was fine. There is no doubt that this matter must have been done by Li Qianzhen. He suppressed his anger and said, keep this matter to yourself. Don't let it spread. Let my parents know. Yes, Your Majesty. Soon, Liu Yuan rushed to the military hospital. Seeing Liu Yuan, Lu Lingzichai hurriedly greeted him. Brother, are you injured anywhere? No, I'm fine. Lu Lingzichai shook her head. Meng Fei blocked the damage for me now. Dinexia will personally perform the operation on him. Liu Yuan nodded. He had read the information about Meng Fei a long time ago. The fat boy's parents were both in the military system, although they were not high-ranking officials. They had joined Day for many years and were considered the second batch of Biaoyang people. Oh, and tell Meng Fei's parents to come over. I want to thank them in person, Liu Yuan said. Liu Su nodded and hurried downstairs to make arrangements. The brother and sister stayed here for more than an hour. A woman in her 30s hurried over on the way here. She knew what had happened and was extremely scared and worried. Greetings, Your Majesty, greetings. Princess. Meng Liu knelt down and saluted. Hurry up. Liu Yuan hurriedly helped her up and said. Are you alone? Where is your husband? Your Majesty, my husband is a platoon leader of the 10th Regiment of the 5th Division of the 2nd Army and has not returned home yet, said Mrs. Meng Liu. Liu Yuan took a deep breath and said, don't worry. I will do my best to treat Meng Fei. Lu Lingzichai also held her hand, constantly thanking and apologizing. Meng Liu nodded. Her worry evident in her words, but she still said, it is Meng Fei's duty to take the bullet for the princess. Liu Yuan nodded. Just because of what Meng Liu said, he would guarantee the prosperity and wealth of the Meng family. Mrs. Meng Liu looked at Lu Lingzichai and sighed in her heart. No wonder her son didn't even want his own life. It turned out that he liked the princess. Who could have imagined that the great Princess Day would be working hard at the research base? No one would believe it if I told them. The operation lasted for more than 2 hours before the lights in the operating room were turned off. Xia Hongmei walked out tiredly. She was happy to see Liu Yuan, but when she thought about where she was, she felt something was wrong, so she said, Your Majesty, Princess, I have fulfilled my mission. Meng Fei was rescued, and it was also God's blessing that the bullet did not hit the vital part. It just took a lot of time to clean up the glass fragments. You will recover after a period of rest. Mrs. Meng Liu collapsed on the ground, clasped her hands together, and said, May the ancestors of the Meng family bless you. Lu Lingzichai also breathed a sigh of relief. Xia, thank you. Xia Hongmei didn't dare to take credit for it, and hurriedly said, This is what I should do. Oh, down and rest first, I'll come to find you later. Liu Yuan winked at Xia Hongmei and said. Xia Hongmei understood what he meant. Soon Meng Fei was pushed out and sent directly into the intensive care unit. Liu Yuan said, Meng Fei risked his own life to save the princess, but he was injured and could not receive the order. Meng Liu received the order on his behalf. Your humble servant accepts the order. Meng Liu was also a small cadre in the military factory, so he was naturally qualified to be your subordinate. Ms. Meng Liu, who has taught her son well, will be promoted to a 3rd rank lady effective immediately. Her father's rank will be promoted 3 levels regardless of his merits. Meng Fei conferred the title of the 10th levels, Yu O Shuzhang, promoted to the head of the research institute, and rewarded with 100 pearls and 3 100-year-old ginseng s. Meng Liu was stunned and said excitedly, Your Majesty, this reward is too generous. Liu Yuan raised his hand and said, This is what you deserve. I cannot be granted a title without military merit. Though saving the princess was a great contribution, promoting him to the 10th level was already an exception. Moreover, these are just the superficial benefits. There will be more hidden benefits. Liu Yuan never treats loyal people unfairly. On behalf of my husband and son, I would like to thank Your Majesty, said Mrs. Meng Liu. Liu Yuan nodded and glanced at Lu Lingzichai. You go back to the palace first. I want to stay in the hospital and wait for him to wake up, Lu Lingzhi said. Lu Yuan sighed and said nothing. He left some guards here and turned to Xi Hongmei's office. At this time, Xi Hongmei had already washed herself, changed her clothes, and sprayed some perfume to cover up the smell of blood on her body. The door opened, she hurriedly stood up to greet him, and threw herself into Lu Yuan's arms. Lu Yuan picked her up and sat her on a large chair. Why are you so proactive today? Xi Hongmei twisted her body and sat up straight. Does your majesty not like it? Chapter 493 Xi Hongmei's dream. Since that night, Xi Hongmei has relaxed in front of him. But this is the first time I've been so proactive. Lu Yuan knew why. But he didn't point it out to her. He said, of course I like it, but if you keep grinding tofu, something bad will happen. Xi Hongmei seemed to be doing something bad on purpose. Lu Yuan gritted his teeth and said, you just had surgery. Aren't you tired? It's just a minor operation during the war. I had to perform 7 or 8 hours of surgery every day. This is nothing. Lu Yuan held her down, then hugged her close to him. Don't be nervous. After the new year, all the prisoners from Dajing will be brought to Beijing. I have promised you sisters, so I will not go back on my word. I will leave Emperor Jing to you. You will judge the accomplices who persecuted your parents yourself. Xi Hongmei's body suddenly stiff and she thought she had disguised herself well. But she didn't expect that Lu Yuan still found out. I'm sorry, your majesty, I'm just too excited. If they hadn't met Lu Yuan, the sisters would have been bullied to death by the barbarians long ago and would never have gotten to where they are today, let alone avenge their parents. This was mixed with gratitude at this moment. The suppressed emotions burst out, and Xi Hongmei especially wanted to give herself to Lu Yuan. It was the pain and hatred that had been suppressed for many years, which landed smoothly under Lu Yuan's careful care. She raised her upper body and looked at Lu Yuan, her eyes full of gratitude, admiration and love. She didn't say anything, but proved her love with practical actions. Lu Yuan felt Xi Hongmei's youthful enthusiasm and gradually guided her. The atmosphere in the office became tense. Li Su, who was standing outside the door, seemed to have heard something. She curled her lips and gestured for others to guard the stairs. Don't let anyone else come up. Your majesty, I have nothing to repay you with. I can only offer myself to you. Xi Hongmei's eyes were blurred. I hope your majesty will have mercy on me. Lu Yuan admired the woman in front of him. Xi Hongmei might not be a stunning beauty, but she was like a proud plum blossom in the cold winter. Along the way, it has never fought or competed, but just bloomed its beauty in the cold winter. That night, Lu Yuan got a glimpse of her beauty and charm. Why today? Because I miss you so much. Whether I'm working or sleeping, I always think of your majesty by my side, which makes me feel at ease. Xi Hongmei no longer had any inner restraints at this moment. She just wanted to tell Lu Yuan everything she was thinking. Sometimes when I wake up, I feel empty. I'm not afraid of your majesty laughing at me. I don't know how many dreams I've had these days. Her cheeks were flushed, and even her neck was red. Lu Yuan loves her honesty the most. What did you dream about? Xi Hongmei bit her lip, lowered her head and whispered in Lu Yuan's ear, your majesty is in my dreams. Lu Yuan felt a heat in his lower abdomen. What did I do in my dream? Teach me just like that night. No, it's even more excessive than that night. Xi Hongmei's eyes were extremely hot, and the fragrance she exhaled sprinkled on Lu Yuan's face, making Lu Yuan feel itchy. How excessive was it? That night happened so long ago that I have somewhat forgotten, Lu Yuan said. Xi Hongmei said, your majesty laughed at me. No, I really forgot. Please recreate the scene in your dream for me, Lu Yuan said with a wicked smile. Xi Hongmei is a very serious person. She was very serious when she was in the security department. Even Niudhajan was afraid of her. Only when he is with me does he smile a little. The burden she carried was too heavy, so heavy that she had to suppress her true emotions. At this moment, her outburst was actually due to her being too suppressed. Of course, this is her true nature. Dare to love and hate, and don't suppress your true nature. Xi Hongmei thought for a while and said in a trembling voice, I have had many dreams. Which dream do you want to start with, your majesty? Let's start with the most outrageous dream, Lu Yuan said. Xi Hongmei's body trembled. She held Lu Yuan's hand and guided him. Your majesty, don't you like playing ball? Lu Yuan is a very good player, but at this moment, Xi Hongmei, as a coach, gives Lu Yuan a different new perspective. So when you say playing ball, you really mean playing ball? Lu Yuan laughed dryly. Xi Hongmei blushed and turned away. Hongmei knows that I rejected your majesty a few days ago and made your majesty angry. Please punish me. She took out a ruler from somewhere and handed it to Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan was stunned for a moment, then took a breath of cold air. Be good. Is this really Xi Hongmei? He was a little dazed. Was it because he was too suppressed that his personality had problems? But it's not a big problem. It's only for myself, not for others. Li Yuan patted his palm with a ruler to feel the strength. It would be better if you didn't say anything. If you did, I would be really angry. I want to teach you a lesson. Xia Hongmei lay on the desk. Your Majesty, please punish me. Hongmei will never dare to do it again. Li Yuan felt that he needed to correct Xia Hongmei's temper, so he naturally would not miss this opportunity. Will you dare to do it again next time? I dare not. Your Majesty. Xia Hongmei covered her lips, afraid that her screams of pain would be heard outside. After a while, Li Yuan stopped punishing. Li Yuan threw the ruler aside and hadn't reacted yet. Xia Hongmei turned around and knelt on the ground. Your Majesty is tired of punishing me. Hongmei will give you a leg massage. Li Yuan sat down and looked at Xia Hongmei. His pupils suddenly trembled. Hongmei, where did you learn this? A book written by Your Majesty. Xia Hongmei said vaguely. Li Yuan's face turned red. Wow, he didn't expect Hongmei to have this side. This release of nature is a bit too harsh. However, he could understand it. After being suppressed for so many years, anyone would explode when revenge is finally achieved. But Xia Hongmei was indeed very young. And it was precisely this cautiousness that made him feel very good. After pounding his legs, Li Yuan asked again, what happened next? What did you do in your dream? Xia Hongmei's pretty face was flushed and she was sweating profusely, perhaps because the heating in the office was too strong. She had to unbutton her coat. Inside is the most popular lining nowadays, which is the best product for couples to reconcile. Xia Hongmei sat on the desk, her face rosy as she said, Your Majesty must be hungry after working so hard for so long. How about a delicious snack? She even put a white napkin under the table, fearing that Li Yuan would eat it. Li Yuan touched his stomach and said, I'm really a little hungry. Xia Hongmei placed the delicious snack she had prepared on the desk and let Li Yuan choose. The oxyocin cherries just grown in the greenhouse are spread with hand-whipped cream and are sweet and delicious. Li Yuan was really amazed by this combination. There is also a large pudding spread with sweet honey, which slides down the pudding and is indescribably delicious. These are all desserts. Where are the staple foods? Li Yuan asked. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Xia Hongmei brought a bowl of steaming seafood noodles. Chapter 490 for New Year's Eve. This is abalone noodles. The shape of the croaker is similar to that of a cardma, and in China only the rich and powerful can enjoy it. Xia Hongmei's abalone noodles don't have too many ingredients, but they are fresh. A bowl of seafood noodles and 2 desserts. Li Yuan nodded. This is a very classy dream. Xia Hongmei was so well prepared, it seemed like she had wanted to call me over a long time ago. Feeling that Li Yuan was very satisfied, Xia Hongmei knelt there and made a gesture of invitation. Your Majesty, please taste it. Li Yuan is not picky, but he still salivates at such exquisite food. He prefers sweets, so he ate all the sweets first, and then slowly enjoyed the abalone noodles. The mackerel was rinsed very clean and there was no fishy smell at all. Not too overcooked, just the right amount of heat. Li Yuan had been thinking about it for a long time, so naturally he wouldn't be polite. In no time, it's a few big mouthfuls of noodles. Perhaps he ate too fast. Xia Hongmei said. Your Majesty, don't eat too fast, it hurts your stomach. Hongmei, don't blame me for eating too fast, it's really because your cooking skills are so good, Li Yuan said from the bottom of his heart. Xia Hongmei didn't say anything, but just silently served Li Yuan noodles. After a long time, the noodles were finished. Xia Hongmei used to clean wet wipe to wipe the corners of Li Yuan's mouth, fearing that any residue would ruin Li Yuan's great image. Your Majesty, it's done. Xia Hongmei then stood up, rubbed her sore knees, and cleaned up the red-stained tablecloth. Perhaps it was because he had been kneeling and serving for too long that his feet were numb and he walked with a limp. Li Yuan took the tablecloth. Xia Hongmei was stunned for a moment before she understood what Li Yuan meant. She then lowered her head and said, I don't know if Your Majesty is satisfied with this meal, but this is the best that Hongmei can give Your Majesty. Satisfied? I have never had such a satisfying meal. Li Yuan hugged her. Tomorrow, come to the palace with Xia Yuan and spend New Year's Eve with me. Your Majesty, I want to wait for some time. Wait for Xia Yuan to enter the palace first, then? Xia Hongmei was a little nervous. She didn't want Xia Yuan to know that she was secretly giving Li Yuan special treatment. Don't be nervous, it's just the new year. Li Yuan wiped the sweat off her face with a towel and put his coat on her to prevent her from catching a cold. Now, the big thing is settled. The resources of the 3 countries will be integrated for a long time in the future. After the unification of Middle-earth, there will inevitably be a large number of ceremonies to worship the heavens. He even wanted to go to Fengshan. There are high mountains in Middle-earth, but these mountains are located in Deaxia. Xia Yuan will not be able to hold the position of Shangshu for much longer, so Li Yuan plans to take the opportunity to reform the court system. After hearing Li Yuan's words, Xia Hongmei finally breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, then I will definitely be there tomorrow. But your majesty, the matter of the special cooking. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Li Yuan pinched her chin, but you have to give me some special treatment every now and then. Also from now on, I will send someone to protect you. This is a rule. Not to supervise you, so don't think too much about it. Xia Hongmei nodded. As long as my sister doesn't know, I'm fine with it. She is Li Yuan's person now, and he will never leave her alone no matter what. It is only natural to send someone to protect her. Also, you are not allowed to use any means to avoid having children, understand? And over time, could even cause irreversible damage. Xia Hongmei nodded. Then your majesty must quickly take my sister into the palace. Otherwise I'm really afraid. She touched her lower abdomen. These days happen to be dangerous days, so it would be easy to get pregnant. After saying a few more heartfelt words to Xia Hongmei, Li Yuan left contentedly. In the office, Xia Hongmei put on the dean's uniform, and nothing seemed to have happened. As for the tablecloth, it has been taken away by Wu Sun. This has to be recorded. If it is lost, it will be a big trouble. When he opened the door, Li Yuan saw the tassels on Lulu's face. He felt a little guilty and raised his voice. Let's go back to the palace. Liu Su glanced into the office again and saw Xia Hongmei. With a flushed face, lying on the desk, pretending to review documents, she couldn't help but snort. Dean Xia is really busy. She doesn't even take a break during the new year. Xia Hongmei almost crawled under the table. Everyone knows Liu Su's feelings for his majesty. No one is convinced except Honggu. She secretly gave Li Yuan special treatment, so it would be strange if Liu Su had anything good to say about him. Li Yuan couldn't listen any longer. So he held Liu Su's head, rubbed it hard, and stared at her and said, if you have the ability, you can also report your work to me, and you can report it in any way you want. But, you don't have the courage to report, and you don't allow others to report to me? You follow me every day without showing any courage. Who can you blame? Liu Su felt so aggrieved that her eyes turned red at that moment. Doesn't she have the courage? If she hadn't been afraid that if she gave away her identity, there would be no one to protect Li Yuan personally, she would have handed herself in long ago. Li Yuan coughed dryly, and finally sighed, asking Wu Sun to close the office door, and then whispered to Liu Su. I was just joking with you. Why are you crying? I know your difficulties, and if you want, I can even take the initiative to give you special treatment. Liu Su sniffed and held back her tears. It's okay, the weather is too cold and my eyes are dry. She really couldn't bear to hand herself over now. Shang Jiahui had to share Li Yuan with so many women, so that she could follow Li Yuan closely all the time. There is a difference between going hungry one meal and eating full every meal. Li Yuan couldn't do anything about her, so he said, go back to the palace. The next day was New Year's Eve. Although the weather is extremely cold, Liangjing is exceptionally lively. Men, women, young and old, all wear new clothes and go to the streets to buy New Year's goods, and merchants also take advantage of this auspicious day to promote their products vigorously. Li Yanla had finally extricated himself from his busy studies and had a few days rest during the new year. Now he had a milk tea in one hand and a grilled skewer in the other, while Lei Wu behind him had become a human mobile bag again. A WU. This is a new product, sell it. Miss, we already have 7 or 8 of this new product. Don't buy it. Wu was about to cry. Really? Li Yanla was surprised. Why don't I remember it? Never mind, let's buy another one. Miss, we are here to buy New Year's goods, not to eat, drink and have fun. What's the difference? Li Yanla tilted his head. Wu was defeated by her and Awu's heart. This was the first time he and Li Yanla celebrated the new year away from home after leaving the palace. It was also the only real new year, in his heart. This is a new year that belongs only to him and Li Yanla, so he attaches great importance to it. Of course there is a difference. I have already made a plan. Let us go buy some vegetables now, and I will cook after we have the New Year's Eve dinner. We will go watch the fireworks and the lantern festival. Before he finished speaking, several burly men came up to Li Yanla, bowed and said, Princess Anla, His Majesty invites you. Chapter 495, Interesting Ranking. Wu said nervously, do you still keep your word? Do you have to study on New Year's Eve? The emperor clearly approved the holidays. Why do you want the princess to enter the palace now? Li Yanla was also unhappy. Damn Lu Yuan, stinky Lu Yuan, you just can't stand seeing me doing well. A man said. Princess, you have misunderstood. His Majesty is worried that you will spend the new year alone away from home, so he specially invited you to come to the palace to celebrate the new year. Li Yanla was stunned. Is he so kind? The concubine Li is waiting for you in the palace. The man smiled. It's better not to keep you waiting for too long. His Majesty also said that he has made a lot of your favorite food. This guy has exploited me so harshly. Has he finally found his conscience? Li Yanla touched his chin. Wu winked at her, but Li Yanla acted as if she didn't see it and replied, since my sister asked me to go to the palace, and I will go to accompany my sister. I don't want to see that stinky thing. Then he said to AWU, let's go into the palace. Wu said bitterly, Princess, didn't you say that we should celebrate the new year together? I didn't ask you to stay at home alone. Lianla didn't think too much and got into the carriage. Wu had no choice but to follow. Soon, the two arrived at the palace. Today, the main body of the palace has been roughly built. Lu Yuan did not pursue luxury, but focused on making it sturdy and durable, using cemented red bricks, so it can be built very quickly. That's like building blocks. In another year, the palace will be completed. Lu Yuan just didn't pursue building materials, but the palace is still very grand. And the palace drawings have been revised twice. The area of the palace increased by another third. It is the largest imperial palace among the three kingdoms. In the future, Lu Yuan has no plans to move. The capital Yangjing has a unique location, located in the middle of the three kingdoms and only a few hundred miles away from the sea. No matter how big the disaster is, it won't have much impact on this side. Resources are indeed scarce, but there is no other more suitable place. The capitals of the other three kingdoms could only be used as secondary capitals. Although the founding emperors of the three kingdoms all wanted to unify the world, they all considered this issue when deciding on their capital. But Lu Yuan has invested too much effort in Liangjing, and it has already become the center of Middle-earth. So there is no need to start a war. If you say there are no shortcomings, there are still quite a few. For example, being too far away from the grassland is a big problem. But sooner or later he will have a war with the Huns. It is just a matter of time, and the two sides cannot coexist in peace. It's rare for Lu Yuan to have such leisure time. Old Lu is writing couplets. Suexai Yui and Lu Ling Ziachai were making dumplings nearby. Ongu, Li Wuyu, Xi Inning, Li Baiyu and others assisted. Mu Rong W. Wanking was also there. This woman was a smart person. She had always been very obedient in the palace and never dared to cause trouble. Lu Yuan had no mercy on the Yan people and completely dispersed them. He would never allow unproductive blood-sucking worms like the Yan people to exist in his territory. Perhaps knowing that she had no one to rely on, this woman was extremely humble and always served Lu Yuan very well. However, Liang and Xiaoji and Jia did not come back. They wrote back that they would not be back until after the new year. Huan Huan, who is already 9 years old, has become a big sister. Originally chubby face has gradually become prettier and her figure has gradually become taller. Combining the excellent genes of Lu Yuan and Xiaoji and Jia, Huan Huan has become a little beauty. Li Tianzhen was there too. Suexai Yui didn't know what happened yesterday. And Lu Ling Zhi didn't say anything, so she looked very closely at her. But she has been observing herself. Lu Yuan glanced over intentionally or unintentionally, and she quickly looked away and sat there, looking uneasy. Uzi was held in the arms of his wet nurse. He grew very strong and looked very much like Li Yang when he was a child. For the sake of the baby in Li Tianzhen's belly, Lu Yuan let her go temporarily, but he would never continue to tolerate her hurting her family. Xie Hong Mei and Xie Yuan are here too. The two sisters dressed up carefully, but they did not dare to dress too gaudy to steal the limelight from Honggu and the others. After a night's rest, Xie Hong Mei obviously had not fully recovered and her walking was still a little distorted. But her whole body was radiant and her eyes were no longer gloomy when she looked at people, but much more cheerful. The look she gave Lu Yuan was full of affection. Suexai Yu's mind was as clear as a mirror. When she returned to the palace yesterday, Luo Wobing reported the matter to her, and she also took a look at the white scarf stained red. She was quite satisfied with Xie Hong Mei. After all, it was rare to find such a capable and loyal daughter-in-law. Furthermore, she was born into the Dajing royal family and had a noble status, making her worthy of his son. Come here, Hong Mei. Suexai Yui waved at Xie Hong Mei. Xie Hong Mei was extremely nervous. She glanced at Lu Yuan and walked to Suexai Yui under his encouraging gaze. Greetings to the Queen Mother. Don't be so formal on New Year's Day. Suexai Yui smiled, wiped her hands, and took out an exquisite gold hairpin. I don't have anything good to give you. I had someone make this hairpin myself. I'm giving it to you. Xie Hong Mei looked at Suexai Yu's ambiguous eyes and understood what she meant. She lowered her head almost to her chest and said, Thank you, Queen Mother. Suexai Yui put Xie Hong Mei's hair up, put the golden hairpin in it, and praised, beautiful, really beautiful. Ongu and others understood it immediately. In Middle-earth, only married women would wear their hair in a bun. Suexai Yui didn't give her anything else but a gold hairpin and even did her hair herself. This was already very obvious. It is obvious that he has already accepted Xie Hong Mei as his daughter-in-law. Xie Hong Mei was also very moved. Before Xie Yuan could react, Suexai Yui took out another golden hairpin and handed it to Xie Yuan. This is for you. Thank you, Queen Dowager. Xie Yuan was delighted when she received the gift, but she didn't think much about it. Come, let's make dumplings together, Suexai Yui said, and directly arranged Xie Hong Mei next to Xie Ning. This ranking is intriguing, you know. Xi Ning is one of the 4 concubines, and the 2 are cousins. Xi Ning also felt a little uncomfortable, but she also knew that it was her father's fault. Seeing that her father was about to go to Beijing, she knew that sister Xi Hongmei would not let him go. After Da Jing was defeated, Xi Ning immediately tried to find out Lu Yuan's attitude. But Lu Yuan did not answer him directly. She acted like a demon not only because of the issue of having a son or a daughter, but also because Lu Yuan had no intention of letting Emperor Xia go. She approached Xia Hongmei several times to try to resolve the feud, but the 2 sisters ignored her. One is the director of a military hospital, he has saved countless lives and enjoys extremely high prestige in the army. One is the Minister of Revenue, who is in charge of the country's purse. There are countless people begging her for favors. Although she was one of the 4 concubines, Da Jing had already been defeated in the war in a sense. A country had been destroyed, so she was just a princess of a fallen country. There is no reason to be proud in front of these 2 women. Chapter 496. Little White Hair is going crazy. And now, Xia Hongmei is obviously going to enter the palace. Given how much Lu Yuan doted on the 2 sisters, what could she, a concubine who had only given birth to a princess, used to compete? She touched her belly and said with a smile, "Sister, congratulations." Xia Hongmei didn't even look at her, although what happened back then had nothing to do with Xia Ning. To her uncle's family deserved to die. However, she was Lu Yuan's concubine now, and she had a bad child, so she didn't want to implicate him too much and just replied inferently. The atmosphere was a bit weird. So Honggu quickly interrupted to enhance the mood. Fortunately, Li Yanla came at this time. When she saw Lu Yuan and others, she bowed to them one by one. When she walked up to Li Yuan, she made a face, making Li Yuan laugh and cry. "Little White Hair, I thought you weren't coming. Who is the little white hair?" "You are the little white hair." Li Yanla was furious. If it wasn't for her sister, she would not be willing to enter the palace, let alone pay respect to this bastard. Lu Yuan was not angry either for some reason. He particularly liked to rub the little girl's head. He put his big hands on her head and rubbed it constantly. Li Yanla wanted to hit Lu Yuan with her short hands, but she couldn't even touch the corner of Li Yuan's clothes. She couldn't help but said, "Sister, my brother-in-law bullied me." Li Wuyu shook his head helplessly. "Won't His Majesty let you go if you say a few soft words?" Li Yanla let out a cry and simply hugged Li Yuan's hands with both hands, hanging on his arms like a monkey. Lu Qiushan thought it was interesting, but Su Xiuyui frowned slightly and whispered, "This is not appropriate." However, since it was New Year's Day, she didn't make a big deal about it. She just felt that it was inappropriate for her brother-in-law and sister-in-law to do this. Wu stood with Mas and Bao and others, not daring to say a word. He just watched Li Yuan bullying his princess with his fists clenched tightly. At this moment, a voice came to his ear. "Young man, don't be too impulsive. Don't take the fight between the masters too seriously. Otherwise, if you raise your hands, our sky will fall." Wuxian's heart rose to his throat. He turned around and saw that it was Ma San Bao. "Thank you for reminding me, eunuch." Ma San Bao shook his head and said nothing more. It was just that it was too obvious from this kid that he really thought these guards were just there to do nothing. "How dare you show hostility towards the emperor in the Day Palace? Have you never died? Are you born in the year of the dog?" Li Yuan felt a pain in his arm and realized that Li Yanla was biting him secretly, but he didn't dare to shout loudly for fear of causing more trouble. He endured the pain and carried her aside. "Will you let go?" "No," Li Yanla said vaguely. "Really?" "No," Li Yuan said, and took action immediately. The next second, Li Yanla's face flushed red. He quickly let go of his hand, took 3 steps back, and looked at Li Yuan in disbelief. You are shameless. As the ancients said, a sister-in-law is half of her brother-in-law's buttocks. Disgusting. Li Yanla shuddered, but did not dare to shout loudly if others knew. Would she still have the face to do this? Su Xiuyui didn't see clearly what they were arguing about. Li Wuyu hurriedly tried to make up for her sister. "Mom, Anla is just a child, she likes to play around. Nothing, the palace needs to be lively and bustling." Su Xiuyui smiled and stopped paying attention. Adewu saw everything, his eyes widened. "Oh, he actually did this to the princess. He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. So shameless. We already have 2 princesses, isn't that enough?" He was extremely angry, but he didn't dare to show it. Because the guard next to him had already placed his hand on the hilt of the knife and his eyes were full of murderous intent. He was certain that if he showed any hostility, he would be taken away and beheaded. He lowered his head, suppressed his anger, and simply didn't look over there. "Give up on this idea. I, Li Yanla, can never be your side." After saying that, Li Yanla ran to Li Wuyu's side as if escaping. He felt that the place where Lu Yuan had pinched was burning hot, and his face was extremely hot. But she was afraid of being discovered by her sister, so she pretended to be calm and teased her little nephew. However, all she could think about was Lu Yuan's words. and she was in a trance. After a long time, Lu Qiushan finished writing the couplet. The girls finished making dumplings. They started making dumplings and then served the delicious dishes on the table. There aren't too many rules in Liyuan. The most important thing during the Chinese New Year is family reunion. So everyone eats at the same table. The big round table is very large and can seat 30 or 40 people. Lu Qiushan raised his glass and gave a congratulatory speech, and everyone also raised their glasses to toast the two elders one by one. At the dinner table, Suexai was also very generous and gave a lot of New Year's money to her grandchildren. After dinner, a grand fireworks show was held in the square outside the palace. The whole family went up to the city wall to watch. Liyuan also sent his blessings to the people of Liangjing through the radio as soon as possible. Then, it is time to stay up all night to see the new year in. The women all went to rest. Xia Hongmei and Xia Yuan were both arranged to stay in the palace, as was Lianla. Princess, did Lu Yuan bully you later? Wu said in a sympathetic tone. This Lu Yuan is simply a piece of shit, princess. You must stay away from him in the future. Such a despicable person as him. That's enough, IWU. Stop talking about him. Wu was so angry that he was cursing, but was interrupted and froze. Princess, I can't hold it in. He bullied me because I bit him, Lianla said. He is the great emperor. Not to mention that I bit him. Even if I patted him lightly, it would be disrespectful. He didn't really want to bully me. Otherwise, he wouldn't have accompanied me in making trouble. Wu was dumbfounded. This wasn't right. But. It's nothing, I was just joking. Lianla was lying on the bed, her mind filled with what her sister had said to her. My sister said that the contract Lu Yuan signed with her was actually to scare her, and she keeps the contract. The reason for signing the contract was to take better care of her, and those medicinal foods were arranged by Lu Yuan. So these days, her lost energy was gradually replenished. Not only did her complexion improve a lot, but she also had fewer white hairs. Her sister told her that Lu Yuan was just being stubborn and didn't like sweet talk, and his concern was always inadvertent. He also told me not to hate him. Destroying Diaxia was the trend of the times and could not be resisted. These things made Lianli a little confused. So, the big bad guy Lu Yuan is actually a good guy? Where can a good person touch himself? This pervert, this bastard. Even if he has some good intentions, he has bad intentions towards me. Lianla thought so in his heart, but his mind was full of the past with Lu Yuan. And he couldn't get rid of it. I'm going crazy. Lianla sat up straight. AWU, pack up and let's leave the palace. I can't stay in this palace anymore. Chapter 497. I will definitely kill them all. That night, Lu Yuan held a family meeting and indulged himself for once. Murong W. Wanking knew very well that if she wanted to maintain her status in the harem, she had to conceive a dragon seed. During these days, not only the 3 concubines, but also 5 or 6 more concubines became pregnant with the emperor's son. To Lu Yuan, these concubines were more like tools for continuing the family line. Like a mission. For the emperor, the more offspring he has, the more stable the country will be. This is true not only for the emperor but also for ordinary people. Such a big family business needs someone to protect it. The next morning, Lu Yuan rubbed his sore waist and climbed out of the lotus arms and legs. When he was exercising in the morning, his legs actually felt a little weak. He had taken the Dragon Iger golden pill. So 1 or 2 ordinary people were no match for him. Don't indulge yourself too much, Lu Yuan warned himself. After strengthening his body, washing up and changing into new clothes, Lu Yuan went to Qingping Palace to pay his respects to old Lu and Suexai. However, Lu Ling Zhi left the palace early in the morning and brought a lot of supplements. Suexai said in a strange tone. She said she was going to see a friend. What kind of friend would need to leave the palace on the first day of the Lunar New Year? Xiao Yuan? Their sister doesn't have a boyfriend, does she? Lu Yuan hurriedly said, Mom. If Ling Zhi has a partner, I will definitely tell you the first time. However, even if she has a partner, it's normal. She is so old now, and she should have a partner. Lu Ling Zhi is already 19 years old. If she doesn't get married, she will be considered an old maid. Although in Lu Yuan's eyes she was still a high school student, Suexai was extremely anxious and tried to arrange a marriage for her. But Lu Ling Zhi was stubborn and refused to agree. That Meng Fei is a little fat, but he is a nice person and seems to be very blessed. If Lu Ling Zhi likes it, then that's fine. There is a subtle feeling between the two people. As the eldest brother, you should also pay more attention to this. I don't have many wishes in this life. If Ling Zhi gets married and has children, I will die with peace of mind. Lu Yuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He had heard this familiar rhetoric many times. What are you talking about on New Year's Day? Lu Qiushan couldn't stand it any longer. Children and grandchildren have their own blessings. It's not like our daughter can't get married. What's wrong with staying for 2 more years? I'm already an old girl, Suexai said worriedly. What old lady? How can you say that about your own daughter? Why, I can say whatever I want. Seeing that the two were about to quarrel, Li Yuan hurriedly said goodbye. In this kind of family war, it is always the mother who wins. After leaving Chengping Palace, Li Yuan asked Liu Su, "What are your plans for today?" "Your Majesty, I have no official duties today. My main task is to visit the widows and widowers in the capital and give them gifts of comfort," Liu Su said. "In addition, I will go to the orphanage in the afternoon to visit the children." Li Yuan nodded. These elderly people were basically local natives and they had contributed a lot in the past. Most of their children also died in the war. A has a relatively complete welfare system, but it has not yet been expanded to the whole country. These children came from all over the country, and most of the martyrs' families were adopted by military families. There was no way Li Yuan would allow the families of these heroes to go to an orphanage. The three kingdoms were unified after so many years of war and the deaths of so many people. There must have been many widows and orphans. It's time to wrap up. Li Yuan sighed. He couldn't just leave them to fend for themselves. That would only result in countless more beggars in day. While Li Yuan was busy, Xia Hongmei and Xia Yuan went to Qingping Palace to pay their respects and prepared to leave the palace. At this time, Xia Yining blocked their way and said, "Sisters, please stay." When they saw Xia Yining, the two sisters did not give her a good look. Xia Hongmei cupped her hands and asked, "What do you want, concubine Xia?" Xia Yining had a smile on her face and held Xia Hongmei's hand. "Sister, we are all family, why should we be so formal?" Xia Hongmei pulled her hand away. "I dare not approach you if there is nothing else. We two will take our leave first." Xia Yining's face rose. And she smiled bitterly. "Sister, there is no conflict between us, right? I know my father did something he shouldn't have done, and I understand that you hate him, but why should we sisters be like enemies? When you enter the palace, will you still be involved in intrigues every day?" Xia Yuan sneered. "Empress Xia, just say whatever you want to say. There's no need to beat around the bush to try to establish a relationship with me. My sister is just an orphan with no relative. Show can she be worthy of you fawning over her? Second sister. I just say it straight." Xia Yining took a deep breath and said, "What happened back then was our family's fault. But you also understand that being born into a royal family means you have no choice. Does Empress Xia say that she has no choice but to do something? Killing my brother is one thing, but she also bullied my mother. Is that something a human being could do?" Xia Hongmei's eyes were slightly red. "That day, I was in the palace, and I saw with my own eyes how that beast bullied my mother. He threatened to kill us both, and my mother had no choice but to let him bully her. Did you know that when my mother died? She was pregnant with a child. One corpse, two lives. My grandfather's family died in such a tragic way. From the 80-year-old grandmother to the 1-year-old child, no one was spared and all were killed. Is this what you mean by being helpless? You say it." Xia Yining was shocked. She knew some of the things involved, but there were some things she had never heard of. Fighting for the throne was a normal thing, but she didn't know how to bully her brother and sister-in-law. Not to mention, when her aunt died, she was pregnant with a baby. Whose child is that? No matter how wrong it is, it's all my family's fault. Please spare his life." Xia Yining gritted his teeth and knelt on the ground. Xia Hongmei stepped aside and sneered, "We can't afford to kneel down like this. Besides, whether to spare that beast or not is not up to us. Your Majesty has the final say. But if your Majesty lets me deal with him, I will definitely cut him into pieces." "Oh no, that would be too easy for him. I will kill all the people from your family in front of him, leaving no one alive. From the 80 to the belly, I will kill them all. And I will slowly torture him and make him unable to either live or die. He should repay him tenfold or 100-fold for all the suffering our family has endured." As Xia Hongmei spoke, tears were already rolling down her cheeks. Xia Yuan held her sister's hand. Distressed Lai looked at Xia Yining coldly and said in a low voice, "One day, when my sister and I enter the palace, the first thing we will do is to step on you." Chapter 498. My overall situation is the overall situation. Xia Yuan stepped forward, smiled and helped her up. "Madam Xia Fi, the ground is cold. Please don't hurt the baby in your belly, otherwise, we will be guilty of a great sin." Xia Yining begged, "Second sister, please. Did anyone hear our sister's cries for help?" Xia Yuan whispered in Xia Yining's ear, "Back then, which beast even wanted to bully my sister? Do you think I could forgive such a beast? But he is my father." "But he's not my father." Xia Yuan brushed the dust off her skirt, shook her head, her eyes full of sarcasm. Looking at the two sisters' backs, Xia Yining's face looked particularly ugly. She knew that the two sisters would never let her go. She touched her belly and a terrible thought flashed through her mind, but she quickly suppressed the thought. Her only hope now is this child. At this time, inside the hospital, Manya Fi looked at Lu Ling Zia Chai with a dazed expression. He couldn't believe that his team leader was actually Princess Day. Are you stupid? Seeing him staring at her intently, Lu Lingzhi felt a little shy and a little amused. No, no, Meng Fei suddenly became embarrassed. I, your humble servant. No, I have met the princess. What princess? Princess, please don't hide it from me. The imperial edict was sent to the hospital early this morning. Meng Fei sighed. I am really lucky. I actually work under the princess and saved her life by some strange coincidence. Then why are you unhappy? No, I'm very happy. Meng Fei forced out a smile that was uglier than crying. Only he knew why he was unhappy. Lu Lingzhi is the team leader, and he still has the courage to try. She was a princess, so he completely gave up the idea. Don't tell the truth, Lu Lingzhi snorted. And then said, I have asked the dean for leave. You will be on pay leave these days, and the hospital recognizes your courageous actions. I have promoted you to be my deputy, the deputy leader of Team 8. Thank you, princess, for your promotion, Meng Fei said hurriedly. What princess or not, Fatty Meng? I don't like you calling me that. Lu Lingzhi frowned. Is this the first day you met me, or in your eyes? Am I just a princess who is high above everyone else and difficult to approach? You are a princess, yes, but you are very approachable and you are definitely the kindest and most sincere princess I have ever met. Lu Lingzhi was amused by his joke. Why, have you seen other princesses? No, Meng Fei smiled foolishly and scratched his head. Remember this, how we got along before is how we will get along in the future, said Lu Lingzhi. Meng Fei stared at Lu Lingzhi's slightly shy look with his eyes wide open. I'm talking to you, do you hear me? Listen. I heard it, Meng Fei shook his head like pounding garlic. Then I'll leave first, I'll come to see you tomorrow. I made this chicken soup myself, so remember to drink it. After Lu Lingzhi left, Meng Liu came in and looked at her son who looked infatuated. She couldn't help but said, that's the princess Don T. Think about it. Mom. She is different from other princesses. Besides, your son is now a commoner. It has entered the ranks of middle-level lords. Why can't he pursue the princess? Meng Fei was not stupid. He heard something unusual in Lu Lingzhi's words. In short, remember this. You are not allowed to be disrespectful to the princess, otherwise I will punish you. Meng Liu, she warned again and again. Meng Fei's mind had already flown to the bowl of chicken soup. The soup cooked by the princess is so delicious. On the second day of the first lunar month, a grand court meeting was held and officials from all over the capital came to congratulate Li Yuan. After receiving the blessing, Cao Wenhu stepped out and said, Your Majesty, tomorrow, the captives of the Jing dynasty will arrive in the capital. I think we should present them outside the palace and invite the people of the city to see them. Huang Dabiao wrote in a letter that the retired Emperor Dajing had already written a letter of surrender. At that time, let Emperor Jing read the letter of surrender and confession in front of the people of the city to calm people's hearts. This was originally a normal procedure, but once this was done, Li Yuan would not be able to kill Emperor Jing openly. Killing the surrendered is inauspicious, although Li Yuan does not think so. This is the mainstream concept. Li Yuan is very clear that there are some things that cannot be done, and the consequences of doing them will be very serious. It's like the Sima family, whose single inaction made this surname a synonym for meanness. Even if he wanted to kill him, he had to find an excuse to kill him so that Emperor Jing would be convinced. Xi Yuan stood below, feeling a little uneasy. She glanced at Xi Hongmei. Xi Hongmei stood out from the line with an expressionless face. Just as she was about to speak, she saw Li Yuan suddenly raise his hand, look at her and shake his head slightly. She was stunned, biting her lips, feeling very complicated. In fact, she knew that Xi Ning must have pleaded with Lu Yuan, and Lu Yuan definitely did not agree, otherwise she would not have come to beg her. But she knew better that once the beast surrendered, she would spare him in order to appease the scholars and nobles of the Jing dynasty. I would never kill that beast, even if it was just for show. He would even be given a high position and generous salary and allowed to participate in state affairs to demonstrate Day's broad-mindedness. But she knew Lu Yuan's character. I don't want to embarrass Lu Yuan either. That's why she took the initiative to give herself to him. Most of the ministers stood up and agreed with Cao Wenhu. Emperor Jing has gone back on his word and launched several surprise attacks on Day. He has also harassed our borders many times since the Northern Liang period. The Huju Pass Dam was built to store water, and our Biaoyang was turned into an ocean in an instant. Unite the troops of the three kingdoms and launch a surprise attack on the north. This time, they even colluded with the Huns and allowed them to cut off the Jingyang River and Jingjiang River, so that the grain supply of Day this year has dropped by 30. How can I let them off just because they surrendered? As soon as these words were spoken, Xi Hongmei burst into tears. Cao Wenhu was confused. But your majesty. No buts, Li Yuan said calmly. We, Day, have unified the Middle Earth with strength, so we will not be merciful to such treacherous people. Send all these people to the gallows and count the crimes they have committed over the years. I am only responsible for sending them to the west, not for their prosperity and wealth. As soon as this was said, countless people jumped out to oppose it. Your Majesty, it is unlucky to kill prisoners. Your Majesty, please consider the overall situation. Your Majesty, killing prisoners may be a pleasure, but it will cause greater harm, please think twice. Everyone kept begging. Xie Yuan's eyes also became wet as she stared at the tall and majestic man sitting on the dragon throne above her. I never thought that he could do this for his sisters. She did want revenge. But she didn't want to damage Lu Yuan's reputation and dignity, nor did she want to hinder the cause of unification. She looked at her sister who had already burst into tears, and her heart was in turmoil for a moment. After Lu Yuan glanced at everyone, he said calmly, my overall situation is the overall situation. I will kill the royal family of the Xi and Jing dynasties. Chapter 499 Xi Yuan's gratitude. Lu Yuan thought of another day, who died in the second generation. From the perspective of future generations, not killing the royal families of the 6 countries was actually a bad move. Although there are many reasons why he cannot be killed, in Lu Yuan's opinion, this undoubtedly poses a hidden danger. In terms of cracking down on the nobility and eliminating the powerful families, it is essentially for the stability of the country. Everyone laughs at the caste system, but have you ever thought that this land once also had a caste system? It's the sentence, are kings, princes, generals, and ministers of different species? It is, the blue sky is dead. A yellow sky should be established. It's the golden toad is fighting for its eyes, overturning Kaoshu and causing the whole world to rebel. It's curse of the golden flower. It's, the sky is high and the emperor is far away. The people are few and the officials are many, scraped 3 times a day. Why not rebel against his mother? In the times of great changes, these classes and aristocrats were crushed into the ground and could not stand up again. No one in the military said anything to them. They worked hard to capture the enemy, and then they could gain wealth and honor by admitting their mistakes. This wealth and honor seemed too easy to come by. They even thought it was a good kill. Cao Yanhu looked at Lu Yuan in confusion, then looked at Xie Hongmei, who was in tears, and said thoughtfully, Your Majesty, killing the royal family of 2 dynasties is nothing, but you have to kill them until everyone is convinced. This is what you have to do. Lu Yuan stood up. I am a Confucian scholar. When I was appointed to be Liang, I encountered bandits on the way and rose up to resist. He was persecuted by Xie Jing again and had to arm himself. After years of hard practice of internal and external skills, and enduring humiliation, he finally gained Bialian. Bialiang is a lawless place. There were starving people everywhere and thieves everywhere. The prosperity we have today was all caused by them. The world always asks me to repay evil with kindness. If I can repay evil with kindness, how can I repay justice? They have gone back on their word time and time again, torn up the alliance, and forced me to become powerful and unify Middle-earth. But I will never thank them. If we list all the sins of the 2 dynasties, we will find that they are the culprits of the chaos in the world. Retreat. Lu Yuan flicked his sleeves and strode out of Yangping Palace, leaving everyone looking at each other in bewilderment. Cao Yanhu inadvertently walked in front of Xie Yuan and said in a low voice, I am pleading for them, not out of personal feelings. I understand. Xie Yuan nodded. She still had great respect for Cao Yanhu and knew that he had no other thoughts. But I hope you can persuade His Majesty that for the sake of the overall situation, there is no need to rush to kill the Jing dynasty royal family. Wait for a year or 2. When people are not paying attention, you can do whatever you want without causing trouble for His Majesty. Of course, this is just my suggestion. Cao Yanhu shook his head and left. Xie Yuan's face was uncertain. She walked to Xie Hongmei before she could speak. She heard her sister say, We can execute that beast in public. If the beast dies, it dies. They can't let him tarnish the reputation of His Majesty. Xie Hongmei wiped her tears and said, Come on, follow me to see His Majesty. Lu Yuan had just arrived at the imperial study and hadn't even sat down yet when Xie Hongmei and her sister arrived. Why are you 2 here? The 2 sisters knelt in front of Lu Yuan without saying a word. What are you doing? Lu Yuan quickly stood up and went over to support. Hongmei knows that His Majesty loves us sisters, so he forced to kill the Jing dynasty royal family. But if killing them makes His Majesty bear the infamy, then we would rather not kill them. His Majesty has avenged us by destroying Da Jing. Xie Hongmei looked at Lu Yuan with gratitude in her eyes. She was not the kind of greedy woman. In her heart, Lu Yuan's reputation is more important than anything else. They worked so hard to push Lu Yuan to this point, but for what? Isn't it just that you want him to accomplish great achievements that will last for generations? That is not the effort of one person, but the effort of thousands and thousands of old Bialiang people. Xie Hongmei couldn't turn a blind eye. Nor could she ignore other people's feelings just because she had a blood feud. Your Majesty, please revoke your order. Xie Yuan also chimed in. She was tormented by not being able to kill her enemy with her own hands, but like Cao Yanhu said, in 2 years, there would be plenty of opportunities to deal with that beast. These days, she could torture him slowly and let him feel what pain was. Liu Yuan picked up the two girls, pulled them aside, and let the two girls sit in his lap, one on the left and one on the right. He gently wiped away Xi Hongmei's tears and said, "There are considerations for not killing and reasons for killing. If we don't kill, there will be hidden dangers." The nobles of the Xim and Jing dynasties were not easy to deal with. They established its rule in Middle-earth by relying on its absolute strength. So it is not afraid of them causing trouble. If you dare to cause trouble, we will deal with you all at once. Killing him can eliminate future troubles forever and deter villains. My killing of them is reasonable and logical. Who can say anything against me? Didn't they go back on their word and break their promise that time? Your Majesty, it's really not because of us. Liu Yuan scratched her nose and said, "Of course I took you into consideration, but in the final analysis, I want to kill them." Xia Jing is different from Daqian. All the royal family members of Daqian have become eunuchs and can no longer cause trouble. A queen is Jiao again. During her reign, she governed the country using the Yi method. The north had been destroyed, and most of the nobles had died. Those who were still alive had all been appointed officials in the court. The Jingshao area of Daqian had long been destroyed and plundered several times, so there were no nobles left. Xiaochai went to the south of the Yangtze River and killed all those people. So Daqian was the cleanest. Do you understand? The two girls nodded in unison. Understood. Of course, when the captives arrive in Beijing tomorrow, I will not kill them immediately. I will first announce their crimes and behead them on a chosen day. During this period, as long as you don't kill them, you can do anything, Liu Yuan said with a smile. Xia